On day 1, I spawned in as the Grinch. Wow, look at that! I'm the Grinch, ready to steal Christmas. Oh no, I only have 3 hearts. I guess it's true what the story says. The Grinch's heart is way too small. I was so focused on my hearts, I didn't hear the huge group of bad snowmen creeping up on me. They blended in with the snow at first, but I heard them just before their leader grabbed me. Hey, what's the big idea? I know I'm the Grinch, but that's no reason to be so mean.
Come with us, and no one gets hurt.
Forget that. I've got to steal Christmas. I don't have time to deal with you. I pulled away from the leader and started to run away. Luckily, I was faster than the bad snowmen and was able to run past them.
Hey, get back here!
No way! As I ran away from the bad snowmen, I started thinking about what I knew about the Grinch. If I was going to be him, I wanted to get it right. I knew he was a mean one who couldn't stand the Whos or their Christmas celebrations, who wanted to take all the presents and food for himself. But wait, the Grinch doesn't work alone. He has his trusty dog Max, his only friend in the whole world. I looked around for a dog, but couldn't see one anywhere. Oh no, what happened to Max? How can I steal Christmas without him? I was about to start searching the ice caves for my dog when an ice cave spider crawled out of the cave and bit me. Ouch! I could feel that the bite had poisoned me, and I had to think fast to counter the effect. I ran and ran and ran until I found a village, and there was a pen full of cows. Perfect. Excuse me, Miss Cow. Can I have some of your milk?
Sure, fine by me.
I was able to get a milk bucket and cure the poison before I got too sick. But before I could look for any other supplies, a farmer came into the pen.
Week! Get out of here, you! Stop trying to ruin our holiday fun!
You didn't have to tell me twice. I made my way back toward the caves, and after making sure there weren't any more spiders waiting for me, I crawled into one to rest. I found some logs, sticks, and charcoal, and crafted and placed a campfire to get warm. As I settled in, I thought about Max the dog again. What's the point of stealing Christmas without my best friend? I have to find him and get him back so we can pull off the holiday heist of the century. On day 2, I woke up and went out of the cave. I made it through the first day, but if I was going to keep surviving, I needed to find a safe place to hide out. But I didn't want to stay somewhere that the bad snowmen might come looking for me again. I decided that, whether they liked it or not, I should camp out closer to that village. That way, I'd have lots of people who would also see the snowmen coming. But I couldn't set up right in the village either. If I was too close, people like that farmer might get mad and chase me out of town. Then I'd have to start all over. I decided to have a look around and see what was right by the village. It turned out that there was a mountain right next to the village, and from the top of the mountain, I could see the villagers down below. Perfect. Not too close, but not too far, and not out by those dangerous snowy caves where the snowmen found me before. This is it. This is where I'll build my base. But before I could build it, I needed some tools. I made myself a crafting table and crafted a wooden pickaxe. Next, I took that pickaxe and mined some stones. Awesome, now I can make stone tools. I made a pickaxe, an axe, a shovel, and a sword. Then I got to work gathering some more wood so I could build my base. All the way up here, on the edge of a cliff, it was going to be kind of tricky to build, but I knew I could do it. While I was working, I saw a figure approaching me. It looked like a villager. I'm just building a base. I'm not here to steal from you. But as they got closer, I realized it was a pillager instead, and he shot an arrow at me. Oh, no you don't. I drew my sword and managed to fight him off. Then I chased him away from my base for good measure. As I was walking back to my base, I saw that someone had dropped some cookies and left a chest in the middle of the forest. The chest had a bunch of supplies in it. These aren't mine. It would be selfish to take them. But I am the Grinch after all. It started to get dark and began to snow, so I settled in for a good night's rest. I'll get even more done tomorrow. On day 3, I woke up knowing that I needed to get more supplies. I looked all over the mountain, but I couldn't find anything useful. So I decided to sneak back down into the nearby village instead. If the villagers are going to treat me like a criminal because I'm the Grinch, then I guess I'd better start stealing. I decided to go to a different village than the one right below my base, just in case they caught me and chased me back home. Instead, I went to the next village over and started sneaking through town looking for supplies to snatch. But as I entered the village, I heard someone scream. Help! I did see something though, a horde of zombies attacking the village. No wonder someone was screaming. Get back, undead creeps! I drew my sword and started swinging, fighting off the green ghouls. A little girl appeared on top of a nearby building, holding a bow and arrow. She started firing arrows at the zombies, and between her arrows and my sword, we drove all of those nasty undead back out of town. She came to greet me. Thanks for the help.
Sure. My name is Cindy Lou Who. What's yours?
Zozo, but you can call me Mr. Grinch. Say, have you seen any bad snowmen around here, or just these zombies?
The snowmen came yesterday. They took a whole bunch of people with them. My family, too. I don't know who they're working for, but they keep kidnapping people and destroying our town.
That must have been what happened to her parents. Come back to my base with me. We can hide out and stay safe while we figure out who those bad snowmen are working for. On days 4 to 5, Cindy and I worked on the base together. We demolished the previous starter house I made and built a bigger house. I even added a loft where Cindy could live, but it still wasn't completely finished. We needed to strengthen our security to keep safe, just in case the snowmen came back, or something else found us. And whoever was ordering them around, the big bad who took Max, was probably way tougher than them.
I'm getting pretty hungry. Could we look for some food?
Great idea. Me too. I think I saw some apple trees down this way. Help me pick some. I've got some other supplies we can use to make a pie.
I love pie.
Who doesn't? Cindy and I found a whole bunch of apple trees and started picking the fruit to take back to our base. As we were gathering apples, we suddenly heard a howl. What was that? Cindy and I both looked around and saw a pack of feral wolves closing in around us. Cindy was so much more defenseless than me, I couldn't let the wolves get to her. Quick, Cindy, climb this tree and get to safety. I'll handle these wolves.
I can use my bow and arrows from up there too.
Cindy climbed up out of reach and started firing arrows at the wolves. I helped out with my sword from down on the ground, and together we were able to defeat the wolves. As Cindy climbed back down from the tree, I noticed something shiny on the ground. A bottle. One of the wolves must have been carrying this in its mouth. It's a potion of healing. Yes. Sweet. I grabbed it, and together Cindy and I took all of our apples back to the base.
We're going to need to find a way to keep danger away from our base. I think I might have an idea. But first, let's eat.
On days 6 to 8, Cindy and I started to get really hungry again. We can't live on apples forever. We need to find another food source.
Oh, I know what we can do. We had cows and chickens back in my village. No one's using them right now. We should go get them.
Oh, great. Let's make some pens for them first. We worked together to build the pens, 2 for the chickens and a big one for the cows. We even added a small farm to feed the animals. Then, we headed back down to Cindy's village to round up the animals. As we were working hard to herd the animals in the right direction, which was much more difficult than I expected, I heard a voice yelling at us.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch, but you're no match for me. Better come willingly if you ever want to see your dog Max again.
What? Who's talking about my best friend Max? I looked up, but I couldn't see anyone. I could just hear them.
Wait, look!
Cindy pointed, and I saw a huge Jabberwock looking down at us from the top of a tall tree. You took Max?
My friends call me Steve, and my enemies call me Evil Steve. I took your little dog, and Cindy's parents too. And I won't stop there. You think you can steal Christmas? Try doing that when there is no one left to celebrate it. I'm taking them all, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Next, I'll take you too.
The Jabberwock jumped down from the tree and landed hard in front of us. The force from his blow knocked my sword right out of my hand. Oh no, what should I do? This isn't the kind of reindeer I thought I'd be meeting as the Grinch. I ran after the sword, and Cindy followed me. Evil Steve just stood there laughing, and we knew we weren't strong enough to beat him. Not yet. I grabbed my sword, and we ran back to the base. Evil Steve didn't chase us, but we knew it wasn't the last we'd seen of him. Next time, we'd have to make sure we were ready, so we could defeat him and set everyone free. Maybe I can be the Grinch who saved Christmas instead. On days 9 to 10, Cindy could tell I was getting discouraged. I was feeling pretty scared after our encounter with Evil Steve, and pretty worried that I wouldn't be able to get Max back.
It'll be okay, Zozo. I think if we work hard, we can get strong enough to beat him, to rescue Max and my parents and everyone else.
How? He's so big, and we're so small.
I know you don't think you can be a hero like this, but you helped me with the zombies and again with the wolves. Together, we can do anything. Tell me more about Max. You'd do anything to get him back, right?
Well, he's the most loyal dog in the world. No matter what, he sticks by my side and helps me with whatever I want to do. He was even willing to be a reindeer and pull my sleigh to steal Christmas, even though he's so small and the sleigh would be so big. I just wish I'd told him thank you more before he was missing.
I have an idea I think might help cheer you up. Let's build a statue of Max together to show him how much you appreciate him and to welcome him to the base.
We talked it out near a forest and decided to clear out an area to make room for the statue. After that was done, we started construction on the Max statue. We worked all day, and by the time we were finished, we had the bed Max would sit on, only much bigger. We're off to a great start.
We are, but it's starting to get dark. I think we should build some torches to keep any enemies from coming up to the base while we're sleeping. That was my idea from before. I almost forgot in all of the excitement.
Great idea. I don't know what I'd do without you, Cindy. I proceeded to quickly craft some torches and place them around the base. On the night of day 11, I had the strangest dream. I saw a very little reindeer grazing by a stream with a herd of other reindeer. As he ate the grass, an evil wizard approached the herd of reindeer.
Hello, little reindeer. Nice stream you've got here. It's a shame it's in the way of where I'm going to put my castle. You all need to leave, or perish.
But this is our home.
Too bad. Get out of here, or I'll make you go.
The reindeer were terrified and confused. They didn't want to leave.
Please, put your castle somewhere else. It's Christmas. Where are we supposed to go?
No, and I don't care. I need my castle here for my grand Christmas party, and none of you are invited. For your insolence, I will turn you all into frogs.
And the wizard cast an evil spell, transforming every reindeer in sight into frogs. But the littlest reindeer ran away before he could be cursed too. He ran and ran and ran to a nearby village.
Please, help me. An evil wizard turned my family into frogs.
But none of the villagers would listen to him. They closed their doors and locked him out. He cried and wandered into the forest, looking for a way to become strong enough to go back and defeat the evil wizard. He came across a deep dark cave and found a podium. A sign next to it said, "Drink this to become stronger than your enemies." There was a bottle of dark purple potion. The little reindeer drank the entire bottle. Then he transformed into a great, big Jabberwock. He ran back to the evil wizard, who had now built his castle in the reindeer's old home.
Remember me?
He defeated the evil wizard and made him run out of the castle, taking it for himself.
But I'm still not happy. I could never forgive the villagers for leaving me alone to face this evil force. I will never forgive them. Somehow, I will find a way to get my revenge.
And then I woke up. I couldn't explain why, but somehow I knew that what I had seen was real. I told Cindy all about it, and she agreed. On days 13 to 15, I went back to Cindy's village to get some more animals and herd them back to our base. The chickens Cindy got seemed pretty lonely, and we were both getting really hungry. So I herded some chickens and cows back to the base. Then I went back to the village again for some sheep and pigs. Here, piggies. Here, sheep. But the animals started running away, like they were scared of something. I looked up, and there were those zombies again. There were even more of them than before, and this time I didn't have Cindy and her bow and arrow to help me out. But I stood my ground instead of running away. I pulled out my sword to face them. Come and get it, zombies! As they approached, I took them down one by one. I don't have time for this. I have to help my friend, get back her parents, and rescue my dog. Get out of this village, now! As I defeated the zombies, I felt a surge of bravery and strength coursing through my veins, and I felt my heart grow in size. I'd gained 2 hearts too. As I looked down at my Grinch fingers, I noticed that they had gotten long, pointier, and claw-like. This made my attacks even faster. I'll be able to defeat Evil Steve in no time. I can't wait to show Cindy. On days 16 to 19, I brought the sheep and pigs back to the base, and I showed Cindy my new fighting skill.
That's amazing!
Now I just need to find some materials to upgrade our weapons. Then we can really make some progress.
I'll get the animals settled, and you can start mining.
With our plans sorted out, I started digging into a cave system and mining for materials. I found some iron. Nice! Now I can make iron tools. As I was gathering the iron, I spotted a little bunny. Aw, hi bunny! But as I got closer, I realized that this was no ordinary bunny. It had red eyes and was coming at me fast. It was a killer bunny. Oh geez, not now! Well, I guess it's time to test out my new abilities. The killer bunny leapt at me and attacked, but I was ready for it. I was here to steal Christmas, but I guess I can take on Easter too. I fought back, blocking the bunny and sending it flying back a few steps. It came at me again, but I swung my new long fingers and knocked it away. With a bit of time to gather myself, I pulled out my sword and slashed it back and forth until the killer bunny got scared and ran out of the mine and off into the woods. Hop along now, little bunny. Go pick on someone a little less awesome. Now, let me grab this iron. I took the iron back to my base, smelted it, and made a full set of iron armor and tools for me and Cindy. On days 20 to 22, I woke up to the sound of Cindy calling for me.
Zozo, Mr. Grinch, We need to get ready. Are you here?
I'm up. What's going on? I ran outside to see Cindy standing with an old man I hadn't seen before.
Mr. Zozo Grinch, Evil Steve is on his way here right now.
How do you know that?
Because I just managed to escape from his castle, and I wanted to get back and find my granddaughter. I'm afraid I must have led him right to you.
Wait, are you Cindy's grandfather?
I am, but we don't have time for proper introductions. You need to get ready. I will do my best to help you fight him off, but I'm not a very strong fighter.
If he's headed this way, then I'll meet him before he gets to the base. There's no time to waste. I grabbed my new iron sword and pulled on my brand new armor. I ran ahead, following the sound of Evil Steve's big, booming footsteps. There you are. I'm stronger than I was before. I'm not scared of you.
You should be. You think a little more training and a simple iron sword will be enough? You're a fool. You're a bad banana with a greasy peel.
Taking innocent dogs and villagers won't make up for what that wizard did to your family. Can't you find someone to turn them back into reindeer and just leave everyone else alone?
It's too late for that. There will be no stopping me. I'm going to take all of the villagers from every village around here, throw them in my dungeon, then go through their homes and take all of their food and holiday presents for myself. None of them deserve to celebrate.
So, you're trying to steal Christmas? That's my thing. Before I could say anything else, he was swiping at me with those big Jabberwock claws. But my armor protected me, and I fought back with my new sword. He dodged, but I got a few good hits in too.
This is a waste of time. You haven't seen the last of me.
And he disappeared back into the trees. Sure, I didn't defeat him, and I didn't have Max back yet, but I could tell he was a little bit scared this time. He may have been big and bad, but with some more time and training, I could be even badder. On days 23 to 26, Cindy and I returned to our abandoned village to look for materials that might help us defeat Evil Steve. Anything he could have left behind, or any extra supplies that might help us upgrade our weapons, our armor, or our base. While we were searching an empty house, I found a crossbow. Wow, this will really come in handy if I need to do some ranged attacks. And look, here are some fireworks to use as ammunition. That's some real firepower.
What's this over here?
Cindy was standing by a bookshelf where one of the books had fallen onto the ground. I picked it up and read it. If you are liking the video so far, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what adventure you think we should go on next. Weird, must be some kind of secret code or something. Let's keep looking. On days 27 to 31, Cindy and I went back to the base, and I started doing more work on the statue of Max. After that fight with Evil Steve and the exhausting search for more supplies, I needed something to get my spirits up. This looks pretty good so far, but I think it's missing something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. We need some oak planks to make this really perfect. There's some down by the beach.
Great, you keep working here, and I'll go to the beach. I made the journey to the beach based on Cindy's directions. And when I got there and started looking for oak trees, a tarantula crawled out of its home and attacked me. Hey, whoa, I'm just here for some oak trees. I don't want any trouble. But the tarantula didn't listen to me and just kept attacking. It bit me. Ow, stop it, that hurts. Let me get the oak logs and I'll be out of your way. It bit me again and I started getting pretty mad. Okay, if that's how you want to do this. I grabbed my iron sword and slashed at the tarantula, knocking it away before it could bite me again. It skittered away, leaving me alone once and for all. Finally, now let's see about that oak tree. I gathered all the blocks I needed for the statue and headed back to the base to help Cindy keep building. On days 32 to 35, I was heading back to my base when suddenly I saw a moose charging right at me, its antlers lowered to strike. Hey, I'm just walking here. I dove out of the way, but the moose just turned around and started to charge me again. What did I ever do to you? This time, I climbed a tree and pulled out my new crossbow. I shot a firework toward the moose, and when it exploded, it scared the moose so badly it jumped up into the air. Then it ran away without another look.
Wow, that was impressive.
Who said that? I looked around but couldn't see anyone.
Down here.
Below the tree, poking out of a hole, was a mouse.
Say, if you're a big mighty hero, would you help me with something?
What is it?
This awful Jabberwock stole a present I got from my mother. Could you help me get it back?
I'm trying to defeat him anyway. Where is it?
I heard he has a bunch of his stolen loot stashed on an island nearby in a treasure chest. He keeps it there until it's time to bring it all to his castle.
Don't worry, I'll get the present back. On days 36 to 39, I traveled to the island that the mouse had told me about. I used a raft to get across the water, and thankfully nothing attacked me on the way. When I finally made it to the island, I could see the treasure chest, but I could also see something else. There were soul vultures above the treasure chest, guarding it from anyone looking to take it. Oh no, what should I do about them? There's no way I can get the present back if they're up there waiting for me. What can I do? Should I try to use my crossbow to fight them off? Or should I try to sneak onto the island and use my long Grinch fingers to grab the treasure chest without them noticing? There are a lot of them. I think I'd rather do the second one if I can. But I'll bring my weapons, just in case. On days 40 to 43, I hopped off my raft and got up onto the island without the soul vultures seeing me. I tiptoed onto the sand as carefully and quietly as I could and crawled along the ground toward the treasure chest. I stretched my fingers and grabbed the items from the treasure chest. Success! The soul vultures were still above me and hadn't seen a thing.
Psst, excuse me.
I turned and saw a mouse in a little cage behind me.
The key to this cage was in that treasure chest. Could you help me out?
Yes, but we will have to move fast. I pulled the key out, then unlocked the cage and released the mouse.
No, thank you so much.
Quick, let's get out of here. I went back to the raft and the mouse followed me as well. The soul vultures finally realized what had happened, but we were long gone and paddling back across the water. And for some reason, the crabs started dancing as if they were happy for the soul vultures' misfortune. I brought the contents of the treasure chest back to the first mouse I met.
Amazing, thank you. Now I can give my mother her hat. Oh, and you can keep all the pies I made in exchange for saving me.
Yum, thank you. I know the Grinch is supposed to be mean, but sometimes being nice can be pretty sweet.
On days 44 to 49, I made it back to the base. I finally gave Cindy the oak logs, and she helped me add it to the next part of the statue. It's really starting to look like Max. I think this will be a great present. Next, we built some guard towers for the base. Now that Evil Steve knew where to find us, we had to be sure to be extra careful. With these new towers, if he tries to come back and mess with us, he won't know what hit him. On days 50 to 53, Evil Steve struck again when we were least expecting it.
We meet again, Zozo. Aren't you happy to see me? I see that you've been accepting guests lately. Got any room for me and my friends, the stone monsters?
Oh no, it looks like he really does have an army of stone monsters. My crossbow bolts will probably bounce right off of them. Cindy Lou, take your grandpa and hide in the base. It's too dangerous for you to be out here.
But Zozo.
Just go, it's okay. I can handle myself. Cindy and her grandpa ran back to the base. I had to buy them some time.
Either you let us in, or we'll bring you and your friends back to my castle. We have plenty of room for our new guests.
We're staying exactly where we are, Evil Steve. You really think you're better at stealing than the Grinch?
No, but I'm better at kidnapping. Get 'em, boys.
That's when the stone monsters came at me. I'm so glad I made those iron weapons and tools, or I would have never stood a chance. They came at me one by one, and I struck at them with my sword until they were either knocked down or ran away. But wait, where's Evil Steve?
Zozo, help me.
Cindy Lou, I'm on my way. I ran inside and found Cindy Lou crying. She seemed really upset.
Zozo, Evil Steve came in here. He took my grandpa. I don't know what to do.
It's okay, Cindy. We'll get him back, no matter what. I went outside of the base, and that's when the last few stone monsters attacked. They'd just been a distraction, while Evil Steve kidnapped Cindy Lou's grandpa. I defeated the last few stone monsters with my sword, and I got another upgrade. I worked my way up to 7 hearts and got a new skill, Grinch Sneak. Because the Grinch is so good at sneaking around, I'll be able to sneak into places without being found. You'll never see me coming, Evil Steve. On days 54 to 57, I decided our base needed better security. We don't want any repeats of last time, and it made sense. After all, the Grinch doesn't like visitors. For my security system, I decided to go classic, a massive fence. But it's not like Evil Steve would be afraid of a little fence. I needed to get serious. That's why I added more guard towers. Now that's a Grinchy security system. After that, I decided I needed a little more information about what Evil Steve was planning. If I was going to steal back Cindy Lou's grandpa, I couldn't go in unprepared. That's why I went back to the plains to talk to the mouse I helped out earlier. Hey, Mr. Mouse, Evil Steve kidnapped my friend's grandpa and my dog Max. I want to help get them back, along with all other kidnapped people. Do you have any idea what he's planning?
Well, I've always tried to avoid Evil Steve myself, with him being evil and all, but I know every year he hosts a big Christmas party, and he makes all his prisoners go, whether they want to or not. If you're planning on sneaking in, that'll probably be the best time.
Now there's an idea. Maybe stealing Evil Steve's Christmas wouldn't be such a bad thing. On days 58 to 62, I decided it was time to upgrade my armor. Iron was fine and all, but for going after the big boss, I needed something serious. That's right, it's time for the Grinch to get his long, grinchy hands on some diamond armor and weapons. But getting your hands on diamond armor isn't easy. I found a huge dark cave and decided to explore it, but eventually I got to a dead end. Well, I guess sometimes the only way to go is down. I started mining deep into the ground with my iron pickaxe. That's when I discovered an even deeper part of the cave, where lava was flowing. But hey look, there's a diamond deposit. You know what they say, diamonds are Grinch's best friend. At least, I think that's the expression. The last thing I expected was for this cave to be haunted. A ghost ancient warrior popped out of the wall and started attacking me. I'm sorry for disturbing your burial grounds. I just wanted some diamonds, I swear. But he didn't listen to reason. He kept attacking me, so I needed to pull out my sword and defend myself. I've been fired my crossbow a few times. I've heard of ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, but this is something else. Thankfully, I'm a much stronger fighter than I used to be. I kept fighting back until the ancient warrior ghost disappeared. But he didn't just disappear, he dropped a potion too. Potion of swiftness. That'll come in handy later. Don't mind if I do. I mined my diamonds and headed back to my base. That's where I made what I'd set out to make. A full set of diamond armor and a sword to match. Merry Christmas to me! On days 63 to 66, I carried on working on the statue of Max. It reminded me of what was most important, getting Max and Cindy Lou's grandpa, and everyone else, back safely for Christmas. But my statue of Max was looking a little sad. It needed something. But what? Oh, I know! Max always loved chasing a ball around. I should add a ball to the statue. I started making a nice red ball right in front of the statue of Max. It looked as if he was looking at it cheerfully. That's the Max I remember. When I get him back, I'm gonna play ball with him for hours. And if you want hours of fun too, then you should subscribe to Zozo and check out all of our fun Minecraft adventures. I love reading all of your awesome comments too. On days 67 to 70, it was finally time to stage my first rescue mission. The mouse told me that Evil Steve keeps all of his prisoners in his massive castle. If Max and Cindy Lou's grandpa are gonna be going to any Christmas parties this year, it'll be mine. Whoa, look at that castle. It's so creepy. Why would anyone want to go to a Christmas party in there? Uh-oh, looks like he's got some more minions outside. Are those undead warriors? They make zombies look like sweet old grandmas in comparison. Evil Steve doesn't mess around when it comes to home defense. Maybe I should get some of those for my base. But I needed to worry about that later. How can I fight my way in? If I just go in, swords blazing, I might have attracted too much attention. I need to create a distraction. This is where my crossbow came in. I aimed it carefully from a hidden position and fired a bolt at a random corner of the castle walls. That got their attention. Then, I needed to move fast. Lucky for me, I had a potion of swiftness. While the undead warriors were on their way over, I took the potion and then used my Grinch sneak skill to slip right past them and made my way into the castle, right under their nose. Now I'm really living up to my Grinchy reputation. On days 71 to 74, I made my way deeper into Evil Steve's castle. It was somehow even creepier on the inside. After exploring for a bit, I opened a door at the end of the hall, and behind the door was a bunch of undead warriors waiting for me. Guess those undead warriors were way smarter than I gave them credit for. I'm totally surrounded. Do you think we can just talk this out? The undead warriors didn't feel like talking. Actually, I don't even know if they can talk, but they sure can fight. I pulled out my diamond sword and went toe-to-toe with Evil Steve's undead warrior security force. They jumped at me one by one, and every single one of them gave me a run for my money. By the time I'd finally defeated them all, I was exhausted, but I also noticed one of them drop something, an antler headdress. Wow, this suits my style perfectly. I'm gonna look so cool. Not only was the antler headdress a strong fashion statement, it also gave me increased knockbacks on my attacks, an additional half a heart, and healed me when I was in a pinch. But personally, I think the coolest part of it all was that I'd have antlers, just like Evil Steve. I was so obsessed with my cool new hat that I almost didn't notice the giant door at the end of the hall. That looks like the door to the dungeon. Don't worry everybody, Zozo is coming to save you. On days 75 to 78, I finally broke into the dungeon in Evil Steve's castle. It was huge. I couldn't even count how many villagers he had packed into cells. I even recognized the farmer who'd chased me off on my first day.
Help me, Zozo. You gotta get us all out of here, please.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get you all out of here. But we need to be careful. Evil Steve could be anywhere around here. The farmer dropped a potion of healing, and suddenly I could hear Evil Steve. Oh no!
You're right, Zozo. I could be anywhere.
Of course, he's right behind me. That's the exact kind of luck that the Grinch would have.
You fell right into my trap, Zozo. I bet you're here for your precious little dog, aren't you?
I'm here for everybody, but yes, of course I want Max back.
Then you'll have to go through me, you grinchy little fool.
That's when Evil Steve swiped at me with his huge, curved, Jabberwock claws. He was so much stronger and faster than any of his minions. I could see why he runs the show around here. He hit me so hard, I lost a few hearts. That put me in real trouble. But wait, I remember now. I have the healing potion. Bottoms up. Recharged, I pulled out my diamond sword and ran at him. Evil Steve was shocked at how strong I had gotten. That'd teach him to look down on me. I told you I was a mean one, Evil Steve, and I bet you believe me now. But I shouldn't have been so confident, because everything was about to get much harder. On days 79 to 84, Evil Steve stopped attacking and seemed like he wanted to talk.
It seems I underestimated you, Zozo, but don't worry. I won't make that mistake again. Bear witness to my true power.
I've beaten all your guys, Evil Steve, and I'll beat you too.
Huh, I wouldn't be so sure.
I could see everyone cowering in their cells, so I knew I was about to see something really, really scary. And Evil Steve didn't disappoint. He grew larger. He barely fit into the room. His claws were almost the size of me. One strike with those, even wearing my diamond armor, I'd be done for. I tried hitting him with my diamond sword, but he didn't even flinch. He started laughing hysterically, as if I had just tickled him.
You thought you could mess with me and get away with it? You thought you could steal my party guest, my Christmas? You made a mistake, Zozo, but don't worry, it's the last mistake you'll ever make.
He jumped forward and swung one of his claws. The might of his claws almost knocked me out. There was no way I could save anyone from him in this state. I'm so sorry, guys, but I've got to go. He's too powerful. I promise I'll come back for you soon. And as I ran away, all of the villagers were looking at me while Evil Steve laughed. I felt terrible. It was like I had let everyone down. On days 85 to 89, I went back to my base. A failure. I didn't know if I'd ever be strong enough to face Evil Steve. Forget stealing Christmas. There's not even gonna be a Christmas. All thanks to Evil Steve. But that's when Cindy Lou approached me, and she was carrying a book.
It's a multi-shot enchantment book. With this, your crossbow will fire 3 shots at once, so it'll be 3 times as powerful.
But Cindy Lou, don't you get it? I'm not strong enough to beat Evil Steve. It's over. I failed, no matter how cool my crossbow is.
That's not true, Zozo. You're smart and kind, even for a Grinch. And I know you want to get Max and my grandpa and everyone else back. One way or another, you'll figure it out. I believe in you.
And that was exactly what I needed to hear. In that moment, I knew I could save everyone. Maybe I could even save Evil Steve. But there were a few final things I needed to do first. I finished the Max statue, finishing off the antler I tied to the top of his head. He looked exactly like I wanted him to, and I just knew when Max saw the finished statue, he'd be amazed. And then there was one last thing I could do that might give me an advantage against Evil Steve. To defeat him, I needed to talk to the guy who made him the way he was. The Evil Wizard. Found him out next to a frozen lake, living in a beat-up old shack rather than a big castle. I asked him if he knew anything that might help me stop Evil Steve.
Well, if you want to change his tune, your best bet will be returning him to his original reindeer form.
But how would I do that?
There's a potion of form reversion, but the only one I know about is hidden in the ancient tomb and guarded by the Vex.
Then I guess I'm going to the ancient tomb. On days 90 to 94, under the instructions of the Evil Wizard, I went to the ancient tomb in search of the potion of form reversion. It's so spooky in here. I wonder what that Vex thing the Evil Wizard mentioned is. And that's when I found out. The Vex flew straight towards me, carrying a spectral sword. He was as fast as he was scary, but thanks to Cindy Lou, I had my special crossbow. A few well-placed shots, and he was down. I guess you weren't so tough after all, Vex. I found the potion of form reversion on a stand at the back of the ancient tomb. Looks like I finally had the secret ingredient to change everything. Hope you're ready for a Christmas you'll never forget, Evil Steve. On days 95 to 97, Cindy Lou helped me make a few final adjustments. We applied the sharpness enchantment to my diamond sword just so it'd pack that extra punch. We also prepared a few extra potions, including the potion of healing and the potion of strength.
I wouldn't want to take you on now, Zozo.
On day 98, it was almost time to finally go and take down Evil Steve for good. But first, I had one more important thing to do. Eat a balanced breakfast. After all, to fight a final battle, you need energy. and you get energy by eating right. Did you know you can also get an energy boost from typing ZOZO on YouTube and finding all of our videos? And be sure to leave a comment telling us what character or creature you'd like to see me play next. I love reading your suggestions. On day 99, it was time for the final battle. I returned to Evil Steve's castle, armed and loaded with every weapon, enchantment, and potion I'd gathered over my time here. Alright, Evil Steve, time for you to find out what I'm really made of. I used my Grinch sneak ability to get back into the castle without being found. Evil Steve never seems to run out of undeath warriors. Hope you guys don't mind if I just slip by without saying hi. I knew my way around since I got in last time, and I used my sneak ability and found my way to the dungeon room immediately. I knew that Evil Steve would be waiting for me, so I quickly drank a strength potion and ran straight into the main room of the dungeon.
You're back, Zozo. Ready to be defeated again?
Not this time, Evil Steve. I'm a whole new Grinch. The time was right. I went through my final upgrade into Super Grinch. My hearts really did grow 3 sizes that day, because now I had 30, as well as being bigger, faster, and stronger than ever before.
You're getting uninvited for my Christmas party for this, Zozo.
That's okay, Evil Steve. You're still invited to mine. And so the fight began. He was fast and strong for sure, but in my current form, we were finally evenly matched. I took my potions of healing and strength, and they kept me fighting fit. It's over, Evil Steve. You can't win this. With a few hits from my diamond sword, Evil Steve was cornered, and I had my trump card left over, the form of reversion potion. Time to take your medicine, Evil Steve. I gave him the potion, and in the instant, he transformed back into the reindeer he once was.
Wow, I finally feel like myself again. I don't feel like being so evil anymore.
Glad to hear it, Steve. How about you help me free all these prisoners then? I'd like my dog back, Cindy Lou wants her grandpa back, and everyone else just wants to go home.
Yes, Zozo, of course. Now where did I put that key?
With Evil Steve turned back into a reindeer again, and becoming regular nice Steve, he returned to his home and seemed happy to be back to normal. I finally did steal Christmas, and also stole back all of the villagers, and Max, and Cindy Lou's grandpa, and everyone else. We all celebrated Christmas together, and had an awesome time. I may not have been that great as the Grinch, but at least I had a wonderful Christmas.
On day 1, I woke up in a basket floating down a river. Whoa, where am I? Who am I? The basket washed up on the edge of the river and I hopped onto the shore. That's when I noticed I had a cane in my hand. I took a closer look. The cane of Moses, a reminder of his parents. I'm Moses, but I'm just a baby with 3 hearts. At least my parents gave me this cool cane that doesn't seem to have any special powers. I wonder where they are. Just then, I heard a splash in the water behind me and a crocodile came jumping out of the water. Ah, I gotta go. A giant crocodile like that could eat a baby like me in one bite. As I ran into the desert, I soon climbed a hill, finding a small village on the other side. A village! I'll bet there's someone here who can help me find my parents. As I ran into the village, I noticed there didn't seem to be anyone around. Hello? Anyone? Can anyone hear me? Hello? I had run through the whole village, but nobody was here. Another mystery to solve. It was soon getting late, so I decided that I'd spend the night here. Maybe I could find out what was going on tomorrow. On day 2, I woke up to the silence of the abandoned village. If I'm gonna find out where everyone went, I need to be prepared. The house I was in needed some repairs, so I headed over to the trees to get myself some wood. Using the wood I had gathered, I made myself a stone pickaxe as well as some wood slabs. Then I used the wood slabs to fill in the roof. Next up, more tools. I headed over to a nearby hill and used my pickaxe to gather limestone that could be used to make limestone tools. As I was mining though, a husk suddenly appeared at the top of the hill. Oh no, I don't have any weapons yet. I hurried and put together a crafting table, then used that to craft a limestone sword. I turned around just in time. The husk and I had a fearsome battle and he brought me down to half a heart. Armed with my sword though, I was able to deliver the final blow. That's what you get for trying to mess with me. It was at that moment that I realized I didn't have any food. I had seen a wheat field earlier, so I built myself a bridge across the river so I could go to it. I was pretty sure I couldn't swim. I was just a baby after all. With my stomach growling, I quickly started harvesting as much wheat as I could. Suddenly, I heard something rustling in the wheat behind me and turned to see a hippo. Ah! Oh wait, you're just a baby, like me. What's your name? Just then, I heard a terrifying sound and turned to see an adult hippo looking right at me.
Get away from my little brother!
He looked angry, and I still only had half of a heart. I had to get out of there. I ran back across my bridge, breaking a couple blocks behind me. Once I had gotten away, I hurried and made myself some bread. Bread has never tasted so good. Later that evening, I heard a sound outside my window. When I looked outside, the baby hippo from before was out there.
Hey, I'm sorry to bug you, but I wanted to apologize for earlier. My brother Hugo is kind of intense.
I hopped down the side of the building. That's okay. He really scared me. You seem nice though.
I try to be. My name is Harry. Here, I brought you some fish to say sorry. I'll see you around.
I thanked him for the fish and quickly got them cooking in the furnace so they could be ready for the next day. Then I used some of my remaining limestone to finish making a set of limestone tools. On day 3, I woke up in the middle middle of the night to the sound of footsteps. The villagers, they must be back. I hurried down the ladder to greet them when I was suddenly swarmed by a group of husks. Oh no, I forgot to fix the door. The husks tried to surround me as I ran out of the house. I could fight one of them off, but it wasn't looking like I could handle a whole group of them. Just as all hope was lost, Hugo came charging in to help. In no time, he managed to fight off all of the husks. Wow, you saved me. Thank you.
No problem. Harry told me he stopped by and said you were a nice guy. Sorry for scaring you earlier.
That's okay. Those husks should have been more scared. Feel free to stop by anytime. After Hugo had left, I suddenly felt more strength returning to my limbs, and I grew into a teenager. And now I have 7 hearts. The next day, I was walking around the edge of town when I saw someone taking a look at the basket I had spawned in. Just then, the crocodile that had attacked me showed up again, catching her off guard. Hang on, I'll help you. I ran over to her and started fighting off the crocodile. With my new strength, I was much better suited for this fight. I kept swinging my sword and was able to take him out.
Wow, nice moves. I thought I was a goner for sure.
I'm happy to help. Say, I was hoping you might be able to help me with something. The village over there is completely empty. Do you know what happened to everyone?
Oh, yes, the people that used to live here. They're gone.
Yeah, do you know where?
Yeah, I do. They moved.
Oh, really? All of them? Something bad must have happened.
No, not bad. They all live in the city now. My dad is actually the pharaoh there. Speaking of, you should come live in the city. It's really not safe out here.
I agreed, and she showed me the way. I was getting tired of being attacked by crocodiles and husks every day. On days 4 to 5, the princess and I arrived at the big city. The princess, whose name was Nubia, showed me around. Wow, this city is huge. It must have taken a long time for you guys to build everything. Nubia simply nodded as we walked closer to the palace. She was taking me to meet the pharaoh. As I entered the throne room, I could see the pharaoh sitting on his throne.
Nubia, welcome home. And who do we have here?
Father, I wanted you to meet Zozo. I was attacked by a crocodile, and he saved me when I thought all hope was lost.
Nubia, what have I told you about wandering along the river? Thank goodness young Zozo was here to save you. Zozo, I am in your debt. Please, let me settle it by giving you a place to stay here in our prosperous city.
Wow, that would be amazing. This is a beautiful city.
I will give you one of our finest rooms. You can live next door to my son. Ramses, come say hello to our new friend.
Ramses came running over with 2 servants behind him.
I heard you saved my sister. Nice going. Although, don't get too comfortable. She's always needing someone to bail her out.
Nubia rolled her eyes as the pharaoh led us out to a balcony overlooking the city.
This city is my pride and joy. As our newest citizen, I just want to make sure you understand its history. Many years ago, I was born to rule and lead these people. If not for me, this place would be a disaster. So anyone who lives here should be happy and grateful to be here.
I nodded, but man, this guy really seemed full of himself. But I did appreciate having a place to stay. I couldn't wait to meet all the happy people in the kingdom.
Nubia, please, show Zozo around the city so he can see everything I've accomplished. Ramses, you join them. Go on.
Ramses, Nubia, and I left the palace, and they began to show me around. There were some really amazing things to see. There were monuments, statues, and lots of buildings. This was some of the best building I had ever seen. Wow, I can't believe your dad was able to build all of this. That's really impressive.
Well, he didn't actually build it himself. The people from the desert villages built a lot of it.
Yeah, but if Dad wouldn't have given them direction and a place to live, they would have been miserable. They're much happier here.
We continued the tour, but I started to notice that most of the people didn't seem to look very happy. In fact, I thought all of them looked like they were hungry. I wasn't so sure about all of this. At the end of the day, Ramses showed me to my room. It was a lot nicer than the rooms of the people we had passed. He told me to get some rest, as tomorrow there was a special show scheduled that he thought I'd enjoy. I headed over to the bed and laid down for the night. On day 6 through 8, I followed Nubia and Ramses out of the palace and to the city coliseum. Ramses seemed pretty excited about the special show we were going to. We soon reached the VIP booth where the pharaoh was already seated.
You can take my seat, Zozo. I like to get close to the action.
As I sat, I noticed that Nubia didn't seem very happy to be here, but she didn't say anything. Just then, a door in the arena opened and a gladiator came walking into the arena as the crowd cheered. Were we about to watch some kind of fight? Then the door on the opposite side opened and a giant hippo entered the arena. Is that Hugo? Hugo was chained to a post and the gladiator started to attack him. The crowd began to cheer. What is he doing? He's going to hurt him.
Yes, my boy, that is the point. That's our strongest warrior down there, giving us all a little entertainment after a long week's work.
But it's not even a fair fight. Hugo's chained to the post. He can barely fight back.
Hugo, don't tell me you've named the beast.
He's no beast. He's my friend. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I thought I saw Nubia give me a small grin as I jumped down into the arena. I ran up to the gladiator and hit him with my sword.
What the? Where did this keep come from?
My hit had managed to distract the gladiator for just a second, which let Hugo start to get some hits in. With the gladiator distracted, I quickly broke the post he was chained to, then jumped on his back.
Enough!
Several pillars rose up from the ground as the pharaoh rose from his seat.
Zozo, we opened our homes to you out of the kindness of our hearts, and this This is how you repay us? If you won't accept us, then we can never accept you. Leave now, or my gladiator will destroy you. You are hereby banished.
This hippo is my friend. I can't support someone who would hurt him for their own entertainment. I'm sorry. I turned and rode out of the city on Hugo's back. How was I going to survive now? On days 9 through 10, I was wandering in the desert. Hugo had told me to stay with him, but I couldn't risk putting him in danger, so I continued on alone. But I couldn't feel too bad for myself, as I was suddenly attacked by a pack of hyenas. I'm definitely not in the city anymore. Get back, you fiends! The hyenas snapped at me, but I managed to hit them enough to keep them all away from me. I better hurry and find some place to set up camp. It's starting to get hot out here. Lucky for me, I soon came across some old ruins. There are all kinds of cool structures here. As I walked through the ruins, I also saw there was an oasis nearby. Oh man, this is just what I needed. This oasis was a beautiful spot to build a camp to live in, so I got right to work building myself a house. It wasn't anything big or fancy, but it was just right for me. I soon finished. Well, I might as well check out some of these ruins while I'm here. I hiked into some of the nearby ruins and started looking through the dusty crates. There were some basic food and resources, but the real gem was the golden desert armor. I kept looking through the crates and was able to find an entire set. This is great. I'm already starting to feel safer. I hiked back to my camp when I heard some sheep nearby. I gathered them up and put them in a pen. These sheep give me an idea. I found a nice plot in the desert and started working on a statue. I think this is going to look really cool out here. I'd love to hear what you think it's going to be. After a bit, part 1 of the statue was complete. On days 11 through 12, I woke up to something interesting outside my door. It was a note. Hello, I saw you come to the old ruin down below. I saw you build with such passion and enthusiasm. You show great promise. I would like to meet you. Come to the location marked on the map. It is in the mountains near here. This could be a trap set by the pharaoh, but I think it's worth the risk. They might be able to help me. With the map in hand, I made my way out into the desert. I had to climb a large hill, but as I reached the top, I saw a torch outside a cave. Inside the cave was an old man.
Zozo, I'm so happy you've come.
Hi, who are you?
I used to be the leader of the desert people, but the pharaoh came and forced them to work for him. He says everyone is happy, but that's because anyone who says otherwise is never seen again.
I knew something was off. I could tell the people in the city weren't as happy as he said they were. Are you going to save them? The old man smiled.
In a way, but that work will be done through you.
Me? How could someone like me ever defeat a powerful pharaoh?
He is powerful, but he relies too much on his own strength. There are other ways we can defeat him.
What do you mean?
That city is his greatest source of pride. If we can destroy his city, not only will he fall apart, but the people of the city can rise up and escape. That city is nothing without the work of the people. It will be up to you to make things bad for him. I should also mention that there is a powerful item buried in this cave. You're not ready for it yet, but I know one day you will be.
I'll do my best. I think I know where to get started. I thanked the old man and headed out of the cave. It was time to head back to the city. On days 13 to 15, I crossed the desert back toward the city. The city soon came into view, and I started stacking my way to the top of the city. If I was going to cause some disruptions, I needed to get a closer look at what was around. I ran along the top of the city and looked over the edge. That's when I noticed there was a water supply running through the center of the city. If I could disrupt the water supply, that would definitely cause some problems for the pharaoh. But I can't cut it off. That would hurt innocent people. Just then, I had the perfect idea, but I needed to head back to the river. I ran back across the city top and headed to the river. Soon, I had reached the riverside, and I could see flowers on the other side.
Need a ride?
Hugo, perfect timing. I was just wondering how I would get across. I soon reached the other side and started gathering up as many roses and poppies as I could. I was going to need them for my special project. Once I had finished collecting as many as I could, I met Hugo back down by the river.
Hey, I found this health regeneration necklace at the bottom of the river. I thought you might be interested in it.
Hugo tossed out the necklace, which I picked up and equipped. He then let me hop on his back and gave me a ride back across the river. Time to get back to the base and start working on my secret plan. On day 16 to 19, I got right to work building a mill. I had a big project in mind, so I was going to need a tool to help me get all of the work done quick. The mill was soon complete, and I got right to work, adding all of the flowers I had gathered the day before to the machine. It didn't take too long, but I soon had a large amount of red dye. This ought to be enough dye. It's all coming together. Just then, I heard a sound outside and went to check out the noise. There was a group of tomb raiders outside. They must be here to raid the ruins. They caught sight of me and charged. I'm not a bad guy. Back off. The raiders were strong and nearly took all of my health. They had some good gear. I wonder if they found all of this in the old tombs. Thankfully, though, I was able to overcome their sword swings and take them all out. As they disappeared, I noticed that they dropped some iron bars. Iron! This will help me be even stronger than before. Guess I'm glad they came here after all. Just then, I felt more strength surge through me, and I grew into an adult. And check it out, I even have a beard. Oh, and more hearts, too. I headed over to the crafting table, and by using the iron I'd picked up, made myself some new iron gear. If anything went wrong on my secret mission tomorrow, I would be ready for a fight. Then I went over to the statue and got to work on the second part. It might look like I'm finishing it, but I have a whole other part to do. Be sure to keep watching to see what it is. On days 20 to 22, I snuck my way back over to the city, ready to put my plan into action. But first, I had to make it there, as I was suddenly attacked by a group of wraiths. Ah, you guys are freaky! With my new iron gear though, they were going to have a hard time taking me out. I swung my sword and was able to destroy all of them. That was scary, but I've got a mission to complete. Soon I was making my way through the city streets. There were a lot of guards wandering around, but if I was sneaky, I could weave through the buildings. I had to get to the water supply. I almost got caught, but finally I made it to the source of the water.
Halt!
Uh-oh, looks like I've got company. A small group of guards attacked. There were a lot of them, but I had to see this through. They hit me again and again, nearly taking all of my health. I can't let them win. I must save the people of this city. I rose up and started swinging even stronger than before. I was starting to win. There was only one guy left, but he managed to get away. I better hurry. I'm sure there will be more guards coming soon. I ran back over to the water supply and started throwing the dye into the water. If I could turn the water red, people might start blaming the pharaoh for their lack of clean water. It took a little while for the change to take effect, but soon the water had all turned red.
What do you think you're doing?
I looked down and saw the guard had returned with the gladiator from the arena. I wasn't going to be able to run away this time.
Who do you think you are, coming back here? And what happened to the water? What have you done?
The pharaoh is no hero. He's forcing people to work for him. It's not right. He needs to let these people go.
No one's gonna ruin our city, especially a little desert man like you.
The gladiator attacked. This was their city's strongest warrior. This was going to be quite the fight. He had a massive sword that really packed a punch. It doesn't have to be like this. Surely you can see that the pharaoh is evil.
My life seems pretty good. Too bad yours is over.
My health was nearly gone, but I had to keep fighting for these people. I kept moving and was finally able to land the final hit. As the gladiator disappeared, he dropped his sword. A claymore, huh? This thing is huge, but it's as light as a feather. I took a look at the guard, and he took off running again. What a wimp. I took a look at the water again. Well, I'm surely going to get the pharaoh's attention now. Just then, I heard a bunch of feet running. A whole battalion of guards were running right at me. That's my cue. Time to go. I jumped over the wall, and the guards ran up and looked down at me. Now I just need to wait and see how the pharaoh responds to my mission. On days 23 to 26, I was still making my way across the desert. Up ahead, I could see some orange rocks. Oh, I could use those for the next stage of the statue. I ran over and got to work mining them out. I've got a cool idea for what I could add to the statue. I think everyone will really like it. As I finished mining, I noticed there was a cave nearby. Maybe there are resources inside I could use. I made my way down into the cave and soon came across some iron ore. Perfect, this is just what I was looking for. I kept going deeper into the cave, mining more resources. Suddenly, the room opened up and there was a massive subscribe on the wall. Oh wow, thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. I'm having a lot of fun and I hope you are too. If you haven't subbed yet, I'd love to have you join the team. On days 27 to 31, I was out of the cave and heading back to my base. As I was crossing the desert, I saw a bunch of camels escaping from their caravan. Hang on, I'll help you. The camels went running off behind a small dune and I followed them to the other side. I soon saw that the animals had gathered at a nearby oasis. Hey guys, you were just a little thirsty, weren't you? Suddenly, the camels ran away and a giant crab came walking out of the water. Whoa, where the heck did you come from? The crab snapped at me with his pincers as I swung my sword. His hard shell was difficult to crack, but not too hard for my new sword. The crab was quickly defeated. Phew, now let's get these camels back to their rightful owner. I led the camels back to the grateful trader.
Thank you, sir. Say, are you the one who changed the city water red? I'm glad someone is standing up to the pharaoh. I have a lot of good friends trapped in that city. I passed by there and the pharaoh was pretty mad.
Oh yeah? I'm glad to hear it worked. Hopefully it'll make the people angry enough to rise up against him.
Well, everyone is upset and he's mad, but he's made it even harder for everyone. He's also doubled security around the city. I'm afraid it didn't do what you were hoping.
Oh no, I'll have to figure something else out.
I know just the thing.
The trader headed over to one of his chests, then returned and placed a strange box in front of me.
Here, you can have this. Think of it as a thank you for rescuing my camels.
The trader opened the box and a bunch of frogs jumped out. I didn't see how a box full of frogs, which now had no frogs in it, was going to be any help, but I didn't want to be rude as he was clearly excited to give it to me. Wow, that is so cool. Thanks. I invited the trader to come stay at my base with me to sell his wares. The city wouldn't be safe for him if people knew he had helped me. He agreed, but needed to take care of some things first. I picked the box up and headed back to my base. What could I do next to stop the pharaoh? On days 32 to 35, I returned back to my base. I wasn't sure what to do next yet, but figured it would be a good time to empty my pockets and start smelting the iron I'd collected. With the iron ingots, I then crafted a full set of desert iron armor, as well as a new set of iron tools. I had also gotten a few diamonds in the cave earlier, so I used those to make myself a new diamond pick. Whatever my next step is, I'll be ready for a fight. Just then, I heard the sound of a camel outside and met the trader as he rode up.
Hey, glad you could make it. I was thinking about it, and I think it'll be a good idea if we build you a shop. Maybe people are scared to leave the city because they have nowhere else to go.
That is a brilliant idea. I just picked up some fresh items, so I have plenty of things to sell.
I quickly got to work building the trader a shop. If I couldn't free all the people from the city, at the very least I could give the ones who do escape a place to live. The shop was soon finished. Once the trader had settled in, I walked up to see what he had to sell. Hey, I hope you're all settled in. I was hoping you might have some kind of special item that could help me get back at the pharaoh. The trader gave me a confused look.
What do you mean? I thought you would be able to do something with the frog box.
Oh yeah, I mean it was really cool when you showed me it was full of frogs, but since they all had hopped away, I don't really know what to do with it now.
Ah, I see. I may not have explained it very well. You see, it's an infinite frog box. Every time you open it, more frogs will come out. You will never run out of frogs.
Man, this guy was really into frogs. But just then, inspiration struck. I had a new idea to get back to the pharaoh, but I was gonna need some help from some old friends. On days 36 to 39, I had arrived back at the river where I met up with Hugo and some of his pals. Hugo, I had a question for you. I recently got this box that can create infinite frogs, and I know just what to do with it. The problem is, I don't have a good way to get into the city now that it has increased security. Do you know a good way in? Before Hugo could answer though, the small bird on his back piped up.
Oh, I know just the thing. Hang on one second.
The little bird flew off. Where could he be going? Moments later, he returned with a much bigger bird.
This is my friend. We're all sick of the pharaoh capturing all of our bird friends and keeping them in cages.
The big bird explained that he could pick me up and carry me over the city, which would let me shake the box, dropping frogs through the whole city. That's a perfect plan. Meet me at the mountaintop near my base tomorrow morning. We've got some frogs to drop. On days 40 to 43, the big bird met me on top of the mountain. I hopped on his back, and we flew away toward the city. As we got closer, I could see all the new guards defending it. Let's see them defend against this. As we flew over the city, I started dropping frogs. Down below, I could see the city had started to wake up, with a few people roaming around the streets. As the frogs landed, I could hear screams as people began to panic. It looks like the plan is working. By the time I had finished dropping the frogs, the sun had fully risen, and the whole city could see something was wrong. I was too busy looking down at the people when I accidentally slipped and fell off the bird, landing in the water below. Oh, that wasn't part of the plan. I hopped up as a couple of townspeople ran over to me.
Zozo, these frogs are disgusting, but we're so glad you're here. The pharaoh is so mean. We want to help, but don't have anywhere to go.
Just then, I heard a shout. The guards were coming. Stay behind me. I have a safe place we can go. We ran for the exit as a group of guards charged at us. Looks like I'm gonna have to fight my way out of this one. The guards were intense, but I was able to cut them down and keep pushing for the exit. Soon enough, we had fought our way out of the city and ran to the desert. I wonder if the frogs would be enough for the pharaoh to let the people go. On days 44 to 49, I arrived back at the base with all of the villagers. We went to have a chat with the trader.
My goodness, Zozo. Look at all of these customers. People. I'm so happy they were able to escape.
So am I. They're here to join our cause. Hopefully we can help everyone else escape too. But in the meantime, let's start building a place for you all to stay. Out behind my house, I got to work making a space for all of the villagers to build their homes. Once the area was prepped, they helped me to build their houses. We had a real town coming together. Soon, all the houses were done. Good job, everyone. This place is looking really great. I can't wait to get more people to move in. With all of the villagers moved in, I was feeling inspired to add the next part of the statue. With a little bit of help, I was able to finish the first part of the next section. Any guesses what I'm building next? After I was finished, the villagers came up to me with a real problem. If people were going to live here, we needed a way for everyone to eat. That's a good point. I think it's a good chance for us to strike back at the pharaoh too. I think we should go back to the city and bring all of their livestock here. That food should belong to you. The villagers agreed. The city would surely fall without a food source. This is a great idea, but I'm sure the pharaoh is going to have increased security. How am I going to be strong enough to get in this time?
Zozo, who are you talking to? I think the heat might be getting to you, but I did find something in the ruins that might help with your problem. Follow me.
On days 50 to 53, the trader led me to the tomb entrance. He explained that the tomb seemed untouched, but he was too scared to go inside. Well, I'll go take a look. Hopefully we can find something helpful. I ran inside. Right ahead of me was a book on a pedestal, so I opened it up. Yeah, this book isn't very helpful. If I can't even read the book, how am I ever gonna get into this place? Wait a second, what's that? Just behind me was a button. I hit the button and heard a secret panel in the wall open. I headed through and entered a massive room. This must have been a pharaoh's tomb.
Who dares enter my tomb? If you can defeat my guardians, then perhaps I will share my secret power with you.
Suddenly, a bunch of gas appeared and started to attack me. Ooh, scary. But that secret power sounds just like what I need. The gas were not very happy to see me and kept shooting fireballs. Unlucky for them though, I was able to hop around and hit the fireballs right back at them. As I destroyed them, I saw that they were dropping gunpowder. Gunpowder! That gives me an idea for the next time we go to the city. I kept fighting until finally all of the gas were defeated. I picked up the gunpowder and took a look around the room. I soon saw a passageway which led me deeper into the tomb.
You may have defeated my gas, but I am not finished finished with you yet.
Just then, I ran into a jackal, and boy was this guy strong. Those spears are way too OP. I was able to use my shield to block, but just a few hits from the jackal would take me out. I managed to eat some food and heal up, then began to fight back. It was a close one, but I was able to win the fight. I kept going through the tomb when I saw a small tunnel up ahead. Suddenly, I fell down a hole, landing in a small pool of water.
What? How did you get this far? Well, you won't like this.
Just then, a bunch of blazes spawned in and started to attack. One of them even managed to catch me on fire. The fire definitely didn't feel good, but luckily, they weren't as strong as they looked. I was able to defeat them pretty quickly. There was a staircase nearby, so I followed that. I had to be close. Just then, I entered another room and saw the mummified pharaoh appear. I made it! I'll take that secret power, please.
You know, I thought about it, and I decided I want to keep it. Shazam!
A bunch of mummies spawned and attacked me. They were slow, but strong. But I had made it this far, and nothing was going to stop me. The mummies were soon destroyed.
Okay, I guess I'll just do this myself.
Pharaoh hopped down and started to attack me too. You know, we don't have to fight. You can just give me the prize.
Do you have any idea how bored I am? At least this is something to do. Hi-ya!
Honestly, if this guy wasn't attacking me, we'd probably be friends. Soon enough, I had landed a bunch of blows, and he was nearly defeated.
Okay, I think you've proved your point. Go ahead and take the prize.
The mummy pharaoh disappeared. I hopped up and took a look inside of his tomb and found a totem of undying, a set of raw armor, and Horus's ascension. I quickly put on all of the armor and equipped the weapon. Just then, the power began to course through me, and I leveled up into a powerful, full-grown man. And check it out, my beard is legendary! Before leaving the tomb, I had to try out the new weapon. Outside the room, I ran into some more mummies. I hit them with the Horus's ascension, which sent them flying into the air. Looks like it's time to head back to the city and get those animals. On days 54 to 57, I emerged from the tomb, then returned back to my house to craft. At my crafting table, I put together some TNT. You know what they say, the best way out is always through. We're gonna blast our way right through the walls. I went to talk to the villagers, and a few of them agreed to come with me to help. We traveled across the desert and soon came to the farm on the edge of the city. I set up the TNT and set it off. Fire in the hole! The TNT blew a hole in the wall, and we ran into the farm. Alright, you guys start wrangling the animals, and I'll get us some hay. I ran into a nearby shelter and picked up a few hay bales. I ran back outside and handed them out to the villagers. With the hay in hand, they managed to round up all the animals and lead them away. Looks like they're gonna make it out. I might as well grab some more wheat before I leave. I quickly got to it, cutting up as much wheat as I could. I had just about finished gathering all of the wheat and seeds when a group of guards ran up, but look who was leading them. Ramses, what are you doing here?
Zozo, you're the man from the desert? I barely recognize you. I'm so happy to see you again.
You're not angry to see me? I thought you were here to attack me.
No, in fact, I've been trying to join you. All of us here have seen my father's power and influence fading. Please, let us join your community.
I couldn't believe my luck. Ramses had been so nice to me before, and I was happy to have him as part of our group. The more people we had, the better chance we had to free the rest of the villagers. On days 58 to 62, I was back at the base when one of the villagers pulled me aside. He was nervous about Ramses being there with a bunch of palace soldiers. Could we really trust him? Before I could answer, Ramses walked up with his guards.
Don't worry, friend. You don't have anything to worry about. If I didn't come with good intentions, I wouldn't tell you this. The pharaoh is actually putting together a large army and plans to attack.
If that's the case, then we need to get prepared. Please, if everyone could give me a hand, we can build everything we need.
Don't you think it'll be wiser just to leave things how they are? This is a nice community here. Attacking the pharaoh will only end in failure. I've seen how powerful this army is.
I think you lack faith, my friend. We won't rest until everyone has been freed. I'm positive we can find a way to win. Ramses didn't seem convinced, but he agreed and asked what we needed to do to get ready. First things first, we started to clear out some of the old ruins. This was going to be the perfect place to set up our farms. We had an army to feed, so we had to make sure we had a good farm. Next, we got to work building a barracks for all of the soldiers. This would give them a place to rest and get ready for the fight ahead. I was able to get plenty of help, so we were able to finish it pretty quickly. Then I met Ramses outside. Ramses, I know living in the desert is quite a transition for you. I can build you a special place if you'd like.
That is okay. I will live in a regular house like everyone else. However, I wouldn't mind helping you out with that statue.
Ramses then joined me as we worked on the next part of the statue. It was really starting to come along. As we worked, I mentioned that I would go speak with the old man in the cave to see if he had any ideas. When I mentioned the old man, Ramses asked to join me, to which I agreed. We would go in the morning. Soon, the next part of the statue was complete. On days 63 to 66, Ramsey and I headed up the mountain toward the cave. As we crossed the mountaintop, we ran into a bunch of spiders. What are these spiders doing all the way up here? Ramses and I sprang into action, fighting them off. Working together, we were able to defeat them in no time. It was nice having a good fighter to help out. As we approached the cave, I could hear the old man's voice calling out to me.
Zozo, you may enter, but only alone.
Sorry, Ramses. You'll have to wait out here. Ramses agreed, and I entered the cave.
I know why you've come. The pharaoh is gathering his armies, isn't he?
Yes, I was hoping you might be be able to help us. I thought maybe that buried item you had mentioned before might be useful at a time like this.
In fact, there is a hidden item that can help, but it is not the one buried here. I will give you the directions to the cave.
The old man explained where I needed to go to find this item. Excited to have a special item for the fight, I was getting ready to leave.
But before you go, Zozo, I leave you with a warning. I know your community has grown, but are you sure everyone can be trusted?
I nodded, but I wasn't sure what he could mean. Maybe he was talking about Ramses, but he had done more than enough to prove he wanted to help. I would keep my eye out for any suspicious villagers. Outside the cave, I told Ramses all about the item and where we needed to go. He was just as excited as me, so we headed off to find the cave. On day 67 to 70, Ramses and I had entered the cave. Soon, we saw an interesting looking statue in the middle of the tunnel. I'm surprised someone took the time to build a statue deep down in a cave like this. Suddenly, the statue sprang to life and started to attack us. It's a good thing Ramses had come with me though, as together we were able to quickly defeat it. Nice one, Ramses. Let's keep going. We continued down the tunnel and eventually saw two more statues. We stood there for a moment waiting for them to come to life. Maybe these ones are just statues? I guess. Whoa! The statues had come to life and started to attack. There were two of them this time, which made it harder than before. But even then, we still managed to fight them both off. I wonder how much deeper we have to go. I mean, what's next? 3 statues? We continued until we saw a larger room. Inside was a huge statue, way bigger than the other ones. Well, I think it's clear what we have to do. Let's do this. Ramses and I got to work, attacking the big statue. His big arms landed some heavy blows as we jumped around, getting as many hits in as we could. We even had to run out of the room and hide to heal up. Thankfully though, we were able to get enough hits in and the giant statue was destroyed. As he vanished, we saw something left in his place. This must be that special item the old man was talking about. With this, we'll be able to beat the pharaoh once and for all. Come on, Ramses, let's...
Sorry, Zozo.
Ramses hit me on the head, knocking me out. Before I blacked out completely, I saw him pick up the item. On day 71 to 74, I woke up to see that I was all alone. Oh, my head hurts. Ramses must have stolen the weapon and escaped. I've got to go make sure everyone is okay. I quickly ran out of the cave and headed straight to the old man. When I arrived, his cave was empty and all of his stuff was gone. Ramses must have beaten me here. What am I supposed to do now? Just then I remembered the buried item. I began digging around. Surely I could use whatever this mysterious item is now. I uncovered a chest and opened it to look inside. A note. You had the power with you the whole time. Use your power of hope, will, and the strength of your people to overcome any obstacle. It's just a motivational note? I don't need that. I need a weapon that can save everyone. Oh no, everyone! I ran over to the other side of the mountain and could see our town was in flames. Why would Ramses betray us like this? I should have listened to the villagers, the old man. They were right about him. I hurried and ran down the mountain to look for survivors. As I got closer, I could see several of the villagers, and the trader came running up to me.
Zozo, where have you been? Ramses returned to gather all his soldiers, and they all attacked.
I'm so sorry. Ramses knocked me out and took the special weapon we had found.
That must have been what he was using. He had some incredible abilities and had turned into a monster, but somehow we managed to push them out.
I've got to stop him before he can give the item to the pharaoh. I better get to the city quick.
That's the thing. I don't think he went to the city. There's a fort near here. I think you should go there to face him.
I thanked the trader for his help, then went into the desert. I sure hope I can get the item back. On days 75 to 78, I could see the fort in the distance. I couldn't waste any time trying to be sneaky this time. I was charging through the front. As I entered the fort, Ramses' soldiers tried to stop me. Good luck! You guys are all traitors! I ran through the base, using my main weapon to throw them high in the air. I felt like I was running through the base, flipping pancakes. You're gonna need a meal on this flight. One by one, I tossed the guards into the air and out of my way. At long last, I made it to the main tower and ran up the stairs. As I reached the top, Ramses was waiting for me. On days 79 to 84, I stood face to face with Ramses. He didn't look like a monster.
I don't want to do this, but I can't let you go any further. Your story ends here.
Ramses put on a battle helmet and attacked. Ramses, how could you betray me like this?
I never wanted to betray you. In fact, I wanted to save you. You can't face my father. He'll destroy you and all the people you're fighting for. I thought if I could take the special item, you'd give up the fight.
I can't stop fighting though, can I? Your father will never stop. And even if we can live in our village, there are still hundreds of people still being kept as his prisoners. Just give me the item and we can stop him together.
It's too late. I've already sent it to my father. Just surrender now, and we can be done with this.
I don't want to fight you, but I can't let these innocent people be captured. I'm sorry. Just then, I landed the final blow, defeating Ramses for good. In another life, maybe we could have been brothers. I hope one day we can meet again. I picked up the helmet he had dropped and put it on. It was a sad day, but it was time to save everyone. On days 85 to 89, I arrived back in the village and met up with the trader. I told him everything that had happened and that the pharaoh now had the special item. He encouraged me to keep fighting, but first, we needed to fix the village. We all got to work cleaning up the damage in the village. The soldiers had really hurt the buildings, but it wasn't anything we couldn't fix. It took a long time, but soon everything was back to normal. I then headed over to the statue and got to work finishing that up. Before I went to the city, everything needed to be properly put into place, just in case I didn't return. Soon, the statue was complete. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be the first to go on our adventures with us. On days 90 to 94, I decided to take a walk around the base. I wasn't sure what to do next. As I saw the villagers tending to their crops, I noticed the ditches they had dug to bring the water in. Suddenly, I had an idea. I hurried to tell all of the villagers my plan. With the villagers on board with my plan, I gathered up as much sand as I could. I was going to need a lot of it if this was going to work. I also went back to the pharaoh's tomb to find more gas and collect gunpowder. As a final step, I met back up with Hugo to ask for his help. He was pretty excited about what I had in store for the pharaoh and was happy to help. All his friends agreed to help too. Alright, everything should be in place. The pharaoh better watch his back. I'm coming for him. On days 95 to 97, I made my way back to the city with Hugo and his pals. Everybody ready? Charge! I quickly put on my armor and we ran into the city. There were even more guards here than before, but they were no match for my gang of hippo pals and powerful items. The higher they go, the harder they fall. I flipped guards in the air as we made our way toward the palace. As we got closer, storm clouds began to roll in and lightning started striking the ground. It must be the pharaoh using the special item. We have to hurry. As we ran through the square, we told as many people as we could to flee to our desert base. The lightning strikes were getting really scary and hit some of the villagers. It even hit one of Hugo's pals. Luckily, he was able to shake it off and keep going. Soon, we were at the entrance to the palace grounds. On day 98, we entered the palace grounds and began fighting our way through. It felt like there was an endless stream of guards attacking us, but they couldn't handle the strength of me and my hippo team. Hugo, you know what to do. Wait here for me. I ran into the palace and managed to fight off the guards on the first floor. All that was left was to head upstairs and face the pharaoh.
Hey, hang on a second.
Nubia came running over to me. Nubia, what are you still doing here? Your father has become too dangerous.
I know. After you stood up to him in the arena, it inspired me to do the same. I had always felt like what he was doing was wrong, but it wasn't until then that I felt like I had the courage to say something. After I told him what I thought, he kept me trapped here in the palace. It wasn't until you stormed the palace today that my guards finally left me alone.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear things have been so bad for you, but hopefully we can bring an end to it soon. If I don't make it, the people of this desert will need a strong leader like you. Stay safe until this is over. Nubia nodded and ran off to hide. It was go time. I climbed the stairs and saw the pharaoh waiting for me.
So, you think having a beard makes you a man? Please, you're just the same little boy I banished into the desert.
Don't bring my beard into this. You must let my people go.
You can ruin my water and fill the streets with as many frogs as you want, but I will never let them be free.
Just then, the pharaoh stepped forward and activated the special item. There was a burst of fire, and he transformed into a giant Egyptian monster.
How do you like this?
I was surrounded by a ring of fire and was suddenly hit by a bunch of lightning. To be honest, I didn't really like it. I couldn't wait any longer, so I ran forward and attacked. The pharaoh hit me back, which nearly ended me in one hit. Looks like it's time for plan B. I turned and ran down the stairs and out of the palace.
What's wrong? Too afraid to fight?
Hugo was waiting for me, and I hurried and jumped on his back as the pharaoh and his men chased after us. They were close to catching up, but we managed to stay ahead as we ran out of the city. Once we were out, Hugo really put on the speed, and we got far ahead. There was a dried riverbed, which we quickly ran across. As we reached the other side, I turned to see the pharaoh and his army stop on the other side. Don't try to follow me or recapture the people. If you do, I'll have no choice but to destroy you.
Destroy me? Destroy me? I don't think you're in any position to tell me what to do.
The pharaoh and his army entered the riverbed, but I was ready to do my secret plan. I turned and hit a nearby button. The sound of explosions could be heard in the distance. The villagers had put TNT by the dam, which was holding back the water.
No, it can't be!
The water came rushing in, covering the pharaoh and his army. It looks like the plan worked. There's no way he's going to be able to escape all of that. Just then, I heard a splash behind me, and the pharaoh came rising out of the water.
You may have destroyed my army, but I won't go down that easy.
The river was my last plan. How was I going to defeat him now? On day 99, the pharaoh stood on the riverbank, looking down at me.
Enough of these games. I won't have a little bearded man boy ruin everything I have worked so hard to build.
My mind was racing. What could I do? Just then, I remembered the note I found in the old man's cave. You had the power with you the whole time. It couldn't be that simple, could it? Suddenly, a burst of lightning hit me, destroying all of my armor.
What are you waiting for? I'm here to end this now.
I looked at the staff I had carried with me. The staff had been with me the whole time. Now that I was a grown man with new power, I gave the cane a shake. There was a burst of light, and I grew into a massive, super buff version of myself.
What? Where is this power coming from?
I felt amazing. I knew that I was going to be able to fulfill my destiny. Just then, a ring of fire appeared, and the pharaoh hit me with lightning. It was on. The pharaoh and I swung our weapons, doing our best to get hits in. He was strong, but so was I.
You may be bigger, but I still have my lightning.
The pharaoh kept trying to hit me with lightning, but with my new abilities, I was able to dodge it. I couldn't dodge it every time, but it was clear he was running out of ideas. It was time to end this. This one is for my people. I leapt into the air and struck the pharaoh, which caused him to begin exploding. Soon, he disappeared. With the pharaoh gone, I focused my energy and returned back to my normal size. It was time to return to my people. On day 100, the world was finally free of the pharaoh's influence. I traveled to the city to meet with Nubia, who is now the ruler of the city. She was a nice ruler who let the people live freely, whether in the city or not. And she always made sure everyone was paid for their hard work. work. Our small village continued to grow, and I remained with those who chose to live there. Peace had been restored, and everyone could freely live their lives. On day 1, I spawned in as SHREK. I'm a powerful ogre. No wait, I'm a tiny baby ogre. Nice. Just then, I heard a plop and saw a slime was headed right at me. That's when I noticed I only had a few hearts. I've got to get out of here. I took off running. I was in no state to be fighting anything. Just when I thought I had gotten away, I noticed I had almost run into an entire group of slimes. Whoa, wrong way. I quickly turned and ran off in another direction. This swamp is a dangerous place. Luckily for me, I soon saw a cave and jumped inside. Whew, I think I lost them. I better lay low for the night. I looked around the cave and saw there were a few mushrooms. I picked a few of them and scarfed them down. Where is my family? I'll have to look for them tomorrow. I plopped down in the dirt and went to sleep. On day 2, I woke up and headed out of my cave. There's just got to be more people like me out there. I took another bite of mushrooms. Ugh, these mushrooms aren't very good. Ogres like me are going to need something better to eat than that. I'll have to figure that out later though. I started exploring the swamp when I came across a frog sitting on a lily pad. Hey you, excuse me, but have you seen any other ogres around?
I have, but they aren't here anymore. I'm not sure what direction they went though.
Well, at least I know there's some around here for sure. In the meantime, I decided I needed to start getting some tools together, so I started punching trees to collect some wood. With my freshly gathered wood, I then made myself a wooden sword. Then I made myself a wooden pickaxe. I took off into the swamp again, and soon saw a huge tree trunk sitting in a clearing. Whoa, this must have been a huge tree. I think this could make for a perfect place to live. I dug into the side of it and found that it was hollow. I got right to work and started turning the inside into a home. I only had some basic materials, so I wasn't able to do anything super fancy, but it was going to work great for a starter base. Soon, the hut was complete. This will be much better than sleeping in a cave. On day 3, I stepped out of my hut and set off to look for the ogres the frog had seen. To my surprise, I soon stumbled across an entire village of ogres. I can't believe it! I found my ogre family! I walked up to one of them. Hi, you must be my dad.
Your dad? Do I look like a man to you? I'm your mom, silly.
Whoops, that's what I meant. What are you guys doing hiding so deep in the swamp?
You haven't heard? All the king's horses and all the king's men are out here capturing us. The king hates ogres.
Oh no, why would he do such a thing? What happens to the ogres he captures?
He takes them and forces them to live in his dungeon. We don't really know what happens after that.
We talked a while longer, then my mom decided to show me around the village. It was so nice to finally have a family. But suddenly, the village was attacked by a bunch of knights.
Zozo, run! We'll try to hold them off.
I ran and hid while the knights in my ogre family started to fight. They did their best to fight them all off, but it wasn't enough. They took my parents captive and destroyed anyone else who fought back. No, how could they? From my hiding place, I could hear one of my ogre brothers were stuck. Just then, a door opened and I heard a knight run up to him. A block broke as they dropped him through the floor. Am I next? That's when I started to hear explosions as the knights started placing TNT around the village and setting things on fire. Suddenly, I heard some TNT light right by me and an explosion sent me flying. A while later, I emerged from the swamp I had fallen into and saw the village was in ruins, but deserted. Except for a swamp pig, that is.
Oi, ogre! Was it another attack by the king's men?
Yeah, it was. I think I'm the only one left. They took my entire family.
I'm sorry. This keeps happening to ogre families all over the swamp. Someone needs to do something about it.
I agree, but I'm just a baby. Who could possibly fight off a king and his army? I have a hut not too far from here, though. Do you want to stay with me? It might be safer if we stick together.
Safer? Did you see what happened here? The safest place for me is far away from ogres. Sorry, you seem like a nice guy, but I don't think it'll be safe for me.
I understood and left to go back to my hut. I wasn't strong enough to fight an entire army, but the least I could do is make some simple tools to defend myself. I had found a deposit of cobblestone, so I got to work mining out as much of it as I could. Back at my hut, I got right to work, crafting myself a stone pickaxe, sword, shovel, hoe, and axe. Now, let's make some improvements around here. It was time to truly make this hut a home. Using the materials I had gathered, I began fixing up the room and giving myself a few more comforts. I might be here for a long time, so I made everything as nice as I could, given the circumstances. I even made myself a chimney. I definitely didn't want my house to be full of smoke. I also needed to have a food supply, which looked like it was going to be mushrooms for now. I had found a nice damp cave under my base, so I planted some mushrooms there. That night, I was outside of my base when suddenly a bunch of skeletons attacked. Get back, you fleshless creeps! It was a good thing I had made myself a sword because I might not have been able to fight these guys off. I still wasn't very big, but I was still a tough ogre. Soon, all of the skeletons were defeated. Just then, I felt a surge of power and I grew a little bit in size. And check it out, I even gained more hearts. I was feeling good, but it had been a long day, so I headed back into the hut to rest. On days 4 to 5, I went digging in the mine for some coal. It was bad enough having knights attacking ogres, let alone mobs. Once I had collected enough coal, I made myself some torches, then headed outside to set them up. There we go. That should fix my mob problem. Later that night, I was sitting at my table when I heard a noise outside. More skeletons. What's going on here? I fought them off, but realized they must be spawning from somewhere else and walking over. In the distance, I could see more mobs, so I ran toward them, fighting them off one by one. Where are you guys all coming from? I kept following them through the swamp, taking them out as I went. Eventually, I saw a stone structure with a long stairway leading down under the swamp. Uh-oh, this looks like a huge grave. I don't want to go down there, but I've got to clear these guys out. I headed down the stairs, fighting off zombies. When I got to the bottom, there was a huge group of them. Get away, you brain suckers! There were a lot of them, but they weren't very smart. I got them to all get in a line and started to quickly knock them out, one by one. Eventually, I managed to take the last one out. Phew, I'm glad I got rid of them, but where are they coming from? That's when I had a scary realization. What's inside of the tomb? I nervously cleared the top of the grave and saw there was a spawner inside. Oh, that's the issue. I quickly knocked it out. No more zombie problems for me. Just then, I realized I was really hungry, but I was still a long way away from my base. What was I going to do? I did pick up a bunch of rotten flesh from these guys. I guess it's my only option. I ate a bunch of it and started to feel funny. Although, it wasn't a bad funny, just a funny. Suddenly, I let out a big burp, releasing a bunch of toxic gas. I let out a little fart too. I hadn't even noticed a zombie had snuck up behind me, but the gas attack made him run away. Oh, nice! I think I just discovered a powerful ability. I ran back out of the grave. As I came to the top, I saw a donkey come wandering out of the trees.
Oh my word, it's an ogre! Run!
Whoa, hang on a second! The donkey took off running into the trees. He was running so fast, he ran straight into some mud and started sinking.
Oh no, it's the end for me. It's over. I can already see the light.
I ran over closer to him. Here, catch this. I threw a rope out to him, which he grabbed onto. Using that, I managed to pull him out of the mud.
Oh my word, you saved me. You're my hero.
What are you doing all the way out here in my swamp?
Well, I was out here with my family, but they fell into mud just like this. There weren't any ogres around to save them though.
Oh no, that's horrible. The swamp can be a dangerous place. Why don't you come stay at my hut? It's not far.
Oh, you mean it? That would make my year right there.
We started heading back to the hut. By the way, what's your name?
Donkey, just like my father before me. You may be surprised to know it's actually a pretty common name.
We soon arrived back at the hut, which was surrounded by slimes.
Hang on, I'll take them out.
Donkey charged in without warning. He was a feisty little guy, but got hurt almost right away. I had to jump in too. Luckily, slimes weren't very strong, but there were a lot of them. Working together, we managed to clear them all out after a bit of work. That leg doesn't look too good. Come on, you can stay inside. Donkey ran inside and immediately jumped on my bed.
This is gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Okay, I guess you can sleep in my bed. I walked over to the armchair and settled in for the night. On day 6 through 8, I started the day by working on a house for Donkey. He was a really nice guy, but I wanted my bed back. I was pretty sure he'd be over the moon when he saw it. Right as I finished, he came running over to me. He was super excited about the new house, but also about what he had found. Just behind the base was a bunch of iron. Nice work, Donkey. I'll go check it out. We ran over to where he had pointed, and sure enough, there was a ton of iron there. I got my pickaxe out and got right to work, mining it all up. With my pockets full of iron, I headed back to the base and filled the furnaces up with iron. While it smelted, I headed back outside to do some more work. I got down in the dirt and carved out a nice path between Donkey's house and my own. I felt like it looked really great. Now let's go check on that iron. The iron had finished smelting, so I used it to make an iron shovel, pickaxe, axe, hoe, and sword. I also had enough to make an iron helmet, chestplate, leggings, and boots. I decided to make Donkey some armor too, just in case he went recklessly charging into battle again. I went outside to meet him. Hey Donkey, I made both of us some iron armor. This should help keep us safe in case we get attacked again.
Nice one, but what are we waiting around for? We've got armor. Let's go defeat the king and save your family.
Donkey, you've got to stop being so reckless. If we just charge into things, we're going to get ourselves hurt. Just then, a giant warped toad came hopping up behind us. Right on cue, Donkey went rushing in and attacked. We're gonna have to work on that. I rushed in as well and we started to fight off the toad. He wasn't super strong, but he sure was big. Together with our new gear though, Donkey and I managed to take him out.
See, we make a great team. We can take the king on.
But don't you see how dangerous that was? We can't just rush into things. We'll need to prepare ourselves if we're going to be taking on an army. Donkey understood, but mentioned he was getting hungry. I tossed over a bunch of mushrooms, which he tossed right back.
Blech, mushrooms are nasty. Here, I have some carrots from a farm I used to work on. How about we start our own farm with these?
I thought that was a great idea, so I picked them all up and got right to work tilling the ground. Once the farm was ready, I planted all of the carrots. There we go, now Donkey can have a feast. On days 9 to 10, I started my day adding some upgrades to the base, including an outhouse. I had been eating a lot of rotten flesh, so it was better to be safe than sorry. I also had this strange dream where I had met a talking gingerbread man, so I thought it'd be fun to make a giant statue of him. I had started to make the first part out of mud, but once I finished, it didn't look quite right, so I went to have a chat with Donkey. Donkey. Donkey, you said you used to work at a farm near here, right? Was there wool there?
Oh yeah, tons of wool. Enough wool you can make yourself 1,000,000 winter coats. But don't you know it's hot out here? Why are you making so many coats?
No, not for coats. For a statue.
Oh, well why didn't you say so?
Donkey told me where to go, but warned me that the farmer there isn't very nice, so I'd have to be careful. Later on, I could see the farm in the distance. As I got closer, I snuck up to the farm, but didn't see the farmer anywhere. Psst, hey, do you mind if I grab some of your wool?
You can have as much wool as you want if you can bust us out of here. This farmer is a jerk.
Yeah, sure, I can help you out. Where is that farmer anyway?
What, you didn't see him? You walked right by him.
As I turned to look around, a stick broke beneath my feet and a tiny, angry goblin came charging at me. He was making a crazy sound, too. Oh, what the heck? Where did you come from? This little farmer goblin was nuts. I tried to talk sense to him, but he just kept making his crazy sounds while he tried to hit me. I took a bite of rotten flesh and could feel myself gassing up. I started letting the burps fly and eventually managed to take him out. Before I went to let the sheep out, I took a look around the farm. Inside of the barn, I found some shears as well as some cocoa beans. This is perfect. Now I can dye the wool brown. From there, I rounded up all of the sheep and headed back toward the base. We took a boat to get across the swamp, and I got right to work building them a new pen. Once their pen was finished, I dyed some of them brown and used the shears to collect the wool. I also took a moment to plant some of the cocoa beans so I could make some cookies later. Oh, and I almost forgot. Using some of the wool, I made an extra bed. There was no way I was going to let Donkey sleep in my bed again. I went and put his new bed in his house, which he was really excited about. On days 11 to 12, I was having a crazy dream. In my dream, I was running through a dungeon and could see my family locked behind bars. I tried to open the door to free them, but it wouldn't budge. Suddenly, I was in a tower that had a long flight of stairs. As I got to the top of the stairs, I saw a fancy door, but it wouldn't open. Nearby, I saw the key. Using the key, I was able to open the door. Inside was the most beautiful ogre I had ever seen in my entire life. She told me that the king was keeping all of the ogres captive, and she needed my help. Suddenly, there was a figure in the doorway. It was the king's henchman. I woke up in a cold sweat. That dream felt too real. It couldn't possibly be real, could it? On days 13 to 15, I ran over to Donkey to have a chat with him about my dream. He had a lot to say about it.
A beautiful ogre? What do you mean a beautiful ogre? Can you smell yourself right now? You're telling me there's a beautiful you out there?
I get it. But come on, you've been to the castle before, right? Surely you must have seen something.
Well, I've been to the farms and the dungeons. Sounds like you definitely saw the dungeons. Never been in the castle though, so I can't say if there's a beautiful ogre inside or not.
Well, what about the henchman? Have you seen someone like that before?
Oh, the henchman. Talk about a real creepy creep. That guy never says a word.
I don't know, you're making him sound kind of nice.
That guy will just stare at you, and they say he's never lost a fight. If you think you're gonna go beat him up, you better think again.
Well, maybe we won't go get in a fight, but I think we need to go and just see what's going on there. If my family is really there, I've got to help rescue them. Since I was still pretty small, Donkey let me ride on his back. He kept chatting my ear off until we came to a bridge. It's so foggy here. Let's cross this by foot. Donkey and I started crossing the bridge when we soon came across a troll.
Answer my question on the first try, or get it wrong and prepare to die.
A question? Sure, go ahead.
What is your name?
My name? It's Zozo.
What? But you're the green ogre from that movie. That's not your name.
Donkey, what is he talking about?
Don't look at me. I have no idea.
Oh, whatever. On guard.
The troll attacked us. We couldn't waste any more time with this guy. Did he really think I didn't know my own name? Donkey managed to get him lined up against the railing and headbutted him over the edge.
I'll be back.
I guess he thinks he'll survive the fall. Come on, Donkey, let's go. Donkey and I continued across the bridge, coming across the other side. On day 16 to 19, we were continuing toward the castle when we saw a village in the distance. Greetings, humans! The villagers immediately started to scream and run away. Donkey did say it smelled bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. Since everyone had run away, I figured I may as well help myself to some of their crops. I managed to get myself plenty of wheat and a nice stack of seeds. But at least now I can start a wheat farm of my own. As I went to grab some more crops, there was a noise in the trees and a huge wildkin came out of the forest. Whoa, no wonder those humans were all running away. They must have been scared of you. Donkey, stay back! I tried to fight him, but he was too strong. I started running away when suddenly a tiny cat came out of nowhere, taking out the wildkin. Whoa, you're super strong. We could use someone like you on our team.
I am flattered, senor, but please, I have my own mission to complete.
It's okay, I understand. We'll see you around then.
You will not see me, but I may see you.
Okay. On days 20 to 22, Donkey and I could see the castle in the distance. As we got closer, we saw that there was a village on the edge that was completely falling apart. What happened to this village? Why is it so run down this close to the castle? Donkey had no idea either. We decided to wait in the village for nighttime, then we'd go take a look around. Once night had come, we snuck up to the castle walls and used some blocks to stack up and look over the top. What I saw shocked me. Oh no, the ogres! The king's knights had gathered even more ogres, and look who was inspecting them. The henchman from my dream. He's real. I wonder if that means everything else is real too. too. Just then, I noticed someone looking out from the castle balcony. It was the girl from my dream. Wow, she's even more beautiful in real life. Just then, I heard a shout behind me. A guard had found me and was calling for backup. I had no choice but to fight him off. We exchanged blows, but I managed to knock him out pretty easily. Just then, there was a huge surge of energy, and I grew to be even bigger than before. I felt stronger than before too. I looked up at the girl on the balcony and could see she had noticed me. I had no time to say anything though, as I was suddenly surrounded by more knights. I had to get out of there. Here's something for ya. I let out a little fart and jumped off the wall into a pond. Some guards were trying to capture Donkey, so I hurried to help him out. I was too big to ride him now though. We were going to have to run. Donkey, it's the henchman. Come on, let's get out of here. We ran off into the forest, losing them in the trees. Before we got too far away though, I hopped up a tree to get one more look at the princess. That's when a tiny child prince, no wait, it was a man. A tiny man grabbed her and pulled her inside. That must have been the king. He's trying to hide her away, just like my family. I'll be back for all of them. On days 23 to 26, Donkey and I arrived back at the base. I went to go look at the sheep and saw they had made a nice stack of wool for me. Turns out, they had been shearing themselves. Wow, these guys are even smarter than I thought.
Yeah, we heard that.
Then I went over to take a look at my cocoa beans and saw they had grown in. I'll be able to make even more brown dye now. Since I had gathered a bunch of seeds from the village, I also got right to work setting up a wheat farm. Rotten flesh gave me a superpower, but I couldn't just eat that all the time. Not to mention, I'm gonna be able to make cookies. Who doesn't want that? Next up, I got to work expanding the base. If I was going to rescue the princess and have her come back to live here, she needed to be impressed. I decided that I would make my base feel more like a castle, so she would feel just as fancy. With the improvements finished, it was finally time to get back to work on that statue. With my new brown wool, I was able to start building the statue the way I was imagining it. I thought it was looking a lot better. By the way, we're going to need all the help we can get in order to save the princess, so click the subscribe button or we'll never win. On days 27 to 31, I headed out of my base to go look for more supplies. As I explored, I realized the swamp had changed. I was in a mangrove swamp. This place was definitely much more spooky than the swamp I called home. But why are there so many bats? I was so distracted by the bats, I almost didn't see the zombies and skeletons who attacked me. Uh-oh, don't get too close to me, get away! I got some hits in, but there were too many of them. Their arrows were really starting to hurt too. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, even more zombies and skeletons jumped into the fight. I think this might be the end for me. When all hope seemed lost, another ogre suddenly came running over. He was really strong too, knocking mobs out left and right. Whoa, where did you come from? This ogre even used a burp ability, but it was way more powerful than mine. He also had an explosive fart attack that was really clearing the place out. Together, we fought off the rest of the mobs and finally had a chance to chat. Thank you for saving me. I thought it was the end for me.
You're strong, but you could be stronger. Come with me.
The ogre led me deeper into the swamp, and we eventually came across a small hut. I like your house, but what are you doing out here all alone?
I used to live with my family, but the king's men came and captured them. I was much weaker then, so all I could do is run away. I've been out here training and honing my abilities, so that one day I could save them.
Well, you seem pretty strong to me. Why haven't you tried to save them yet?
The truth is, I'm too scared. Saving you is the first time I've really tried using my full abilities in a full fight. It works, but I don't know.
Well, maybe if we fight together? Although I'm not nearly as strong as you are.
Well, that's not a problem. I can teach you everything I know.
That would be amazing! On days 32 to 35, my training began. My new friend, whose name was GRINCH, had me doing all kinds of crazy exercises. First off, I had to run around a track, which he said would help build up my endurance. After a few laps, we headed over to the bag to get some punches in.
Smack that bag like you mean it. What are you, a pixie?
After that was the scariest one, walking the beam over a pool of lava. GRINCH seemed to really enjoy watching me do that one. Next was parkour.
Jump, Zozo, jump. Deliver the unexpected. No one is ready for a leaping ogre.
Next was swordplay with the dummies, but more than that, I was learning to fight multiple bad guys at once. After that, I ran over to the rope climb and made my way to the top. Done! That wasn't so bad.
Yes, good for you. Now do it again.
After many hours of training, GRINCH pulled me aside to chat.
Okay, let's see that burp power of yours. What are you using to power it?
I ate some rotten flesh and let out a burp.
That's really not bad. But to truly complete your training, you must defeat the king slime.
GRINCH told me where I needed to go, and I set off for my next challenge. After a while, I could see the king slime hopping atop a hill, wearing his crown. Bring it on, slime ball! I jumped into battle, swinging my sword. I had fought slime before, but this guy was definitely stronger than any of the other ones. His jello punches were certainly powerful. If I can just remember my training, I can defeat him. I thought about the jumping, the balance, the strengthening. All of it had built me for this moment. I swung my sword for a final time, destroying the slime king. Got him! I noticed that he had dropped something. Suspicious stew. Oh, gross. This is probably made of slime. At least I don't have to eat it. I took off to go tell GRINCH that my training was complete. On days 36 to 39, I had arrived back at GRINCH's house. Well, I've done it. I defeated the Slime King.
Very nicely done, but your training is not complete.
What do you mean? I thought I just had to beat the Slime King.
There's still one more thing to be done. That suspicious stew? Eat it.
Oh man, you can't be serious. I took out the stew and drank it down. My stomach started to rumble. This didn't feel right. Suddenly, I let out a huge fart, blowing a hole in the wall. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that.
But now you can mean to do that. Your fart ability is now yours to control.
We got right to work fixing up his shack. I was really excited about my new power. Once the shack was fixed, I invited GRINCH to come live at my base with me.
Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll stay out here and continue my training. But here, take these enchantments. They will help you be faster in water and do more damage to the undead.
I stepped over to GRINCH's anvil and added the enchantments to my sword. I was already feeling better about my chances. I soon left GRINCH's house and started journeying back to my base. Along the way, I ran into some more zombies and skeletons like before, but this time, I was all powered up. With my new fart power locked and loaded, I managed to blow them out of my way while I hit them with my sword. Amazing that only a few days ago this would have ended me, and now I could fight them off with ease. On days 40 to 43, I arrived back at my base, but it was under attack. As I got closer, I could see a Zautar was attacking. Hang on, Donkey, I'm coming to help. Donkey had been doing his best to defend the sheep, but I could tell he was losing. It's a good thing I had gotten there when I did. The Zautar was really tough. Let's see how you like the smell of this. I unleashed my new fart bombs, which he really didn't like. To be fair, no one else around seemed to really like it either, apart from the fact it was only hurting the bad guy. At long last, I was able to land the final blow and destroy the Zautar for good. That's when I saw he dropped an enchanted book. Oh look, it's an efficiency enchantment. I could use this to mine more material faster. Donkey heard what I said and came over to chat.
I saw some funny looking blue rocks in a cave nearby. That mean anything to you?
Sounds like diamonds. I headed over to the cave Donkey had found, and sure enough, it had several diamond blocks. I hopped on down and managed to quickly mine out a bunch of them. These will be great for upgrading our gear. Back at the base, I went over to the crafting table and used my newly gathered diamonds. I was able to make Donkey a new set of armor. Then I used what was left to make myself a new set of tools, including a sword. I'll have to find more later to make armor, but this will work great for now. On days 44 to 49, I wanted to improve the base to look even more like a castle, so I headed out to find some more materials. As I was exploring the swamp, I came across some old ruins. It had the perfect blocks I needed to improve the base. Problem was, it was full of banshees. Oh, you guys are so creepy. The banshee was really scary, but I had a base that needed to look cool, so how could I let a creepy monster like that keep me out? I kept mining out as much material as I could while fighting banshees off along the way. And look at these chests. They have lots of emeralds inside. I'll have to find something good to do with these. Soon enough, I had gathered all of the material I needed and got out of there. On days 50 to 53, I returned to my base and started using the materials I had gathered. I never thought I would be someone who lived in a castle, but the look was really starting to grow on me. Once I had finished with my improvements for the day, I did a little bit more work on the statue. The sheep had given me a fresh stack of wool, so it was the right time to get going on the next part of the build. As I was building, I thought about how funny it would be to meet a talking gingerbread man. That would just be crazy. As I was finishing up the statue, I heard a croak nearby and saw a group of frogs.
Hey, we've been watching you and seeing what you're building out here. It's mad impressive.
Thanks, guys. Glad you think so.
We do. We were also hoping we could live here, too. We've just been thinking, if the king is capturing green things like you, what's gonna stop him from capturing green things like us? We'd feel much safer living here.
It's hard to argue with that logic. Let me get you guys set up. With the frogs ready to move in, I had to hurry and build them their own place. It wasn't anything super fancy, but I'm pretty sure it was fancy enough for a frog. Soon, it was complete, and the frogs were able to all move in. On days 54 to 57, I went to go see Donkey, but he was gone. I looked around and saw a note had been left behind. Looks like he decided to go find me some diamonds. Very recklessly, I must add. I better go find him. He could easily get into trouble. The frogs were awake, so I went over to them to ask if they had seen where Donkey had gone. They said they had seen him wandering off and pointed me in the direction I needed to go. I wandered off really far from the base, but still couldn't find him. Just then, I could hear him crying out in the distance. I ran toward the noise, but stopped before I got too close. Donkey was under attack by a group of knights, led by the henchmen. I watched from a distance as they demanded to know where my base was. Lucky for me, and for the first time in his life, Donkey didn't say a word. They started taking him away. Hang on, buddy, I'm coming to rescue you. But before I could charge in, a Zautar started attacking the group of knights. The henchman quickly swung his sword and defeated it in no time. Oh man, he beat them so fast. There's no way I could take him on now. Best thing I can do is follow them. As I followed the band of knights, we soon arrived in a savannah where I could see they were taking Donkey into a fortress. This must be the henchman's personal base. I'll have to get geared up and come back. Stay strong, Donkey. On days 58 to 62, I made my way to GRINCH's hut out in the swamp. I was going to have to get a lot stronger if I was going to save Donkey. I soon arrived and met up with GRINCH. I have bad news. Donkey has been captured by the henchmen. I need to get stronger so I can rescue him.
Well, the henchmen, you say? I may have something that can help with that.
He explained that he had been working on special ogre armor, but needed some specific materials to finish crafting it. But in order to get it, I had to travel to the Mushroom Islands. Blah, more mushrooms. I thought I had left those behind for good, but for Donkey, I'll do it. I traveled back out into the world and eventually made it to the Mushroom Islands. As I walked along, I was suddenly attacked by a bunch of mungi. Eating mushrooms was bad enough. Now I have to fight them too? These guys were a crazy little bunch, and I was getting sick of them trying to hurt me. I wasn't strong enough to fight the henchmen, and I was more than strong enough to knock these guys out of the way. Just then, I saw something terrible. Is that a giant mungus? The monster was throwing mushrooms at me too. It felt like this entire place was made just to taunt me for my dislike for mushrooms. I managed to get cover behind some giant mushrooms and jumped out to strike. The strategy worked well, and eventually I landed the final blow. That's enough living mushrooms for me. I saw the giant mungus had dropped a death cap mushroom. This must be what GRINCH was after. Just then, I felt my strength begin to grow, and I grew into a full-sized ogre. And look how many hearts I have now. On days 63 to 66, I had left the Mushroom Islands and returned to GRINCH's house.
Zozo, look at you. You're all leveled up. You look great.
And I even got the mushroom you were looking for. GRINCH was so excited, and he quickly got to work. After a few moments, the new armor was ready, which he gave to me. This new armor fits great, and is so strong. I can't believe mushrooms could be used for something I'd actually like. I asked GRINCH if he was sure he wanted to stay here, and this time, he agreed to move to my base with me. He said after I had left, he was feeling a new kind of loneliness, and decided he would be happier with me and everyone else. Back at the base, I got right to work, constructing him his own place to live. I was glad he had decided to move in with everyone. No one should have to live such a lonely life. Soon, I had finished building his place.
Thanks for this, Zozo. I'm glad you were so weak I had to save you.
Aha, very funny. But I'm glad you're here too. How do you feel about going on a second rescue mission? I feel like I'm ready to save Donkey.
I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I don't think I can. I'm just too scared. There's something about that henchman that makes it too hard for me to face him. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know that with all of your training, I'll be able to do it. He smiled as we both looked off in the distance. I had subscribed to his methods and was rewarded. Now you just need to subscribe so we can keep adventuring together. After a long day, I headed back to my house. That's when I realized I could no longer fit through the front door. Oh man, this is no good. Well, just one way to fix it. I backed up and charged at the doorway, breaking the block with my head. Now I was able to enter my house and close the door. Perfect. On days 67 to 70, I had arrived back at the henchman's fort. It was time to save Donkey. I feel like with my strength and armor, nothing can stop me, even the henchmen. I ran up to the fort, knocking guards out of my way. I used every attack I had, doing my best to take as little damage as possible. The new armor was pretty amazing though, and I felt very protected. There were a lot of knights here, but I wasn't afraid. Don't worry, Donkey, here I come. I kept pushing and knocking knights out of my way. As I fought, I had also picked up a crossbow. I figured that might come in handy at some point. Eventually, I had made it outside the henchman's room. It was time. On day 71 to 74, I stepped into the henchman's room. I could see him sitting on a throne. Donkey was nearby too, trapped in his cage. He was pretty happy to see me.
Zozo, you're here!
Let my friend go, or prepare to be destroyed. The henchman didn't say anything. I guess you really don't talk, do you? Aha! We leapt into battle, exchanging blows. It was made clear really quickly I wasn't ready for this fight. Even with my new strength and armor, I was getting beat. I tried my burping attacks and my farting explosions, and nothing seemed to hurt him. But just then, Donkey called out with some advice.
Zozo, the switch! Hit the switch on the wall!
That's when I noticed that it was connected to a cage hanging from the ceiling. I got the henchman lined up under it, then hit the button, dropping the cage.
You did it! I'm saved!
Free at last! Free at last!
I broke Donkey's cage, letting him out. I saw that there was a treasure chest nearby, so I went over to search it. This thing is full of netherite. That must be how his armor is so strong. I collected everything so I could use it later. I also opened a note from the king. According to this note, the ogre from the castle is an actual princess, not just a princess to me. Now I really have to rescue her. On days 75 to 78, Donkey and I busted out of the fort and made our way back to the base. Once we were back, Donkey pulled me aside to chat.
Oh man, Zozo, I feel terrible. I'm glad to see you didn't get hurt trying to rescue me.
It's okay, Donkey. You've just got to be more careful next time. That reminded me, I could never be too careful and needed to upgrade my gear. Using the netherite I had taken from the henchman, I was able to upgrade my pickaxe, shovel, sword, and axe. Next up, base improvements. Enchanting was a key part of improving my equipment, so I decided to add in some bookshelves to beef up the enchantment table's abilities. Then I headed outside and worked on the entryway, replacing all the woodwork with stone. Now I could have a proper door, too. Later on, I was inside my house when GRINCH came to talk to me.
Someone has been busy. This place looks great. I found something that I thought you could use.
GRINCH tossed out a fire aspect book. Oh, awesome! This is just what I needed. I grabbed the book and headed over to my enchanting table. Using the enchantment, I upgraded my netherite sword. Now it had a cool fire effect to it. Now I'll be too hot to handle. On day 79 to 84, I was too tempted to try out the new sword, so I took it out to the swamp. There were some jungle zombies nearby, so I got right to work, putting it to the test. Oh man, this thing is a beast. I can't wait to use it against some castle knights. Just then, a creeper snuck up behind me and exploded. That really hurt. But what's that? The creeper's explosion had opened up a hidden cave. As I looked over the edge, another creeper exploded behind me, knocking me in. As I went into the cave, I saw it was filled with monsters. Why couldn't it have been full of jewels? Or even better, cookies? I kept fighting my way through, taking some good hits, though my new equipment was next level, and I was able to cut through many rounds of baddies. As I continued continued fighting, I soon saw the cave open into a bigger room with a big mushroom in the middle. What's the deal with all the mushrooms everywhere? Suddenly, the mushroom exploded, revealing a monster. Wow, why is this here? What was going on? It's like my entire life was mocking my distaste for mushrooms by making all the mushrooms I came across attack me. This just wasn't cool. Back off, you evil demon mushroom. Trust me, I don't want to eat you. This guy was super freaky, but I would rather eat a mushroom than be destroyed by one. I swung my fire sword and finally took it out. As he disappeared, I saw it dropped a giant mushroom. I picked it up, but saw its inscription said that I should eat it only in times of need. Who knows? Maybe it could come in handy. On days 85 to 89, I had made it back to the base and went to talk to GRINCH. I told him all about how well the sword had worked and even about my battle with the mushrooms. I don't think he believed me, but he said he did. I finally feel like I'm ready to try and rescue my family. It was then that I remembered how the ogre princess will need somewhere to live once we broke her out, and this place was far from being nice enough for royalty. So with that in mind, I got to work, adding even more upgrades to the base. Hopefully no one else would want to attack us, but if they did, we'd need to build a decent wall. It was going to be a simple addition, but I think it made a big difference. Speaking of builds, I decided it was time to finish the statue. I was really liking how the gingerbread man was looking. It was almost like he could start talking at any moment. As I finished up, I remembered I had planted ingredients to make my own cookies. I knew what I had to do next. On days 90 to 94, I spent the days gathering up as much wheat and cocoa as I could. I was going to need a lot of ingredients for all the cookies I had to make. If I'm going to bake these cookies right though, I need a proper kitchen. I thought the place looked a little classier with a better kitchen too. Once the kitchen was complete, I made as many cookies as I could. With all the cookies baked, I then spent the day passing out all the cookies to my new friends. I told them all how I was sad my family had been kidnapped, but was grateful for each of them. We really felt like a big, happy, adopted family. With all the cookies passed out, it was time to go to the castle. Before I could leave though, Donkey came to talk to me.
Zozo, you really think I'm gonna let you go charging in there all alone?
You'll have to let me, Donkey. You remember how dangerous it was, and plus, if things go wrong, everyone here will need someone to lead them. I can't think of anyone better than you. Donkey was really grateful to be so trusted and thanked me for being his friend. That was that, and it was time to go. On days 95 to 97, I was traveling back toward the castle when I came across a weird robot stuck in the sand. Hang on, little guy, I'll help you. I rushed over to him and dug him out with a shovel. Yahoo, thank you. I was worried my battery was going to run out. Hey, wait a second. Have we met? Are you serious? Of course we have. I'm you. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot I spent 100 days as a robot. That was one of the craziest adventures. That fat cat was so greedy. Oh man, tell me about it. It was also sad. We lost some good friends along the way. Very true. I'm hoping I can save some family and friends right now. Wait, you're in the middle of an adventure right now? What are you talking to me for? Go, go, go! The little robot zoomed away. Yeah, I better get going. But seriously, after this video, go check out my robot adventure. A while later, I arrived back in the village outside of the castle. I could see the place was full of knights who were being mean to the villagers. Hey you, leave them alone! I charged in and started taking out all of the knights. I wasn't afraid of anyone now that I was big and strong. Soon enough, the knights were all defeated and some villagers came over to me.
Thank you for rescuing us. But you're an ogre? We had always heard ogres were evil.
Yeah, well, it might be best to not always judge people by how they look or believe everything you hear. Some people might surprise you. Just then, I noticed more knights and rushed off to fight. I couldn't believe people could say such mean things about ogres. I had to hurry and save everyone. Then they'd see how nice ogres really are. On day 98, I entered the castle grounds. The guards continued to swarm in, attacking me like a pack of hornets. As I fought them, I noticed that I was being watched. Up on the balcony, I could see the tiny king and the princess. Don't worry, I'm coming! The tiny king pulled her back into the room. I had to hurry. I managed to fight off the rest of the knights, then headed into the tower. I entered the throne room, but the king wasn't there. The henchman, get out of my way. The henchman stared at me and said nothing. You give me the creeps. What do you think about this? I walked up to him and threw out a cookie. He picked up the cookie and stared at it. Even though he didn't say anything, I could tell he was confused. Distraction! Hi-ya! I swung my sword and hit him, lighting him on fire. He swung back and the fight was on. I couldn't back down this time, and there was no cages to trap him in. It was either him or me. How can you support the king? He's hurting innocent animals and ogres. The henchman didn't care and kept hitting me with his heavy blows. I was stronger, but he was still just as dangerous as ever. Our fight had led us to the top of some stairs and into a narrow hallway. It was a close battle, and I was starting to wonder if I could actually beat him. I managed to land a good hit when suddenly his helmet disintegrated and he was revealed to be an ogre. What the? You're an ogre? But wait a second, why do you look so familiar? Just then, the wall exploded and GRINCH came through the wall.
Zozo, wait! This ogre, he's my brother.
Your brother? Just then, the henchman spoke.
GRINCH, you old softy, get out of my way.
No, SHREK, I've been too afraid of you for too long. Zozo here has taught me what it means to be brave.
Oh, how cute. You've got yourself your first friend. No wonder, you're both losers.
Zozo, you go on and save the princess. I'll handle my brother. His greed has caused him to forget what matters in life.
Handle me, will ya? I'll show you.
I hurried and ran out of the room as I heard the two ogres begin to fight. I had to get to the princess. On day 99, I ran into the next room and recognized it as the tower from my dream. dream. That's when a bunch of knights started attacking me again. You little tin heads better get out of my way. I knocked them out left and right, throwing them down the stairs. I was going to make it to the top no matter what. Eventually, I reached the top and opened the fancy doors. The king and princess were inside. How can you call yourself a king, hurting innocent animals and creatures in your kingdom?
A king? Please. I am a lord. Lord Farquaad.
All right then, Lord Farquaad. Your cruelty has gone on long enough. This is the end.
Not so fast, ogre.
Suddenly, Lord Farquaad pulled out a potion and drank it down. He grew and turned into a horrible-looking monster, blowing the roof off the castle.
Oh, who is the big guy now? Wait, why is my voice an even higher pitch than before? Whatever. Bye-bye, ogre.
He attacked. I don't know what he drank, but he definitely wasn't the little guy anymore. His hits really hurt. I managed to get some hits on him, but even on fire, he couldn't be stopped.
You pesky ogres, your time is over.
Just then, I remembered something. The magical growth mushroom. I was really hoping I'd never have to use this. Hopefully it helps. I gulped down the mushroom. It was disgusting, but it worked. I grew to a massive size, and I gained even more hearts. Oh yeah, I'll show you who the big guy is.
It doesn't matter. I'll still defeat you.
We jumped at each other and continued to fight. He was strong, but I was stronger. Why are you doing this? Why are you keeping all these ogres as prisoners?
You see that ugly brute standing over there? I paid good money for someone to go and pick her up for me. And when she arrived, she had been cursed by a witch. How could I ever love something that looks like that?
Wow, this guy was such a jerk. How could he be so mean? He had started doing ground attacks too, which did some real damage.
They told me that she would look like that until she fell in love. Can you believe that? So I figured I could just get her to fall in love with another ugly ogre. Then once she was back to normal, I could take her back. But you ogres aren't just ugly, you're violent too.
Clearly you don't understand how love works, and you definitely don't understand ogres. It was time to end this. I focused as hard as I could and landed the final blow. The fire then finished him off. He was defeated. Princess, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you for getting rid of him. By the way, my name is Fiona.
Fiona, it's great to finally meet you. I'm Zozo. I'm sorry to hear you've been cursed. Is there anything we can do to help that?
No, unfortunately, curse rules are curse rules. Only way to break it is if I fall in love. But you know what? I actually really like being an ogre. Every ogre I've talked to has been so nice. And besides, love takes time to blossom. It's not something that can happen overnight.
That's true. Hopefully you find the right person someday. But in the meantime, could you help me? I have to rescue my family.
I know where the ogres are being held. Follow me.
On day 100, I followed Fiona down and into the dungeons. My family was all here. Guys, it's me, Zozo. I'm here to rescue you. Fiona and I broke all the cages, letting everyone free. They couldn't believe I had made it all the way here to rescue them. It was a great reunion. Before I left, though, I met back up with GRINCH. He was looking over the balcony and was sad. GRINCH, what happened with your brother?
We had an epic fight, and I managed to corner him on this balcony. It was clear I was going to beat him, and he jumped over the edge and escaped. Before he left, though, he said he was going to find himself out in the swamp. I can only hope he finds himself a good friend like I did, who can help him become a better man.
Wow, I hope so too. By the way, this is Fiona.
Charmed to meet you, lassie.
Likewise.
Maybe love could blossom faster than we thought. We soon left the castle and returned to the base. Donkey was really excited to see me, and we all celebrated. It looked like the swamp was once again a safe place to live. For now. On day 1, I spawned in as a kangaroo. Hoo-ha, I'm a tiny little kangaroo. Look how bouncy I am. I was so busy bouncing, I barely noticed the little Tasmanian devil that started to attack me. Back away. I swung my fist and punched that little baby right out of here. Hot dang, I'm tiny, but I can pack a punch. I took a look around for some trees to start my adventures when a much bigger Tasmanian devil came out. Uh-oh, looks like I made the dad angry. I gotta hop on out of here. I ran away as the Tasmanian devil looked angrily on. If I could find my kangaroo family, I knew I would be safe. As I hopped around, I could see I was all alone, so I made myself a simple shelter to spend the night. Maybe tomorrow I can find my family. On day 2, I headed back over to where I spawned in and saw the Tasmanian devil was nowhere to be seen. Looks like the coast is clear. Let's get that wood. I started punching the trees and had soon gathered a good amount of wood. Using the wood, I managed to make myself some wood tools that would come in handy later. Turned out that later was now, as a snake came out of nowhere and attacked. Where did you come from? I swung at the snake, hitting him right in the face. It didn't take long, and I was able to take him out. Not bad, my guy. I looked over and saw an emu was watching. Why don't you come over here and let me get a sample of that power? You wanna fight me? Just box. Let's go. I didn't see the harm in a little training, so I started swinging. The emu was a good fighter and had clearly been well trained. After a bit of sparring, he stopped. Yeah, you've got some real talent, but you've got lots to learn. Let me introduce you to my trainer. He'll have you becoming a real fighter in no time. I agreed and followed him. As we walked, he introduced himself as Ernie. We soon arrived at an old rundown gym. As we entered inside, I soon saw who his trainer was. It was an old turtle. Master Balboa, I ran into this kangaroo, and I think he's got some real promise. The old turtle looked me up and down. I don't see much here. I won't train him. Oh, come on. Maybe he can help with the... Silence? Okay, he can stay here. Be ready for training at sunrise. I don't know why this Master Balboa was so hard on me, but I agreed to be trained and went to bed in the gym. On day 3, I was woken up by Master Balboa. Already sleeping in, I see. Beggars can't be choosers. Up. You will start by cleaning this place. I took a look around the gym and saw that there was a lot of work to be done. There was a lot of stuff that needed to be cleared out, and there was a lot of room for improvement. I wonder how long it had been since someone had cleaned this place up. Once I had done a fair bit of cleaning, I decided that I didn't want to be sleeping on the floor anymore, so I made myself a small room for me to sleep in. It wasn't anything fancy, just a place to rest. After I had finished, Master Balboa came up to me. Too good to sleep on the floor, are you? Every student sleeps on the floor and earns his dues. I don't know why you think you are different. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just thought it might be a little more comfortable. One can never do the uncomfortable from a place of comfort. You do well to remember that strength is forged in the trials of fire. Man, this guy was always speaking in weird sayings. Just then, a mountain tortoise appeared. Uh-oh, this guy looks like he wants to hurt me. Let's get out of here. No, Zozo, this is your fire. Fight him and forge the strength you need to win. Okay, I'll give it a shot. The tortoise was tough. He was really hitting hard and I wasn't feeling confident I could win. That's when I could hear Master Balboa shouting at me. A tortoise's strength doesn't come from the hardness of his shell, but from the will of his heart. What? Don't hit the shell, hit his soft spots. Oh, right. I focused on the tortoise's neck and started landing some good hits. In no time, he was taken out. After he had disappeared, I felt some adrenaline coursing through me and I leveled up into an even stronger kangaroo. I have even more hearts now too. Ernie was really impressed and shouted his encouragement to me. I thought I even saw Master Balboa crack a smile. Just maybe. On days 4 to 5, I found myself facing off with Ernie. My skills had improved, but my emu friend really knew how to fight. As we fought, I asked him some questions. So have you seen any other kangaroos around? I can't be the only one. Ernie didn't say anything, but I could tell he had something to say. Master Balboa spoke up instead. There are many animals who have trained here. One of these animals was a legendary kangaroo. He was one of the greatest fighters to pass through this gym. Even he, among many others, was unable to defeat the buff bear. All have failed. I hate that buff bear. I've seen too many of my friends fall to him. Nothing will stop me from destroying him. Patience, Ernie. Rage is a cancer that can blind even the clearest of vision. Ernie calmed down, but I could still sense his frustration beneath the surface. I felt his anger though. That buff bear was going to pay. On days 6 to 8, I woke up with an idea. If we're really going to take down this buff bear, we're gonna need better training facilities. I think I can help with that. After I had gathered some stone, I was suddenly attacked by the Tasmanian devil for my first day. Joke was on him though. I was even stronger now. Let's see how you like this. I swung my fist and really let him have it. I don't think he was expecting me to be so strong, and I was able to knock him out in no time. Someone bit off more than they could chew. I grabbed a little more sand, then headed back to the base. Now that I had a bunch of materials, I used them to start improvements to the gym. I felt like I had a strong purpose and a clear mind. Master Balboa would be proud of that. After a lot of sweat and hard work, all the improvements were complete, at least for now. On days 9 to 10, Ernie and I were out for a jog. The problem was, Ernie was so much faster than me, he had to keep waiting for me to catch up. He didn't seem to mind though.
What a slowpoke.
I looked over and saw a monkey was watching us. Hey, that's not a very nice thing to say.
You're right. I'm not very nice. I'm nicer than that dump you call a gym, though.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Why do you care? You're not gonna be around much longer anyway.
What do you mean?
My Master Buff Bear is gonna wipe you and all your little friends out soon enough. You're all just a bunch of weaklings.
Buff Bear? You think Buff Bear can beat us? Ernie jumped to the monkey and they started to fight. Yeah, get him, Ernie! The monkey and Ernie were pretty evenly matched, but I believed in Ernie. Just then, someone else came running into the fight. It was the Buff Bear! Ernie, watch out! Ernie was outnumbered. I had to help. Heh. More Balboa students for me to destroy. You guys are pathetic. We were holding on. The Buff Bear was strong. I was starting to get worried about Ernie. Stop this at once! Master Balboa had arrived. He seemed to catch us all off guard as everyone stopped fighting. Balboa, crawled out of your shell to train some more weaklings, I see. Bear, your strength is your weakness. Are you two really listening to this old fool? Don't insult him. You're a real jerk. I challenge you to a fight. Ernie? No. Yeah, I'll fight you, little guy. Looks like you better go with your babysitter. You know where to find me. Master Balboa then pulled us away as Buff Bear and his monkey henchman left. Ernie, I told you your anger could be your downfall. Master Balboa, I've been training so hard. I know I can beat him. Master Balboa didn't seem so sure, but didn't say anything else. If you're gonna go through with this, you'll need all the help you can get. I'll do what I can to help you prepare. On days 11 to 12, I decided to continue doing some upgrades to the gym. Ernie was going to need every advantage, so I made sure to give the gym the improvements it needed to give him the edge. It's going to take more than a nice gym to win this fight, so we better get some upgraded gear. I took off and soon found myself in a forest. I headed into a nearby cave and quickly found some iron. Just what I was looking for. I had collected the iron I needed when suddenly I was attacked by a sunbird. What the? Where did you come from? I tried to hit him, but he was too tough. My health was starting to drain though, so I had to get out of there. I ran off. How could I beat him? Then I had an idea. I climbed up to get higher than the Sunbird, then jumped off. Heads up! By doing this, I was able to land the final blow. That's when I saw he had dropped some items. Oh, nice! These will be perfect for the base.
You saved me!
Confused, I turned and saw Platypus was talking to me.
That Sunbird wouldn't leave me alone.
Well, he'll leave you alone now, but it is pretty dangerous out here. Do you have a safe place to stay?
No, not really. I'm all alone out here.
Well, why don't you come live at my training gym with me?
Oh, I've always wanted to be stronger. That sounds great.
We headed off for the gym. We soon arrived, and I had a chat with Master Balboa.
Zozo, I'm not running a charity here. You can't just invite anyone you meet to live here.
But he was all alone. I can build him his own place. He won't be a bother. I'm sure of it.
Well, these are dangerous times.
Very well. I quickly got to work putting together a room for the platypus, whose name was Perry. I wasn't sure how much training Master Balboa was going to let him do, but in any case, he would have a place to stay. I also took some time to build myself a crafting area. Once my crafting area was set up, I smelted all the iron I had gathered. With all the iron smelted, I then took all of the iron ingots and used them to make myself a fancy new set of iron tools. I also used them to make myself some iron armor. The iron armor is still a little big for me though, so I'll save it for later. On days 13 to 15, I woke up to a strange noise. We were being attacked by a gang of monkeys. Buff Bear's cronies. We've got to stop them. I jumped into the battle, hitting as many monkeys as I could. I couldn't believe Buff Bear would send a hit squad like this. I was taking some of them out, but they just kept coming. Suddenly, Buff Bear entered, and the fight was really on. Ernie and Master Balboa tried to fight him off, but it looked like they were in real trouble. Then, out of nowhere, I was trapped in a cage. All I could do was watch as Buff Bear attacked my friends. Master Balboa took a hard hit. Ernie was now in danger. This looked like the end for him. No! Oh, wait, it was just a dream. Thank goodness. I was still feeling nervous about it though, so I went to talk to Ernie. I told him about my dream and that I didn't think it'd be a good idea for him to go through with the fight. Ernie just laughed it off, saying I was being paranoid. He was sure he could win the fight. I hope so, but keep an eye out for any funny business. On days 16 to 19, I woke up and saw that Master Balboa and Ernie were already hard at work training. Whoops, Master Balboa isn't going to like that I slept in again. I was still feeling a little nervous about Ernie's fight though, so I went to talk to him about it. He told me that I needed to stop worrying. That's when Master Balboa started to talk to me.
Zozo, enough jibber jabber. You already slept too late. It's time to train.
Yeah, sorry. I had a pretty bad dream. What's on the schedule for today? Master Balboa led us over to a corner of the gym.
There's a spider infestation down there that I don't want to deal with. The two of you can get down there and clean it up. There's more equipment on the way, and we need space for it.
Oh man. Alright, we're on it. Ernie and I broke all the boards, as well as the spider webs. Master Balboa was right. It was a mess down here. We got right to work destroying all of the spiders in our way. I wondered how long they had been down here. I really hope Master Balboa knows what he's doing. This is nasty. Soon enough, the spiders were all cleared out. We then got to work patching up all of the broken sections. This place was in rough shape, but we were sure we could get it looking nice in no time. As we finished, Master Balboa came down to meet us.
Zozo, there's a delivery waiting for us. Go ahead and bring everything down.
I ran upstairs and greeted the delivery man. He handed me the boxes of equipment and I took everything downstairs. Inside of the boxes was a bunch of exercise equipment.
Well boys, hop to it.
Ernie and I unloaded all of the equipment and got everything set up. There were a lot of good areas to train in now. Just in time too, because Master Balboa was ready for us.
Time to hit the equipment.
Ernie and I ran around the gym following Master Balboa's instructions. It was a lot of hard work, but Ernie had a big fight ahead and we really needed to push him to be his best. The new equipment was great too. I was definitely going to be sore tomorrow. As we finished our workout, I could really feel my heart pumping. Suddenly, I grew into an even bigger kangaroo and gained more hearts. Whoa, I feel great! As we all celebrated my new strength, Perry came down the stairs.
Wow, you've grown. I wanted to find you guys as I know something that might help. There's some powerful boxing gloves at a far-off land that makes the user punch even harder than normal.
That's just what we could use. Perry explained where we needed to go. I told Ernie to keep training, and I would go find the gloves. On days 20 to 22, I headed out to go find the special gloves. Perry told me where to go, but mentioned it was very dangerous. As I got closer, I could see why. This outpost is crawling with desert raiders. This isn't going to be easy. I snuck my way up to the front door as a patrol of raiders walked by. Maybe I could sneak in. I moved further into the base, trying to hide behind things. I'd gotten much bigger though, and that was harder to do. They soon spotted me and attacked. Looks like I'm gonna have to fight my way through this one. There were a lot of raiders, but with my new strength, it wasn't too much of a challenge to knock them out of the way. I had to be careful though, because if I got too cocky, they could easily overrun me with their numbers and take me down. Soon I had fought my way to the top of the base. As I moved to take the power gloves, I heard a noise. A buff raider was looking at me and charged. Bring it on! This guy was no ordinary raider. He was stronger than the others and had a different weapon. As he hit me, I even caught on fire.
Whoa, tone it down, big guy.
The fire hurt, but I had to keep fighting. I couldn't let Ernie down. I kept on punching and hitting until finally I landed the final blow. The power gloves are all mine mine now. I walked up to the gloves and picked them up. They fit like a glove. As I left the base, another raider tried to attack me, but I punched him so hard he went flying. The other guy simply turned and tried to run away. I've got the power now. As I arrived back at the base, I could see Ernie outside training. I could tell he was feeling a bit nervous. Hey Ernie, are you feeling nervous? I'm here to support you no matter what. There's no shame in calling it off. No, I can't call it off. I've been waiting for this my whole life. All right, if you say so. In any case, I have some good news. I got the power gloves. These should give you a serious leg up. I tossed the gloves over to him, and he was super excited about it. I could tell this really raised his spirits. I was still nervous about him doing the fight, but there was no way I was going to change his mind. On days 23 to 26, it was time for the big fight. We all made our way to the arena and soon arrived. Ernie was in high spirits, and we were feeling pretty good. Maybe he could win this thing after all. As we approached, the monkey from before stopped us.
Hi, you chumps. Buff Bear wants to make this fight a little more interesting.
Oh boy, what's that?
This fight won't be to the death, just until someone gives up. If the emu here wins, which he won't, Master Bear will let any of the captured birds go. But if he loses, he'll be Master Bear's servant for life.
There's something fishy about this, Ernie. I don't think it's a good idea.
Tell your boss I'll take it, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the birds go free.
The monkey chuckled and went to tell his boss. Later, Ernie had stepped into the ring, and we could hear something up above us. Buff Bear had hung cages all around the arena, cages that were filled with all of Ernie's friends. This guy was a sicko. An announcer stepped into the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Rumble Fantastical! In the red corner, we have the powerful, the mighty, the undefeated Buff Bear!
The crowd went absolutely nuts with cheering. He was definitely going to have the home field advantage.
And in the blue corner is an emu.
The announcer walked off. You got this, Ernie.
Make us proud, son.
There was a ding, and the fight was on. Ernie and Buff Bear jumped at each other. They were both landing some heavy hits. Come on, Ernie, show him who's boss. Ernie was swinging his hardest, and it looked like he was actually winning. I bet Buff Bear wasn't expecting those power gloves.
What's wrong, Bear? Scared you finally met your end?
Ew, I guess I'll start trying now.
Buff Bear started hitting even harder than before. He wasn't bluffing. He had just been toying with Ernie. Ernie, watch out! Buff Bear was really landing blows now. All Ernie could do was try to defend, but it was no use. This fight wasn't going to last much longer.
Okay, I yield. You win. I'll be your servant.
Please, I have enough servants. You think I'm not going to give my friends a good show?
No, you made a deal.
Oops, guess I lied.
Ernie, watch out! Buff Bear swung his claws and destroyed Ernie for good.
No!
The crowd went wild as Buff Bear celebrated with them. Oh, let's get him!
No, Zozo, I can't lose you too. Quick, grab the gloves and let's get out of here.
I jumped into the arena and collected the power gloves. Master Balboa and I got out of there as fast as we could. On days 27 to 31, we had made it back to the gym. I couldn't believe Ernie was gone. We'd only known each other for a short time, but it felt like we had become brothers. I went outside and saw Master Balboa looking off into the distance. We'll get our revenge on Buff Bear. I know it. Master Balboa sighed.
Zozo, it is impossible. I can't keep letting this cycle repeat itself. Ernie said the same thing to me when our last student was defeated, and that student said the same thing when we lost the one before. I am a failure as a teacher. I should just close up the gym and be done.
No, you can't do that. I've learned so much from you, and I know I have much more to learn. If you're gone, it will be like I've lost everyone. Master Balboa thought about it for a moment.
Fine, we can continue, but you must promise you won't challenge that bear. Training is for the strengthening of the self, not the domination of others.
I smiled. He was back to himself. I promised to train for my own betterment, not for the destruction of others. I meant what I said, but there was something inside of me that was telling me I needed to avenge Ernie. I didn't feel like I needed to mention that to Master Balboa though, so I changed the subject. I think we should do something to honor Ernie, and I know just what to do. Using some of the supplies from the gym, I got to work building a statue. I had a special idea in mind, and I think you'll like it when I'm done. It wasn't too much longer, and the first part of the statue was complete. On days 32 to 35, I went to have a chat with Perry. Even if we weren't going to challenge the Buff Bear and his monkeys, we needed to be strong enough to defend ourselves. Perry said he was ready to begin training, and I decided it would be good to go and try to recruit more animals. I headed out into the land and soon came across an abandoned farm. I didn't see anyone, so I decided to go ahead and grab some of the nearby crops. As I was finishing up, I heard a cry in the distance. What was that? The sound got closer. That's when I saw a baby pig was under attack by a group of cougars.
Help me, help me!
I charged in, punching the cougars. Leave him alone! The cougars must have been so hungry, they didn't even pay attention to me. The poor little piggy was really in trouble. I took a few swings, and soon, all of the cougars were gone. Hey there, buddy. Are you okay?
Yes, but no. This was my family's farm. My family was captured and taken away by the henchmen of Buff Bear. I was next.
Thank goodness you came along.
Happy to help, but it's not safe out here. Please, come stay at my gym with me and my friends. You'll be much safer there. Pig was thrilled at this idea. Oh, and his name was Wilbur. On days 36 to 39, Wilbur and I had arrived back at the base. I brought him inside and introduced him to Perry, who was hard at work training on a dummy. Perry, I'd like you to meet Wilbur. He's going to be staying with us, and I thought he'd make for a great training partner. Perry and Wilbur started chatting and hit it off right away. Then they ran off to go do some training. While they were doing that, I decided to go outside and work on the farm. Using the crops I had collected, I planted everything to give us a nice food supply. With the farm set up, I then got right to work, building Wilbur his own room. The poor guy was missing his family, but at least we could give him a home here in the meantime. Once the room was complete, I headed back to the ring to guide Perry and Wilbur in a practice fight. The two of them weren't very strong yet, but we would get them there. Master Balboa came over.
And who do we have here?
I introduced Wilbur to Master Balboa, who seemed happy to see him there. He didn't seem to be quite as strict as he was when I first arrived.
But remember, the things you learn here are for your defense only, not for attacking others. Speaking of which, I have something to share with you, Zozo.
What is it?
If we are to be prepared for an attack, we must have every advantage available to us. There is a powerful defensive item that you need to find.
Master Balboa then explained the direction I needed to go. He wasn't sure of its exact location, but another animal in the area may have heard of it. I set off right away. On days 40 to 43, I was still traveling across the land toward the special item. Off in the distance, I could see a watering hole. Oh, perfect, I could use a drink. As I got closer though, I was stopped by a gazelle.
Hang on, you can't go over there.
Why not?
Don't you see that lion? He attacks anyone who tries to drink. He's a real jerk.
A real jerk, huh? I've got a thing for getting rid of jerks.
Well, if you can get rid of them, I'll give you something good.
Sounds like a deal. Hang on a second. I hopped over to the lion. Without a word, he attacked. Wow, they weren't joking. You are a jerk. This guy was tough, but he had no training. His fighting style was messy, and he just tried to swing mindlessly at me. I bobbed and weaved, landing blows. He still got some hits in, but in the end, I managed to take him out.
You did it. Wow, that was really impressive. Here, take this.
The gazelle tossed out a specialized pickaxe. As I looked closer, I could see it was enchanted with efficiency and fortune. Whoa, this is a massive help. Thank you. I ran off and soon found a cave. I had to put this thing to use right away. As I explored the cave, I soon found what I was looking for. Diamonds. The perfect thing at a time like this. I'm going to be able to upgrade all of my gear. My pockets were soon full of diamonds, and I headed out to keep looking for the special item. On days 54 to 49, I was finishing up my diamond mining. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me. What the heck is that? A giant two-legged monster was looking at me. It attacked. I had never seen a monster like this before, but it was really powerful. I was starting to get worried because my health was really dropping. It doesn't look like I'm gonna make it. Just then, a colorful warrior came stepping in and finished it off. Whoa, you're super strong. Where did you come from?
Technically, I came from 1,000 years ago.
Whoa, are you some kind of time traveler?
No, not exactly. In my lifetime, I was cursed by some evil witches, and now I can't rest until I've defeated the ancient ghost warrior.
Ghost warrior? That sounds spooky. What is that, and where do you find one?
Follow me.
I took off after the ancient warrior, and we soon arrived at an old temple. As we got closer, I could see there was some kind of magical force field blocking our way in. The ancient warrior explained that in order to bring down the shield, we'd have to defeat 3 nearby ghost shamans.
I have come here many times, but I'm not strong enough on my own. If I could get your help, there would be something in it for you too. Inside of this temple is a powerful defensive item that can only be used by the living.
That sounds like the item I've been searching for. I'm in. On days 50 to 53, the warrior and I soon saw the fire tower looming in the distance. On top, the fire ghost shaman was waiting. We charged up the tower, fighting blazes along the way. Out of the way, hotheads! The warrior was really impressed with my skills. We soon reached the top. The fire ghost shaman took one look at us, then attacked. We had an intense battle while he set off explosions around us. It was hard to believe that there were 2 more of these guys. With the combined power of the warrior and me though, we managed to finally defeat him. After he disappeared, we noticed that he had dropped a key. Oh, we can use this to unlock the barrier. 2 more to go. Sometime later, we arrived at the ice tower. It was a huge ice spike protruding out of an icy wasteland. It was quite the sight to behold. Let's get to it. This time the tower was covered in skeletal warriors. They were vicious in their attacks, and at times I was scared they were going to knock me off the tower. We got lucky though and managed to make it to the top. Problem was, there was no one there. Where is he? Do you think someone defeated him already? Without warning, some ice in the wall broke and the ice shaman came charging out. Quite the entrance there, sir. The ice shaman put up a big fight. As we battled, he shot ice spikes up from the ground, which were really scary. A hit from those would do some serious damage. We were tough though and managed to take him out. He too dropped a key, which we picked up. Later, we arrived at the final tower, the storm tower. It too was an impressive sight, towering over the surrounding land. We didn't have time to be impressed though. We had a key to collect. We charged up the tower, racing to the top. Protecting the tower was a small army of lightning allays. They would shriek as they flew in, trying to hit us. These guys are freaking me out. It took a lot of effort, but at long last, we had almost reached the top. There was just one problem. Looks like we've got some jumping to do. Hopefully we don't fall off. The platforms had been covered in water and were a little slick, but we were doing okay. That's when a small storm cloud opened up and started shooting lightning at us. You can't be serious! We kept hopping across the platforms, doing our best to avoid the lightning strikes, which, as you can imagine, is not the easiest thing to do. Yet somehow we managed to reach the top. There was a burst of lightning, and the storm shaman appeared, floating on a thundercloud. Let's show this prehistoric storm junkie who they're messing with. The shaman started to fight us, shooting lightning as he went. Come on, man, cool it with the lightning. He was quick, but not too quick. We hit him again and again, taking some hits of our own. It was a close battle, but in the end, we were able to come out on top. And there's the last key. We picked it up. It was time to let our warrior rest. On days 54 to 57, we had returned to the temple. The warrior stepped forward and placed the keys in the elemental circle. As he did so, each key floated in place until at long last, the barrier was destroyed. We entered the temple and went up the stairs. As we reached the top, I could see the item floating on a table. The eye of the tiger. That must be it. We ran forward to grab it, but heard a strange noise, stopping in our tracks. What was that? Suddenly, the ground broke and we fell down a long hole. Oof. Where are we?
Who dares enter my tomb?
Sitting in front of us on a throne was the ancient ghost warrior. He was dressed in a tiger skin. There was no way I was going to get that item without defeating this guy. All right, Catman, let's dance. Ghost warrior charged. The battle was fierce and everyone was getting in some hard hits. The thing is though, we were winning. For an endless being, you aren't very tough. We landed a pretty heavy blow, which sent the ghost warrior running back to his throne.
Feel the wrath of the elemental beings.
Suddenly, a small force field appeared, and the 3 elemental shamans came running through the portals. These guys again? We can do this! It was hard enough fighting these guys one-on-one, but all 3 at once was a real challenge. Before, we had always outnumbered them, so this was a tough fight. Luckily, these reanimated warriors weren't as tough as the ones in the towers, as they didn't seem to be able to use their special attacks. Hang on, buddy, we can beat them! Slowly but surely, we were able to start taking them out. As one would fall, the force field would weaken, until finally, they were all gone.
I will end this!
The ghost warrior attacked us again, but it was clear we were too powerful. He tried his best, but soon, he was destroyed.
Thank you for your help, Zozo. Please, go and claim the Eye of the Tiger. I will stay here and assume my final rest.
You're a mighty warrior. Enjoy your afterlife. I ran up the stairs and grabbed the Eye of the Tiger off the pedestal. I don't know what exactly this does, but I guess I'll find out. As I went to exit the temple, I saw the warrior standing at the bottom of the temple steps. What are you doing here? I thought you were on your way to the afterlife.
Well, I did too, but nothing happened. Did you get the item?
I did, but I'm not sure what it does exactly.
You will never leave this place!
The ghost warrior had reappeared at the top of the stairs and came charging at me. He hit me super hard, but I immediately responded with an even stronger counterattack, knocking him out in one hit. Whoa, what was that?
It was the item. It lets you deliver a powerful blow, but only if you take a powerful hit yourself.
Interesting. Say, if you're not going to be disappearing anytime soon, why don't you join me on my quest?
I've got nothing else to do. Sounds great.
Awesome. By the way, what's your name? I bet it's something really cool and ancient sounding.
Tim.
Tim? Like short for Timothy?
That is correct.
Okay, well, that's still cool. Let's go. On days 58 to 62, Tim and I arrived back at the base. I headed straight to Master Balboa to tell him about the item I had found.
That is most impressive, Zozo. I'm so happy that you made it back in one piece.
Master Balboa let out a cough. That didn't sound so good, but I didn't want to press him. He was also looking a little shaky. With Tim at the base, I needed to make sure he had a place to stay. I wasn't sure if undead, timeless ancient warriors needed to sleep or not, but I did my best to make him a comfortable place. At the very least, he could just enjoy the feng shui. Tim then called me over to him and told me that his 1,000 years of life came with some training tips. Following his instructions, I made some improvements to the gym. These are really going to help us out. With Tim all set up, I then headed over to the crafting table to make use of all the diamonds I had found. It had been something of a miracle that I was able to win all the battles I did using subpar armor. Soon, I had everything upgraded and was ready for my next fight. On days 63 to 66, I decided to get some more work done on Ernie's statue. I had gotten a decent amount done when I heard a noise coming from the base. As I looked, I saw the base was under attack by the monkeys. And this time, it wasn't a dream. You scumbags, get back! I started to fight off the monkeys, taking a lot of them out. Buff Bear was strong, but his students weren't. He must not be a very good teacher. I then hurried and ran inside the gym, where there's a pack of monkeys attacking Master Balboa. Get away from him! Master Balboa was holding his own, but I could tell he was eventually going to be overrun. I helped fight off the monkeys until only the henchman monkey was left.
You may have defeated our little army, but as long as you keep training and getting more members of your gym, we'll keep giving you these little visits.
Enough is enough. We will never give up. Tell your boss this is an official challenge. I challenge him to a fight to the death.
Oh, okay, pal. Your funeral.
The monkey turned and ran off. I ran over to Master Balboa. He wasn't looking so good.
Zozo, why did you do that? You promised me you wouldn't fight him.
promised I would only fight out of self-defense. They attacked us. Isn't that what I'm doing? Master Balboa let out a cough. He had been seriously injured. We don't have to worry about that right now. You need to rest up and heal your wounds. I'm sorry. I led him to his bed to rest. Things weren't looking good. On day 67 to 70, I got to work, building a medical area that would have all the things that could help Master Balboa to heal. I hoped he could pull through. When I was done, I went to check on him again, but things were not looking good.
Zozo, I don't know how much time I have left, but I need to talk to you about this fight.
Master Balboa, it's okay. Save your energy. I know what you're going to say. We don't have to talk about this now.
We do, Zozo. I just want you to consider something. You can live your life in peace at this gym, restoring it and training the next generation of protectors. You don't have to throw your life away in the pursuit of revenge. Don't answer me now. Just promise you will think about it.
I promised him I would think about it. While I thought about it though, I decided to get to work repairing the gym. The monkeys had caused a lot of damage and we needed to get things back in case they attacked again. Once the repairs were complete, I went around the outside of the gym, putting up a fence. A little extra security could make a big difference in the future. As I was finishing up the fence, Perry came over to talk to me.
Hey, I've got some information you might find useful. I know where you can find that monkey.
Oh, do you? Because I wouldn't mind having a little chat with him.
There's a club nearby that he likes to hang out at. I'll tell you the way.
Perry explained how to find the club and I set off. If I decided not to fight Buff Bear, at the very least, I was going to take out his monkey. On day 71 to 74, I arrived outside the club Perry had told me about. There were some bouncers standing outside. Out of the way, boys, or I'll move you myself. The bouncers weren't interested in my threats and we started to fight. How bold of them to think they were going to stop me. I was able to knock both of them out pretty quickly. As I stepped into the club, there was a shout and a bunch of monkeys started to swarm me. Bring it on, you tree rats. Where's your leader? I smacked the monkeys left and right, sending them crashing into the tables and chairs. I wasn't in the mood for their sad attempts to take me out. I only had one thing on my mind: revenge. Come on, where is he? I know he's hiding around here. More and more waves of monkeys came running out, but it didn't matter. I tossed them around like stuffed animals and took them out quickly. If they weren't going to show me where the henchman was hiding, I was just going to have to start destroying their club. I ran around the room, busting up the tables and chairs. I ran around, breaking everything I could. If he was going to come to my house and break my stuff, I had no problem going to his and doing the same. Surely this would draw the monkey henchman out. On day 75 to 78, a nearby door opened and the henchman finally revealed himself.
Hey, what's the big idea? I thought we told you where you could stick your little kangaroo paws.
Did you really think you could come to our gym and not have anything happen in return?
You said you wanted to fight Master Bear, not me.
Turned out I had some room in my schedule. You and me, alone. Now, let's go!
Sure, I can crush you myself.
The henchman leapt forward, getting an early hit in, catching me off guard. He was stronger than I was expecting.
What's wrong, Happy? Spending too much time hugging trees and drinking tea with your turtle grandpa? How is he, by the way? I hear he's not doing too good.
You're about to pay what you did to him. I landed a really hard hit, which I could tell really shook him up.
Nah, not like this. You won't beat me.
Suddenly, a bunch of monkey guards came running into the room. You coward, always hiding behind others. You talk tough, but you're weak. If Buff Bear wasn't around to protect you, you'd have disappeared a long time ago. I managed to knock out the crowd of monkeys. The monkey henchman looked around, then took off running up a flight of stairs to the roof of the club. I chased him to the top. What are you so afraid of? I thought you were going to crush me.
What are you doing at that turtle gym? How did you become so strong?
It's called training. Maybe you should have tried it instead of running your mouth. The monkey henchman was cornered at the edge of the roof.
Hey, come on now. I just wanted to rough that old turtle up a bit, you know? It's not a big deal. We're not so different, you know? We're both strong-willed. So what do you say? Let's call it a draw and I'll get Buff Bear to call the fight off.
No, I punched him so hard he flew over the edge, disappearing into the night. I had no more time for slimy monkeys. As I ran down the stairs, I noticed there was a note on the monkey's desk. I picked it up and took a look. Do not worry about Zozo. Even if it comes to a fight between me and him, I have a man on the inside. We will poison Zozo before the fight and ensure my victory. This must be from Buff Bear, but a man on the inside? I'll have to keep an eye out. On day 79 to 84, I arrived back at the base. As I got closer, Perry came running out.
Zozo, come quick. Master Balboa has been asking for you. I think this is the end.
I hurried inside and saw Master Balboa was looking even worse than before. He looked like he didn't have much time left.
Zozo, my end is near, but I needed to speak with you.
I'm sorry, Master Balboa. I've been rash. I know I need to call off the fight. If that is your final wish, I will honor it.
And finally, you understand.
What do you mean?
Zozo, I know you. And while I know you mean that when you say it, your desire for revenge will grow stronger with every attack Buff Bear launches. Even the strongest warrior can't run in two directions at once.
Wait, do you mean to say you want me to fight him?
I do. I've known this from the moment Ernie stepped into the ring with that bear. It was always your destiny to avenge Ernie and save this gym. But I needed you to understand that you cannot defeat the bear with a heart of rage.
You've been preparing me this whole time, and I didn't even realize realize it. Thank you. I'm afraid someone here is trying to sabotage me though. I found a note from Buff Bear saying so.
If a friend is going to cross you, they may have their own reasons why. Be patient and have compassion, so you may learn why. Goodbye, Zozo. I will be with you.
Master Balboa turned to his side and vanished. I couldn't believe he was gone. Suddenly, there were some blinking lights as experience poured in on me, leveling me up into an even bigger kangaroo with more hearts. Master Balboa's final gift. I won't let him down. As a show of my gratitude, I headed outside to do some work on the statue. There was something new I felt I should add. Now that Master Balboa was gone, it might not look like much, but soon enough, it will be something great. On days 85 to 89, I walked around the gym, visiting with each of the new friends I had made. Each of them had a piece of advice for me. Tim spoke of speed in the fight, using fast movements to evade the enemy's attack in order to land my own. Harry showed me what he had learned about his tail and shared with me a secret he had discovered that allowed him to hit twice as hard with it. Wilbur spoke to me about the power of perseverance. Sometimes things get hard in the fight, but by keeping your head down and continuing to fight, you will always make it through. As Wilbur was explaining, Perry came over. He had a note from Buff Bear. Greetings, Zozo. I accept your challenge and I will meet you in the arena in a few days. Best get ready soon. As I read the note, I noticed Wilbur was acting a little funny. I'd have to keep an eye on him over the next few days. On days 90 to 94, I woke up and decided it was time to make my final preparations. I felt more powered up than ever, but there was still more that needed to be done. There was no way I could let Buff Bear take me out. First things first, I've got to upgrade my armor. The strongest armor comes from netherite, so I needed to head into the nether. I set out to find obsidian. I had ventured deep into a cave where there was lava and was able to collect all the obsidian I needed. Using my newly collected obsidian, I then set up a portal outside and lit it. Going to the nether always makes me nervous, but here we go. I stepped into the portal and the purple haze took me away. Safely in the nether, I got right to work, looking for ancient debris. Unfortunately, this wasn't going to be an easy trip, and I was soon fighting my way through. Out of the way! I fought as hard as I could, and managed to clear a path. I had to hurry though, there was always something hiding around the corner. After plenty of searching, I managed to get all of the ancient debris that I needed. I also grabbed some gold. This will help me make netherite ingots, but I can also use it to finish the statue. Once I had collected everything, I headed back to the portal. On days 95 to 97, I arrived back in the overworld and made my way back to the gym. Using the ancient debris, I was able to smelt it down into netherite scraps. Then using the netherite scraps and gold, I made some netherite ingots. Now I can get truly powered up. I took all of the diamond armor and gear I had collected and upgraded everything to netherite. I had no idea what Buff Bear was going to show up with, so I had to have the best. After that, I headed outside to finish the statue. Using all of the supplies I'd collected, I was finally able to give it the final touches. As I'm sure you figured out by now, it was a trophy of my two friends, Ernie and Master Balboa. As I finished the statue and admired my work, I suddenly had a vision.
Zozo, it's me, Ernie.
Ernie? I can't believe it. You're back.
Well, no, I'm just here, in your head, but I wanted to say thank you for working so hard to avenge me.
Yes, Zozo, we won't see you there, but we will be supporting you. We know you can win.
Thanks, guys. I was starting to feel a bit lonely, but I feel much better now, especially since someone is going to try and poison me.
Zozo, remember, they may have their reasons, so meet them with compassion, not anger.
I nodded as the two of them vanished away. I'll do whatever it takes to win. On day 98, I woke up to the sound of a knock at my door. It was Wilbur.
Hello, Zozo. I thought you could use a pick-me-up before your fight. I made this for you.
Wilbur seemed really nervous as he passed the drink over to me. As I took a closer look at the drink, I could very clearly see that it had poison in it. It was labeled. Before I could say anything though, Wilbur piped up.
Zozo, wait. Don't drink that. It's poisoned.
Yeah, I saw that. Wilbur, what's going on?
I'm sorry for trying to poison you. Buff Bear is blackmailing me. He knows something about me and threatened to tell everyone if I didn't help him.
What do you mean? What could be so bad that you would poison your friend?
The truth is that I love clean water. Bathing in mud is so gross. But if anyone found out, especially the other pigs, I would be ridiculed until the day I become a pork chop. Please don't tell anyone, and please forgive me.
The advice of Master Balboa repeated in my head. It's okay, Wilbur. I forgive you. And don't worry, if anyone ever gives you a problem about liking clean water, you just let me know. I've got two fists that will have a word with them.
Thanks, Zozo. You're a good friend.
I decided that I would even do him one better and got to work building him his own special hot tub. I wanted him to know that he would never get made fun of here. Once the work was completed, I gathered everyone together for one final chat. They were all so excited for me and began to give me words of encouragement. I didn't know what I had done to have so many great friends. As their encouragement grew, I suddenly started to as well. Out of nowhere, I became a big, buff kangaroo. Let's go kick some Buff Bear butt. And don't forget to hit subscribe. I can't do this without your help. On day 99, we made our way to the arena. The day of the fight had come. As I entered, I could see not much had changed from before. Buff Bear and I stepped into the ring for our introductions.
Ladies Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the latest Rumble in the Rotunda! In the red corner, we have the mighty, the majestic, the powerful, the one, the only, Buff Bear!
The monkeys in the crowd went wild in admiration.
And in the blue corner, a kangaroo.
Buff Bear and I were facing each other. He had a sly grin.
Hope you're not feeling a little under the weather today.
You mean like poisoned? I feel great, actually. Turns out your friend is actually my friend.
What? That useless pig. After I beat you, he's dead.
Keep dreaming. We got ready for the bell. Buff Bear was going down. As the bell rang, we both leapt into action. I had been preparing for this moment for so long, I just had to win. Even then, he was still incredibly strong.
Silly kangaroo. You've wasted your time at that old decrepit gym. You should be putting your talents to use as my servant.
I'll never be your servant, and you're going to pay for what you've done to Ernie and to Master Balboa. We continued to exchange blows as the monkeys around us were going crazy. I had to be careful. One slip up, and he was going to be able to knock me out. I felt like I was winning and was getting some good hits in. Looks like your time is coming to an end.
Guess I'll stop playing around then.
Oh no, it was his fight with Ernie all over again. I was in trouble. He started to really hit me, and my health was really starting to drop. Just then, I heard a voice in my head. Master Balboa!
Focus, Zozo, and use the eye of the tiger.
Of course, the best offense was a good defense. I lowered my guard, letting myself take the full impact of Buff Bear's hit. As I did so, the eye of the tiger let me absorb the blow, sending Buff Bear out of the ring and into the afterlife. I did it! The monkeys were stunned. They couldn't believe it, but I could. Justice had been served. On day 100, I was back at the gym, right where I belonged. With Buff Bear defeated, we could train and grow in peace. The world had become just a little bit safer, but we had to be ready, always. On day 1, I spawned in as a police officer. Well, I was actually just a rookie, and I was pretty small, too. It's okay, I'll move up in no time. But where are all my other cop friends? Hello, is my partner around here? I was all alone, so I checked out my gear and realized I already had some handcuffs. Cool! Just then, I noticed some bandits nearby. They were around a cage full of citizens. I approached them, but before I knew it, they were attacking me. Hey, that's no way to treat an officer. What is going on here? Why is there so much crime? It's like the criminals are in control. I wanted to help the citizens, but I only had 5 hearts, and they were running low, fast. I hurried and ran away. I didn't feel good doing it, but I really needed to heal up before I could help anybody else. I found a small cave and made camp for the night. As I went to sleep, I wondered again where all the other cops were, and why it seemed like all the criminals had taken over. On day 2, I woke up and got right down to business. If there were no other cops, then I'd have to take care of things myself. I chopped down some trees and gathered some wood to make a crafting table. With that, I was able to make a wooden sword, pickaxe, shovel, and some other simple tools. These aren't the best, but they will do for now. I went out exploring and found a small village. I looked around, but everyone seemed to be gone. I wonder where everyone went. Just then, I heard some noise from behind a fence. It was a teenage girl. Hey, it's okay, I can help. She looked a little frightened, but she eventually came out of her hiding place. What happened?
There were some bandits that attacked our village. They took everyone captive, including my family.
I think I saw them earlier. I'm so sorry. I'll do what I can to get your family back. She seemed happy to hear that.
I'm Izzy.
I'm Zozo. Hey, we should find a safe place to go. If I build us a safe house, would you want to stay there? She happily agreed. Before we left, we went through the houses to gather some supplies. I found some leather, coal, and some food. I also harvested what was left of the crops so we could make ourselves a garden. On day 3, Izzy and I started off into the forest. I found a section of land we liked and decided to build a base there. We started building and made ourselves some simple houses. Then I started a little garden with the seeds I had collected.
Thanks, Zozo. You're a good cop.
It is my job to serve and protect. Just then, a bunch of rats came out from behind some trees. Oh, gross, get away! I was sure glad I had my new sword, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to defeat them. After I took out the last rat, I felt a surge of power and I leveled up. Cool, I'm an actual officer now. I had a shiny new baton and everything. I even gained a few more hearts. On days 4 to 5, I went out to gather some more materials. I was able to mine some cobblestone to make some new tools. On my way back to the base, I saw some bandits nearby. They looked like the ones I had seen earlier, but they didn't have a cage this time. There were only a few of them, so I knew I could take them out. I charged at them and attacked with my baton. I managed to get some hits in, but I finally defeated them all. Nice! I noticed that one had dropped something, so I picked it up. It was a note that told the bandits where to go to capture more people. It was signed by someone named Jenkins. That must be who they are working for. I'll have to find out some more information about him later. I returned to the base and greeted Izzy. She seemed really happy to be in a safe place. Hopefully we could help others find refuge here too. On day 6 to 8, I crafted some new stuff from the supplies I had gathered. I made a furnace and then made a tunic and some boots, using the leather I had looted from the village. Yeah, I'm ready to take on anything now. Just then, I heard Izzy screaming outside. I rushed out and followed
followed her voice. I found her by the waterside being attacked by some spiders. Get back, you nasties! With my baton, I was easily able to defeat all of them.
Thanks, Zozo.
No problem, just be careful in the future.
Will do. Hey, I have something for you.
Izzy threw me some flowers she had picked.
I picked these for you. I thought they could brighten up the base a little bit.
For sure. We went back to the base, and I went right ahead and planted some of the flowers. Izzy was right, it did give a little life to the place. Just don't go wandering off again. I can't protect you if you're too far away. She nodded. Here, I'll make you a sword, just in case. I went over to my crafting table and made Izzy a simple sword and some other tools.
Thanks. These are great.
She went outside to pick some flowers, this time closer to the base. She's a funny one. I just hope she doesn't get into trouble again. On days 9 to 10, I decided to go out and search for some new materials. And I wanted more information about Jenkins. I'm sure somebody knew something. I found another village that seemed abandoned. I started to gather up some crops when I heard a scream. I ran around the corner to see some bandits capturing people. I also noted one huge buff guy in a suit. That seems strange. I charged toward the bandits and took out a few. Then the man in the suit laughed. I charged at him, but he sidestepped me. He drew a large sword that seemed to glow red. He smacked me once and nearly took me out. I had to hide so he wouldn't destroy me. The bandits and the man left, taking the villagers with them. I felt so angry that I couldn't do anything. Then I noticed one of the bandits on the ground. I had hit him, but he was still alive. He was trying to crawl away. Hey! I hurried and handcuffed him. He struggled, but he was frozen in place. Where are you taking the people you're capturing? The bandit threw a potato at me. I was about to make my final swing with my baton when he started screaming.
Okay, I'll talk.
That's what I like to hear.
We work for Jenkins, the mob boss. We were taking the prisoners back to his compound.
Why is he capturing people?
He captures basically everyone he doesn't like. Only the lucky ones get to be his bandits.
Sure, lucky.
I was captured a long time ago, but Jenkins liked me, so now I work for him.
Why didn't you help people instead of capturing them?
Jenkins is too powerful. Anyone who tries to fight him is always beaten.
I could see why. That sword he had was different somehow. Really powerful too. But he couldn't keep taking people away. It wasn't right. I'm going to defeat him. The bandit seemed intrigued.
You really think you can take him on?
I wasn't entirely sure, but I knew somebody had to try. It's the right thing to do. The bandit seemed even more intrigued.
Can I join you?
I was a little suspicious of him, but I decided to let him come with me. If anything, he could give me some valuable information.
I'm Lionel.
I'm Officer Zozo. Nice to meet you. On days 11 through 12, I took Lionel's cuffs off and we headed back to the base. We started to work on a small house for him. He seemed really happy.
I haven't had my own house in so long. Jenkins just keeps us all in small bunks together. Thanks, Zozo.
Of course. Lionel actually seemed like a good guy. Maybe we would be friends after all. I introduced him to Izzy, and she seemed a little suspicious of him too. After a while though, she warmed up to him, especially after he offered to help her pick flowers. I decided the base was in good hands, so I went back to the cave to gather some more materials. As I went deeper, I noticed some skeletons were guarding a big deposit of iron. I could really use that. I charged toward the iron, but the skeletons had bows and arrows. Whoa, I didn't notice that. They all shot at me and depleted almost all of my health. I can't do this, I'm gonna die. I ran off and tried to heal for a minute. Oh, that was intense. I need some better weapons, but that iron is what I need to make a better sword. I went down a different tunnel and found a different iron deposit. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to craft a new sword. Perfect. I creeped back down the tunnel and charged the skeletons again. It was tricky, but I was finally able to defeat them all. They even dropped some nice bows, which I promptly looted. Thank goodness. I mined all the iron and took it back home with me. I was able to make some more tools and even some armor. Yeah, this is amazing. I then called it a day. On days 13 to 15, I woke up to Lionel knocking on my door. Hey Lionel, what's up?
Zozo, I need to tell you something about Jenkins.
We sat down.
I really want to be optimistic, but Jenkins is really powerful.
I know, Lionel, but I am getting stronger.
But you don't understand, Zozo. Jenkins isn't just a normal guy. He once was, but when he was younger, he was hungry for power. His father was the mob boss, but Jenkins wanted to be in charge. He made a blood oath to some supernatural force, and it gave him his red blinking sword. He destroyed his father as a sacrifice. Jenkins gained power over the people, but the sword gained power over him. It's basically alive and it feeds on people. That's why Jenkins keeps capturing people, to feed the sword and keep his power.
This was a lot to take in. I thought it was just a blinking sword. This was something I wasn't sure I could handle.
I wanted to tell you so you know what you're going up against.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Lionel left and I sat there for a while. I was way in over my head. On days 16 to 19, I woke up to Lionel yelling my name. I opened the door. What is it, Lionel?
It's Izzy. She's missing. But here, there's a note and a map.
I took the note and read it. Izzy had gone outside and been captured by some villagers. They told me that if I wanted her back, I would need to pay them in gold. They even drew us a little map to where we needed to go.
We don't have any gold.
It doesn't matter. We need to go get her. Come on, let's go. We headed out in the direction the map said and reached a desert. Soon, we made it to a small village. It looked like it was in ruins. Hello, we are here to get our friend back. We turned the corner and saw Izzy. She was in a cage and surrounded by a few villagers. One villager with a wooden crown and sword came forward.
Give us the gold and we won't hurt you.
We don't have any gold. Give us our friend.
No, if you don't give me my gold, then I'll take it from you.
The villager lunged and attacked me. He was a good fighter, but I was better. After just a minute, I managed to defeat him. I felt another surge of power, and I leveled up into a sergeant. Nice! Izzy ran towards us and cried happily.
Thanks for saving me. I won't wander outside at night ever again.
A young man stepped forward.
Are you really going to save us from Jenkins? That's what Izzy told us.
He has a powerful sword that I'm not sure I can go up against.
I know it could help. It's a legendary sword, dropped by a knight in a battle long ago. It's been lost somewhere in the desert.
That sparked a little hope in me. Maybe I could defeat Jenkins after all. Do you want to come live in our base? It'll be safer there. A few villagers wanted to stay in their homes, but the young man agreed.
I'm Nick.
Nice to meet you, Nick. I'm Sergeant Zozo. We gathered some supplies and then took off towards the base. On days 20 to 22, we arrived back at the base, but it was on fire. There were some zombies on fire too. What the heck? We hurried and defeated them and then put the fire out in the base. It looks like we have some work to do. Nick and Lionel helped me while Izzy went back in her house to rest. She had had a long day getting kidnapped and all. She deserved to sleep. We made some new improvements to the base, including a better fence, and started building a house for Nick. I was happy to have him around and looked forward to learning more about the sword he was talking about.
Hey Zozo, we should build a statue to let people know this is a safe place from Jenkins, and that you're gonna kick his bum.
That's a good idea, Lionel. We chatted about the statue with Nick and decided on something simple. Can you guess what it is? Also, hurry and hit subscribe so you can follow me on more adventures. On days 23 to 26, I was gathering some crops from our garden when a bunch of bees started attacking the base. Where did you come from? Everyone got their weapons and we managed to fight them off. As I hit the last one, it dropped something. I picked it up and it was some golden apples. Wow, these look amazing. I should probably save them for later though. I went up to chat with Lionel. Hey, I think it would be really helpful if we scouted Jenkins' base, just to see what we were up against.
I think that's a great idea. We just need to be careful. There are guards literally everywhere.
Nick and Izzy decided to stay behind and work on the statue while we headed out to the compound. It was a little bit of a journey, but when we arrived, I could see what Lionel meant. It was huge, and there were guards all over the place. Wow, you weren't kidding.
I know that there is a guard entrance in the back, but only the higher-ranking guards or bandits can open it. And Jenkins, of course.
Just then, we saw a bandit running towards us. We started to run away and thought we had lost him, when suddenly he popped out from behind a tree.
Lionel, brother, I knew that was you.
Luke?
I heard you were dead, but when I saw you from the tower, I knew I had to come and get you.
Luke drew his sword and went to attack me.
No, don't! This is my friend Zozo. He's going to help us defeat Jenkins.
Luke snorted.
Yeah, right.
He will. He's going to find the legendary sword of the night and defeat him.
Luke seemed skeptical. I know it might seem impossible, but I can do it. I'll free everyone, and you won't have to be a slave anymore. Luke looked convinced enough.
Okay, I'm in. I don't like the food there anyway.
Luke chatted with us about what had happened recently with Jenkins. He had been raiding more and more villages lately, hungry for power. We then made our way back to the base. Once we got back to the base, we cleared out an area and made a house for Luke as well. Even though him and Lionel were brothers, they wanted their own places. I didn't blame them. We also made some improvements to the base, including some towers and a higher fence.
Wow, this is actually pretty rad, Sarge.
Luke saluted me incorrectly. He was an odd one, but I was glad to be helping people get away from Jenkins. On days 27 to 31, I went to talk to Nick about the legendary sword. He was picking some flowers. Are those for Izzy? He seemed to blush a little bit.
Maybe.
Her favorite are the blue ones.
Hey, thanks.
He picked up some blue flowers while we chatted. So, the sword.
Yeah, so all I know is that it's buried somewhere deep in the desert. It's super powerful.
It sounded like a very interesting weapon. Jenkins needed to be stopped, and this seemed like the only way to do it. Let's go find that sword.
All right.
We stopped at the base so that Nick could give his flowers to Izzy. She seemed really happy about them and wished us good luck. We gathered some supplies and then headed out into the desert. It was so big and I had no idea where to start. Any idea where it could be?
Just somewhere in the desert.
We started digging around, looking for some significant formations. It was honestly just a lot of sand. Then out of nowhere, a bunch of snakes came slithering up to us. Nope, none of that. I drew my sword and started fighting them off, but there were too many, and they started biting me. We need to go, Nick. We ran away and made our way back to the base. We felt discouraged, but I would find the sword. I just knew it. On days 32 to 35, we traveled back to the base. On the way there, we ran into a traveling merchant.
Hello, lots of items for sale. Anything you could want, really. Name your price.
We aren't in need of items, but maybe you have some information. What do you know about the legendary sword that was lost in the desert? The merchant rifled through some items, looking for paper.
Yes, here it is. I once encountered a man who said it was buried in the furthest reaches of the desert, never to be found again.
Never?
Never!
He raised his arms dramatically and waved them around. I looked at Nick. This guy was a little bit wacky. Probably not the best source for information. Well, thanks. We'll be going now.
Not on my watch.
I turned around to see Jenkins with some of his guards. The merchant screamed and hid behind his camel.
I've met you before. You're that annoying little rookie I swatted back in the village.
It's Sergeant Zozo to you.
I drew my baton and attacked his guards.
I easily took a few of them out, but then I saw Jenkins use his blinking red sword. I was in trouble now. He smacked me and I felt my health start to drop. I still wasn't even close to being strong enough to defeat him. Just then, I looked in the merchant's shulker and saw some TNT. Take this, Jenkins! I placed the TNT and blew up the sand around us. Come on, Nick, we gotta go!
Wait for me!
The merchant sprinted behind us, cradling an armful of items. We all ran off towards the base, leaving Jenkins in a sandy mess. On days 36 to 39, we all arrived at the base safely. The merchant looked exhausted.
Thank you for saving me. Jenkins would have had my head for sure.
Of course, we are glad to have found another friend with us.
I'm Caleb. Please, let me repay you for your kindness.
The merchant handed me a rock he was holding. Thanks.
It's my favorite rock. Take good care of it.
I pocketed the rock, thinking how odd this man was. But then we decided to help Caleb set up a little shop in the base so he could continue to sell his wares, whatever they may be.
I lost most of my items in the commotion, but this will do for now.
Anything else you need?
Actually, if you could gather some sand for me, I could make some glass bottles to store more items.
I decided it wasn't too much of a hassle, so I went to the desert and gathered some sand for Caleb. When I came back, he was very grateful.
Ah, yes, perfect. This will definitely help.
I then decided to do some work on the statue for a little while. It was looking pretty good, but it wasn't done quite yet. On days 40 to 43, I went out to mine some more materials to make some upgrades to the base. On my way there, I passed by a small group of travelers. They looked like farmers of some sort, but they must have thought I was working with Jenkins because they yelled and tried to run away when they saw me. Wait, I won't hurt you. I'm a police officer. They stopped running and approached me.
Oh, a young hero. Maybe you can help us.
Sure, what is it?
All of our animals were stolen by some hooligans in the forest. If you could go get them back for us, we'd be so grateful.
It seemed like an easy enough task. Sure, do you know where they are?
Yes, they live in an outpost next to the foot of the mountains. We don't dare get close because they have better weapons than us.
I'll help you. In the meantime, you can stay at my base. I pointed them in the right direction, and they headed that way. I went towards the mountain they mentioned. And before long, I saw the outpost. There were a bunch of animals all shoved into a pen nearby.
Looky here, boys. We've got a live one.
I drew my sword and charged the pillagers. There weren't many of them, and their weapons were very simple. I picked off a few of them easily, but their leader seemed a little more skilled. We exchanged a few more blows, but after a minute, I defeated him. Alright guys, let's get you back to your owners. I grabbed some leads from the house and wrangled up the animals. We were able to make it back to the base safely. When we got there, the farmers were overjoyed.
Thank you, Zozo. Please feel free to use as much wool and milk as you'd like.
Thanks. It'd be really good to have some more food sources, and the farmer seemed more than happy to stay with us. On days 44 to 49, I journeyed back to the desert where I'd gathered the sand for Caleb. I figured there could be some other useful materials nearby. When I got there, I noticed there was a sea turtle being attacked by a squid. Hey, you let him go! I jumped in and smacked the squid. He tried to maneuver back deeper into the water, but I was too fast. Before I knew it, the squid was defeated.
Thank you, sir. You are my hero.
The sea turtle nodded in appreciation. Of course, I am here to serve and protect everyone.
That's so good to hear. It's been so long since we've had a hero in this land. I remember when that knight promised to protect everyone, but he went bad.
This was new information. Bad how?
Do you not know the story?
Can't say that I do.
The knight was named Plebeius. He protected the king and his daughter, but he realized there were too many enemies, and he was only one man. So he prayed to a deity, begging for their help to protect his friends. They granted him the sword, and he named it Brink.
Brink?
Because everything was on the brink of destruction.
Okay, continue.
So he was gifted Brink and was told that it would always be his if his goals remained true and right to the kingdom. Time went on, and he was able to vanquish all of the king's enemies. But after a while, Plebeius became prideful and decided he wanted to show everyone how powerful he was. He challenged a man to a duel of strength, and he was defeated. The sword fell to the ground, but nobody was able to pick it up. Over time, the ground changed and it was buried within the earth.
So how would someone pick it up?
If your goals are true to the kingdom, or I guess now just the land, then you should be able to pick it up.
This was good information to have. Even if I did find the sword, would I be worthy enough to retrieve it? Thank you. You've been a lot of help.
Of course. Thank you.
And with that, the turtle swam off. I gathered some more materials while I thought about what he said. I really hope I can get that sword. It's our only option at this point. On days 50 to 53, I decided to go deeper into the desert to see if I could get any clues as to where the sword might be. Well, out looking around, I happened upon the group of snakes again. Hey, get out of my way! I had grown stronger since the last time I saw these danger noodles, so I was able to defeat them easily. If only I could defeat Jenkins that easily.
Did you say Jenkins?
I flipped around and saw an old backpacker standing nearby. Yeah, I did.
Good for nothing scoundrel.
The man spit into the sand.
Puh, if you want to defeat him, you better get that sword I've heard so much about.
I'm trying to, I just have no idea where to find it. The backpacker pulled out a paper with a drawing on it. It looked like a hand reaching up.
I was told that the sword is buried deep underneath this rock formation. I haven't seen it in my travels, but maybe you'll find it.
Wow, thanks, this helps a lot.
Of course, you might want this too.
He handed me a bunch of diamonds. I can't take these away from you.
Sure you can. Just promise when you defeat Jenkins, you tell everyone how much I helped you.
I will, sir.
It's good old Tim.
Tim.
No, good old Tim. The whole thing.
Oh, right. Thanks, good old Tim. He waved goodbye and headed off. What an interesting dude. On days 54 to 57, I went back to the base to make some new armor out of the diamonds I had gotten. Wow, this is incredible. I also made some new tools so that I could do some renovations to the base. I added some lanterns, expanded the garden, and made sure everything was well lit. Everything was looking great. And then decided it was too late to do anything else and went to sleep. In the morning, I heard a familiar voice coming from outside.
Zozo, I need your assistance, if you please.
Caleb was calling to me from his shop. I headed over to chat with him. Hey Caleb, what else do you need?
Those bottles were great, but now I need a few more things in order for my shop to really thrive.
Okay, what do you need?
Melons.
Melons?
Yes, melons. Now off with you.
I shrugged my shoulders. Caleb was odd, but I wanted him to be happy. It seemed like an easy enough task. I went exploring for a little bit in the forest before I happened upon some melons. Easy enough. I harvested the melons, gathered some of the seeds, and headed back to the base. I brought them back to Caleb.
Perfect.
He started mixing some stuff together in the back and then came out a few minutes later with a bottle.
Here you are, Sergeant.
I looked, and it was a potion of healing. Oh wow, thanks Caleb. This will really come in handy.
Of course. Anything for you, good sir.
He gave me a half bow with an awkward salute. It was good enough. On days 58 to 62, we worked on the statue for a little while. It was starting to look almost as I had intended. So how was your first guess? Do you think you know what it is still? I was standing on the top when I saw the base being attacked down below. Hey, those look like some of Jenkins' bandits. I hurried and ran down to fight them off. Get out of our home, you good-for-nothing scoundrels. I was starting to sound a little bit like good old Tim. I was able to fight almost all of them off. A few escaped, but I wasn't too worried about them. I was able to head back to my house when I heard Izzy yelling for me.
Zozo, come quick. It's Lionel.
I ran to Lionel's house and found him hunched over on the floor. He looked really bad. Hey, buddy, let's get you some help.
No, it's too late for me, Zozo. Just go get Luke for me.
Luke? Is he in his house?
No, he's the one who stabbed me. I overheard him talking to the bandits. He was in league with them all along. Jenkins wants Brink for himself so that nobody can defeat him. Apparently, they just found out about an old lady who knows exactly where to find the sword.
I couldn't believe it. Luke seemed like an okay guy. How could anyone betray their brother like that? Don't worry, Lionel. I'll get him.
Hurry, Zozo. He already left out of the back door.
Lionel took in one last breath, and then he died. I was so angry, but I didn't have time for that right now. I needed to go after Luke and find the sword before he could. On days 63 to 66, I followed some tracks leading into a woodland area. They must have been Luke's and the other bandits that got away. I tracked them for a while before coming to a small rundown cottage. The door was broken and I heard some yelling. I ran inside, drawing my sword. The two bandits were rummaging around, stealing from an old lady. She was sitting helpless in a chair. Hey, you get out of here! I quickly picked off the bandits and gave the old lady back her things.
Thank you, young man. I owe you my life.
All I need is some information, ma'am, and apparently you have it. She nodded like she understood.
The sword is under a rock formation, shaped like a hand reaching toward the sky. It is said that is how the knight, Plebus, died.
I gave her the picture that good old Tim gave me. She looked at it.
That's the one. I saw it a long time ago when I was traveling through the far east side of the desert.
She drew me a simple map that led to its location. It seemed to point into the desert.
Here you go, young man. I fear that the other young man called Luke will find it before you do. So hurry.
Will do. Thank you. I took the map and ran as fast as I could toward the line the old lady had drawn. I hoped that Luke hadn't found it, but I did hope to find him. I had a score to settle. On days 67 to 70, I arrived at the rock formation. I noticed that more bandits were there, and I saw Luke with them. They were gathered around a cart and a tunnel someone had dug. I charged at them all. How dare you hurt my friends! I swung and slashed and managed to defeat all of them, which left Luke and I alone.
Just give up, Zozo. You've lost.
I yelled in anger and charged at Luke. Lionel was your brother. How could you have betrayed him like that?
He was garbage, just like you. I'm gonna enjoy throwing you out as well.
He charged again and he smacked me really hard. I didn't realize how close I was to the opening of the tunnel. I fell down and nearly died. inside. Luke sneered at me from above, then took off running. Coward! I looked around and noticed that the tunnel extended further into the ground. I hoped that I would find what I was looking for down there. On day 71 to 74, I walked down the tunnel for a little while before entering a large cavern. There seemed to be something in the middle of the room. I went closer to examine it and realized they had dug out all the dirt surrounding the sword. They must have taken all of it with them. They had the sword, but obviously they couldn't wield it. Maybe I did have a chance, but I was really discouraged. If Jenkins had the sword in his compound, how was I supposed to beat him? I looked around to see if I could find anything else of value. There were a few deposits of coal, but nothing more. I climbed back up through the tunnel and into the desert. It was going to be a long and painful journey home. On day 75 to 78, I headed back to the base, my head hanging low. Nick ran toward me.
So did you get Luke? Where's the sword?
Luke escaped. They took the sword too. I didn't really feel like talking. I honestly just felt really sad.
Zozo, I have something for you, my friend.
Caleb motioned me over. I'm not really in the mood, Caleb.
Trust me, you'll like this.
He pulled out something from underneath his counter.
Since you really liked the TNT from last time, I decided to make you some more.
He gave me a whole stash of it. It didn't really cheer me up since I already had loads from before, but I figured it could be useful later. Thanks, Caleb. I started toward my house, but then decided to go into Luke's instead. Maybe he left something of use behind.
As I entered, I heard some noise. I turned around as Luke stepped into the room.
How did you get in here?
Like I would tell you.
Luke unsheathed his sword and we fought again. This time, I wasn't going to let him escape. We exchanged blows, but I was way stronger than him. After just a few more hits, I was able to defeat him. That's for Lionel. Just then, I noticed that Luke had dropped some stuff. It looked like a key and a map. This key must be to the back door of the compound. All of a sudden, I felt power coursing through my veins, and I leveled up into a lieutenant. I even grew a mustache and got some cool new shades. Wow, look at me! I looked at the map. It led to a section of tundra. This must be where they were taking the sword to. Luke must have come back here to get some of his stuff before heading there. But how did he get in? I looked around and found a secret door leading down into the ground. I followed it and it opened up outside the base, hidden behind some bushes. That explains it. I went back and filled the tunnel up, making sure nobody else could get inside. On day 79 to 84, I followed the map to the tundra. It was freezing and I didn't really like it that much, but I passed some different animals, so that was cool. I finally arrived, the freezing air whipping through my hair and mustache. It's freezing. I decided to make myself a little igloo to keep myself warm. I knew Jenkins and his bandits were coming to the tundra. I just didn't know exactly where they would be. I guess the location on the map was incorrect? I went back outside to look around, but then I saw someone running toward me. I hurried to draw my sword, but the person stopped before they could reach me.
Wait, you're not Jenkins.
No, I'm not. Who are you?
I'm Meg. I've been following Jenkins and his crew for a while now. I'm trying to defeat him and save my family.
I'm trying to defeat him too. He's captured my friends and destroyed people that I love.
I'm sorry. Maybe we can work together.
Sounds good to me. How are you going to defeat him? She seemed uneasy.
Honestly, I wasn't exactly sure. I know that I'm a good fighter, but he is really powerful.
So you've been tracking him. Do you know where he is exactly? Meg shook her head.
I followed them, but there was a large snowstorm that came through. I lost my way, so I've been wandering around for a bit.
I invited her inside to get warm. I showed her the map and she got really excited.
Hey, there's an abandoned mine shaft around here.
She took out a pencil and drew a circle on the map.
I'll bet that's where they're headed.
Perfect, let's go! We gathered in all the warmth we could, and then we headed out to the mine shaft. On days 85 to 89, Meg and I went tromping through the snow to the abandoned mine shaft. It was so cold and snowy. We had been walking for a long time when we realized we were back at the igloo. What? How?
We must have gotten turned around in the snowstorm.
This was so frustrating.
You're wasting your time. Jenkins is long gone.
I flipped around and saw good old Tim. Hey, what are you doing here?
Ice fishing.
He didn't have a fishing pole though, so I was really confused. Okay, did you see Jenkins?
Yes, sir. Came around with a cart and headed down the mine shaft. He left though. Still had the cart with him, so whatever it was didn't work. Or did. I don't know.
He shrugged nonchalantly. He must have taken the sword back to his compound. It all felt like a big waste of time. Good old Tim must have noticed I looked a little down because he put his hand on my shoulder.
It's okay, Lieutenant. Here, this'll cheer you up.
He handed me some ingots, which I realized were netherite.
That'll make you a good and proper sword, Lieutenant. Now go save us.
Wow, thank you. Where do you keep finding all of these things?
My secret.
Good old Tim smiled and winked at me. I looked at Meg, who smiled at me, and when I looked back, good old Tim was gone. Whoa, where did he go? I was starting to think that maybe good old Tim was my guardian angel or something. Meg and I shrugged at each other and headed into the igloo for the night. It had been a long and cold couple of days, and we needed some sleep. On days 90 to 94, I invited Meg to come back to the base, and she happily agreed. We gathered some more food along the way, since we figured our friends would be hungry. Once we got there, I repaired my armor and used my smithing table to upgrade my diamond sword into a netherite sword. It was amazing. I swung it around to test it out. This isn't Brink, but it'll sure give Jenkins a run for his money. I also upgraded my armor into netherite. It was going to be tough to beat me. I went outside to show my friends. They got really excited and started cheering me on.
Yeah, Zozo!
You're our hero. Go beat Jenkins and get our land back.
I felt really strong and hopeful, but I knew there were a few things I needed to do before I could go infiltrate Jenkins' compound. On days 95 to 97, I woke up to the farmers I had helped calling out for me. I went outside and they gave me supplies to finish the statue as a thanks. Using everything they had given me, I got right to work. It took a little bit of time, but soon I had finished the statue. Wow, it looks amazing, guys. We did a great job.
No, thank you, Zozo. You've brought us all in and protected us. It's been a long time since anyone has had hope, but you've given it to us, so thank you.
I looked up at the statue of Brink. I knew that I didn't have the sword with me, but the statue gave me hope that I would find it again. I knew I could beat Jenkins. It was my destiny. On day 98, I went to say goodbye to my friends before heading out to the compound. Just then, Meg approached me from behind.
Zozo, I'd like to come with you. I want to fight alongside you and find my family.
You are more than welcome to come. We crafted Meg some better armor and weapons, and then we made one last trip around the base.
You take care of yourself, Lieutenant.
Will do, Nick. Take care of the base for us. If anyone else needs help, let them in.
For sure.
I talked to Caleb. He rummaged around and gave me and Meg another potion of healing.
Now go and be triumphant, young hero.
Thanks. We stopped at Izzy last. She gave me a beautiful arrangement of flowers.
Thank you for saving me, Zozo. Now go save everyone else.
Will do. I then left Izzy's house. If you want to support the last of our journey, be sure to subscribe. The more people we have, the stronger we can become. And with that, Meg and I headed out to the compound of Jenkins. On day 99, Meg and I arrived at the compound. We snuck to the back door and used the key Luke had dropped. It worked, and we snuck up through a tunnel into a large room. There were bandits everywhere. We decided to charge in and fight them. Meg and I fought our way through all of them easily, making our way to some stairs.
Zozo, I'm going to look for my family. You go find Jenkins.
Be safe. She went down the stairs and I went up further into the mansion. There were a few more bandits on the way, which I easily took out. I finally came to a large, dark red room. It was incredibly creepy. At one end of the room, there was a lava lake with a pedestal. On top of it was a sword. That has to be Brink, but it's different than what I had imagined. I started towards it, but then felt something hit me backwards. It was Jenkins! He must have been hiding behind a pillar, waiting for me. His red sword blinked.
The young police officer. Why won't you just stop bothering me?
I'm here to bring justice to those you have wronged. He laughed at me.
Sure. Do your worst, rookie.
I charged at him and our swords clashed. Then I noticed that my sword was not really effective at all. I needed to get Brink sooner rather than later.
Just give up. You're no match against me.
If that's so, then why couldn't you wield Brink? He yelled in anger.
It's just a silly, stubborn sword. I thought freezing it in the tundra mine would work, but it didn't. But it doesn't matter. I don't need a dinky little sword when I have this.
He swung his sword around, slicing at me. My health went down, but I hurried and drank a health potion. Thank goodness for those. I was able to maneuver around Jenkins and hit him, causing him to stumble. I knew this was my chance. I ran towards Brink, reaching towards the hilt. Jenkins ran after me, ready to swing.
No!
On day 100, Brink released from the pedestal into my hands. I felt an amazing surge of power, and I transformed into a bigger and stronger police officer. I was now the chief of police. I had robotic features, and the power from me stunned Jenkins for a second. Give up, Jenkins! He growled, and I attacked him. Our swords met, and his shattered into dust.
No!
He tried to run away, but I attacked. Jenkins was defeated in one single blow. I did it! I jumped for joy. I knew I would retrieve the sword and defeat Jenkins. We could all go home now. I hurried down the stairs and helped Meg release the prisoners. They all went back to their homes, finally at peace that the land was free of Jenkins. Meg and I made our way back to the base with her and Izzy's families. We all celebrated the victory, happy to know that everyone was safe. On day 1, I spawned in as a cute and not so ugly little duckling. I'm so tiny, I've only got 2 hearts. I guess that checks out. I'm not strong, I'm just a square of fluff. At least I can fly. Nope, I can't fly yet, but I can swim. And check out my duck family. I've got a mama duck and a bunch of duckling siblings. They were all swimming in a pond. Hey guys, wait up for me. Wow, this sure is peaceful, just paddling along. My siblings and I had a great time splashing around together and following Mother Duck around. We didn't even run into any trouble. As the sun set that night, we made a little shelter and all huddled together to go to sleep. Maybe this will be an easy 100 days of survival. Hey, a duck can dream. On day 2, we were all awoken by the sound of loud barking. I looked around and saw we were surrounded by some mean-looking dogs. Our little duck shelter was super weak. The dogs got right in and started attacking us. Oh no! I would have to be brave. Feel the wrath of my mighty beak. I tried to fight back, but I instantly realized that a little duck stands no chance against big mean dogs. We would have to make a run for it. My duck family and I fled away, waddling as fast as our little webbed feet could take us. But it was no use. The dogs ended up surrounding us again. I have to do something. Whoa! Next thing I knew, I was tumbling fast down a steep hill. Ouch! Oof! You could definitely say I was on a roll. I fell with a splash into some water at the end of the hill. I was nowhere near my family anymore. They were all still far above me. My family was being kidnapped. I did what I could to find my way back in time to save them, but by the time I arrived, everyone was gone. This is not good. What'll I do without them? I made my way back to where I first saw my family. I wish I was playing with the other ducklings right now. I don't want to be all alone. If I wanted to survive long enough to find out what happened to them, I'd have to find someplace to hide. I noticed a little hole along the edge of the pond and ducked into it. No pun intended. I waited out the night there and decided to track down my duck family in the morning. On day 3, I woke up without any issues from the other predators. I hopped out of the hole in hopes of seeing that my family had returned. But to my great disappointment, there were no signs of other ducks around. With nothing else to do, I went around and started collecting and mining materials to build a better shelter. I didn't want to be out in the open if the dogs returned. I'll have to be smarter than the average bird brain when I build this shelter. I need to keep the big, bad dogs out. Eventually, I had a good amount of supplies and started crafting my craft table, wood tools, and then began the beginnings of my little house by the shore of the pond. Location, location, location. This house had a great view. It was the perfect spot for a duck like me. On days 4 to 5, I still needed lots more materials for my base. I had to waddle off a little farther away from the pond to get more materials. Suddenly, I saw a peacock in the distance. I came closer and asked the peacock if I could get some wood. I explained my situation to him. The bird gasped.
My family was kidnapped by a group of dogs, too.
No way! What are the chances of that happening? Do you know where our families were taken? The bird wasn't sure, but explained that they were being kept somewhere so their feathers could be harvested over and over. That's awful, ruining lives just for some measly feathers. We heard a rustling and out jumped an ocelot. The peacock was instantly spooked and ran away. I wish I could get away. But that wasn't an option for me. I would have to be tough. I was only a tiny duck, but I wanted to find my family. I couldn't let this cat ruin my chances to do that. I was able to dodge a lot of the attacks the cat threw at me. Then, without too much trouble, I defeated that rascally cat. You were a bad putty-tat. Once the cat was gone, I could feel myself changing. I was leveling up. I wasn't a little duckling anymore. I was a little bit bigger duckling. I had extra hearts, and let's test out these wings. I could fly a little bit. I'm a flying, talking ducky now. I could only fly a short distance, but it would give me some much needed advantages. This was neat. On days 6 to 8, I returned back to my base and started crafting some stone tools. As I worked, I started hearing something outside. I carefully went and looked around. I was hoping to see my duck family, but instead I saw one of those awful dogs sniffing around my house. I wasn't going to let him get away with his evil deeds. He would be sorry for stealing my family. Hey, you, dog, who are you, and what have you done with my family? The dog refused to give any information. Instead, it lurched at me. The dog probably thought that this would be an easy fight, but this time I had my stone tools. I was ready to take him down, and that's just what I did. Once the dog was gone, I saw that it dropped a note. I picked it up and read it. The note was an order for the dog to find the duck that got away, and to bring me back to the farm located in the Badlands. Aha! I will quack this case soon enough! Now I knew they were somewhere in the Badlands. Having that dog come after me proved to be a very helpful thing after all. On days 9 to 10, I did not want to waste any time. I traveled towards the Badlands. Having my new ability to briefly fly came in handy. Whenever I'd come across ravines or other obstacles, I could flap my way right across them. Up, up, and away! By and by, I made it to the Badlands with no harm done. I spotted the farm, but it didn't look so much like a farm. It looked more like a prison. There were so many sad animals fenced in and caged up. So many birds in cages. That's so mean. Birds need to be free to flap and fly. They shouldn't be cooped up. I noticed all the depressed animals, but I didn't notice the big wolf guard staring me down until I was close to her. I assumed she would yell at me, but instead, she lowered her voice.
You shouldn't be here. I would run far away from here if I were you.
Wait, you're not going to try and capture me?
Not if I don't have to. I'm not exactly happy with what is happening here. I'd leave myself, but things are complicated.
Who is in charge here?
I shouldn't be telling you any of this, but if you must know, he is a powerful monster. A big, big, big dog. Fearsome and powerful. No one dares go against him, or you'll be destroyed.
Just then, another guard came out of nowhere and attacked me. You need to go to obedience school. Didn't anyone tell you not to bite? I tried to fight back, but the guard was too strong. There's only one way out of this. I would have to run. I didn't like the idea of running away from my family, but I knew if I wanted to help them, I'd have to live to fight another day. I took my chance. Flapping my wings, I dashed away from the farm. On days 11 to 12, I ran away. I decided to take a rest in a tree. My wings and legs were getting so tired. I was new to this flying thing. I was getting ready to rest my eyes when I heard hooting. At first, I wasn't sure where the voice was coming from, but then I noticed an old owl on a branch.
Who are you, young duck?
Oh, I didn't see you there. Pardon me. I'm Zozo. What's your name?
I am Waymar the Wise. Who are you running away from?
I'm running from these dogs that are rounding up a lot of birds and other animals. They are throwing them in cages. They took my whole family. You should be very careful. You don't want to end up in a cage.
Who? I know of who you speak. For this happened when I was a young owl, not much bigger than yourself. Animals were being taken from their homes and forced to do the bidding of their captors. We fought together and eventually defeated our foe. I'm much too old to fight again, but I can see the world is in need of a hero. Perhaps that hero is you, Zozo.
Who? Me? I don't know about that. I wasn't so sure that I could save the day. I couldn't even defeat one of the guards, but I knew I would do whatever I could to help my family escape. I bid the old owl goodbye and thanked him for his wisdom. I headed back to my base. I needed to regroup and figure out a plan. On days 13 to 15, I woke and realized what time it was. Upgrade time! I wasn't strong enough yet to go up against these dogs in the Badlands, but I could make my base more secure. After all, they could be sending more dogs out to grab me at any minute. So I started improving my little lakeside home. Man, I can't believe Big Dog is capturing all these animals. It's so messed up. If I didn't figure out something quick, more animals would be in trouble. I finished my upgrades and really wished my duck family could see the home I was building for them. I think they would get a quack out of it. Thinking of them made me get an idea. I could totally have them with me, just in a different way. A statue way. You know what time it is, right? Statue making time! I began building and thought about how the ducks taught me a lot. Life should be spent with the ones you love and being free as a bird. I liked the way it was coming along. The statue family would keep me company until I rescued my real family. I was really getting into building the statue when I heard a bird chirping excitedly. It was the peacock that had run away from the wild ocelot.
Well, bless my soul, it's you. Good to see you're still alive after that run-in with the cat.
Yeah, me too. My name is Zozo, by the way.
I'm Taffy. I noticed your nice lake house. Did you build that all on your own?
Yep, now I'm working on a statue of my duck family that got taken away.
It's hard living on your own, isn't it? I miss my family too.
Say, you could live here with me if you want. We can keep each other safe. I am working on a plan to rescue our families. Taffy thought that sounded great.
As long as I won't be too much of a burden.
I went inside and I made sure that she had everything a bird could need. On days 16 to 19, I decided it was past time I got around to making some iron weapons. I wandered around the area, and after a bit of flying around, I spotted something interesting. It was a mine shaft. Bingo! I entered the mine and followed the maze tracks to some iron. Of course, it wasn't a walk in the park down in the mines. It was a walk in the dark. I met some zombies and skeletons down there that were interested in ending my life. Back off, I've got a sword and I know how to use it. I started swinging my sword at them and had a couple close calls, but I knocked them out pretty quickly. It was good to see I was learning how to hold my own. Still, I didn't care to run into any more creatures, so after I had enough iron, I booked it out of the mine as fast as I could. Back at the house, I readied my supplies and got to work, crafting my stronger weapons and armor with my crafting table. These will give me the edge I need to go up against those tough guards. On days 20 to 22, it was time to release the Quacken. I told Taffy to keep a bird's eye on the base while I returned back to the Badlands. This time, I would be ready. Those guards won't see me coming. Because this time, I wasn't going through the door, I was flying overhead. I know what you're thinking, I wasn't the most accomplished flyer, but I could fly better than those dogs could. It was worth a try. As I approached the walls of the farm, I took a running start and launched into the air. I'm like a flying ninja.
Yay, there's a duck flying over our walls, into the farm. Now that's what you call a bird brain.
Well, I guess I wasn't as stealthy as I hoped I was. I landed near the guards.
Wait a second, it's that troublesome duck that keeps getting away from us. Get him!
I jumped into the air, dodging attacks. Toucan, play at this game, on guard. I got out my weapons and started handing out damage. I couldn't lie, it was a bit daunting. They would get a hit or a bite, but with my armor protecting me, they were toast after a few hits. What a rough day for you dogs, getting your tails handed to you by a little duck like me. Finally, I had finished the guards off. I didn't waste any time searching for my family. I started running all around the ground, searching for my family. I wanted to save all the other animals I saw, and I promised myself I would help them. But first, I had to locate my family. But they weren't in any of the cages or fences. Where are they?
What is all this squawking and hollering?
A chill ran down my spine. A giant creature stomped loudly out of the foreboding base. It was enormous. A big dog. I was terrified.
Guards, why are you letting some pipsqueak cause such a ruckus, eh? Looks like somebody ought to teach this quacker a lesson.
Big dog let out a psst, psst, psst. Out came a tiger. He charged at me. I tried to fly away, but it was no use. This big cat could jump high. I used my weapons, and his attacks broke my armor quickly. I was exposed, and I was losing hearts fast.
Hi-ya!
A big wolf came bounding into the fight. It was the nice guard. She told the tiger to back off.
Let's get out of here.
We ran for it. Who knew how many more guards would come running after us? Or worse, big dog. Shockingly, the tiger didn't chase after us. After a while, we felt safe enough to stop running. You saved my life.
I couldn't stand by any longer, and you're really brave. You might have what it takes to take down the farm.
I failed to save my family for a second time. I think it's pretty obvious I can't do that. The wolf assured me that she believed in me. It was nice, but I still felt awful that I hadn't saved them yet. Where are you going to go now?
Honestly, I didn't think that far ahead. I just couldn't let you become catnip.
I have a base I'm building with another bird friend. Why don't you come live there until you figure things out?
I'd be very grateful to stay with you both.
I led the way back to the lake house. By the way, I'm Zozo. What do I call you?
Awoo is the name.
Seems fitting. On days 23 to 26, we got back to the base. Taffy greeted us, and I introduced Awu to Taffy. I'll need to do some upgrades and add a room for you, Awu. It shouldn't take too long. I made sure to make the room nice and spacious for Awu. It was the best room in the house. I noticed I hadn't added to my statue in a while, so I got to work on that too. You know, I think I'll add my friends to this piece. I'd like to honor all my good friends and family. Just then, Awu came trotting up.
Wow, this is looking great. Everyone watching should subscribe so that they can see all the other cool stuff you'll make.
What do you mean everyone who's watching? It's just us here.
They know who they are.
On days 27 to 31, I went out exploring to find new resources. I was pecking around when I heard someone who sounded very upset. I followed the voice and came upon a raccoon. Hello, is everyone okay?
No, everything is not okay. I've been kicked out of my house by a big old monster. He thinks he can just push me out of my home because he's mean and can destroy me super fast. Huh, nobody ain't got no respect these days.
I tried to calm the raccoon down and asked him to show me to his house. He walked away and showed me to his home. I approached the door and sure enough, there was a monster cooped up inside. The monster growled and told me to get lost before I became its next meal. Listen, this isn't your home. You really shouldn't take things that aren't—
Are you still talking? Be gone! Be gone or be eaten! Silly food talking back to a predator such as I? If I weren't so cozy in here and already eaten 3 meals today, why, I'd gobble you up in one bite. Scram, pests!
It was clear this rude guy wasn't going to listen to anything I had to say. I'd have to teach this guy some manners, and I had an idea. On days 32 to 35, I started digging near the raccoon's house. What we had here was a reverse Three Little Pigs situation. In this scenario, the big bad wolf is inside the house and I need to blow the house down. And to do that, I started to dig a tunnel deep down under the house until I found some lava pools. This was one pool I did not want to get my feathers wet in. Now that I knew where the lava was, I headed back out of the tunnel. The next part of my plan was to find some creepers. As I came out of the hole, I quickly found some. I'm just here for your gunpowder. Don't mind me. Now that I had gunpowder, I just needed one more thing: sand. I headed to the riverbed and gathered a bunch up. With the gunpowder and sand, I crafted some TNT. I think you might know where I'm going with this. I returned to the tunnel that I dug under the raccoon's house and ran down to the lava pools. I carefully set the TNT next to the lava and began setting a fuse up and out of the tunnel. Match, set, light. Everything was going according to plan. On days 36 to 39, I waddled up to the front door and called out to the monster. The door opened to reveal the grouchy foe. Hello again. I thought I'd let you know that you have a limited time offer to leave this house before I huff and puff and blow this house down.
And how do you suppose to do such a thing?
Easy. I have a brick of TNT nearby and a fuse that's ready for me to light.
TNT?
It's dynamite, and I'll win this fight. I would slither on out of here if I were you. This house isn't worth your life.
You talk too much, Duck. I yield to no one. Be gone!
Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. I activated the fuse and down the signal went into the tunnel. I took cover. There was a giant explosion and the floor of the house gave way, sending the monster to his fiery grave. Yes, my plan worked. The raccoon was nearby and watched the whole thing.
Was your plan to destroy my entire house?
The raccoon was not exactly happy, despite the fact that the monster was gone. I felt bad. Maybe I had been a little intense with my plan.
Now how am I going to afford to rebuild my house?
Put it on my bill. That was a joke. I don't actually have any money, but what I do have is a really big lake house that would totally fit you. I have other friends staying there too. Why don't you come stay there with us? The raccoon grumbled but agreed. He was still a little sore about his house being blown to smithereens. I showed him the way to the lake house and we made our way there. On days 40 to 43, we arrived back to the lake house. The raccoon sure was a grouchy fellow, but something about him was endearing too, like an angry little elf. They're just adorable when they get mad. You can't help but smile when they yell at you. I showed the raccoon around and created him a raccoon-tastic space for his home. I went over to my statue creations. We had my duck family and Taffy. I loved how it was looking. It was only right to build a statue of the raccoon too. I started building the raccoon statue. Looking at all these family and friends in the statues made me think about another creature that had been so nice to me, Waymar the wise owl. I didn't want anything to happen to him. Maybe I'll go visit him and see if he would like to stay at the house. We are safer in numbers. I don't want him getting captured. On days 44 to 49, I returned to the tree where the owl lived. I found him sitting under the tree, but he didn't look so good. Mr. Waymar, are you okay?
Zozo, my dear boy. I was worried you might have been one of the henchmen. I'm fine. I'm just feeling a little under the weather. It's hard to get food and such these days. I can't fly, you see. I'm kind of stuck in this tree.
That was not good. I couldn't stand by and let Waymar suffer. I told Waymar that I wanted him to come live at the house with us and we would help take care of him. He was so grateful but didn't know how he would get there. I'll figure out something. I'll find a way to carry you there. I immediately thought of the mine carts in the mines. Oh, those would work great. I just needed a way to push it along. I headed back to the mine and started collecting the tracks for the cart. I would make a track from the owl's tree to the base. That should be enough. I took everything back to the owl and laid some tracks down and rebuilt the cart. Climb aboard. Once he was in, I pushed Waymar along in the cart, picking up the tracks as I went along and setting them ahead until I made it all the way back to the lake house. I was excited to build him a room in the house. My little misfit family was growing so much. Waymar was super grateful for the help. He couldn't believe he had us to care for him now. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
I'm an owl.
On days 50 to 53, I decided to go deeper in the mine to find some diamonds. I hadn't seen diamonds yet, but I was certain I'd run into some if I went a little farther in. As I went deeper, I ran into a big stinky toad. I smell something most foul, and it's not me. Aha! Care for a slice of my sword? I swung my sword while the toad tried hitting me with his tongue. He was no match for me though, and I quickly took him out. I went a little farther and ran into some tarantulas too. Ooh, these guys creep me out. I made quick work of them, swinging my sword as hard as I could. They too were soon gone. That's when at long last, I had found the diamonds. I mined them up as quickly as I could and then headed back home to make them into things. I made a strong pair of armor and some super strong weapons. As they say, diamond weapons hurt forever. I definitely felt I had a better chance of kicking bad guy booty with these upgrades. I just needed to figure out where my family was being held. As I was crafting, one of my friends told me Waymar needed to see me, so I went to his room. Hey, Waymar the Wise, you wanted to see me?
Oh, Zozo, I have loved being here. I feel so much happier. I hate to seem ungrateful for asking you anything, so you know what? Never mind. It was silly anyways.
No, please, I want to help. I'm happy to do anything. Anything at all.
Well, okay, if you insist. I have the most overwhelming craving for a tropical fish. I loved eating it when I was younger. My siblings and I would devour them when we were in the nest together. Oh, how I miss those days.
Sure, that's no trouble at all. I'll go right away. Waymar was so excited to hear I would help him. I started on my quest immediately. On days 54 to 57, I finally reached the water. There was a perfect spot for catching tropical fish. Now, if I was a gorilla or hoglin, I might have trouble getting this fish, but I was a duck, so I was in luck. I paddled out into the water and dove after the fish. Okay, this is a little trickier than I thought. I spotted a school of fish and started swinging my sword. Eventually, I got one. I kept swinging until I had gotten a few more. Well, now to simply swim back to the shore with no problem. Ah! Somebody bit my tail feathers. It was a shark. I was under attack. Actually, I was more over attack as the shark was below me. Oh, you like picking on smaller fish, do ya?
Wait a second, don't you eat smaller fish too?
Well, yeah, but that one was supposed to be mine. Now scram! I fought the shark. It was tough, but eventually I won thanks to my upgrades. Oh, check me out. I'm growing. I'm a much bigger duck now. I had leveled up. Finally! Hey, maybe I can fly now. I thought a happy thought, took off running, and started flapping my wings. I zoomed into the air. This was amazing. I can fly! I can fly! I can fly! On days 58 to 62, I arrived back in the base with the fish. As I climbed into the base, I saw that Waymar was even worse off. Oh no, Waymar, you don't look so good. Here, I brought you your favorite fish. This should help.
Thank you, Zozo. I don't have the energy to eat it just yet. Let me just put it here. I remember when Mother would return home with the fish back in 1932, just as you just did. She liked them lightly pan-fried and put a dollop of cranberry sauce on the side.
Waymar? Waymar suddenly passed away with a smile on his face. I wondered if I had gotten him the fish sooner, if I would have saved him. But I was also glad he took his final breath, knowing he was cared for and not alone. He was going to be very missed. On days 63 to 66, I was moping around the base. I felt so sad, and that was okay. I just needed to let out my feelings and be upset. I went over to the statues and had a good sob while I added another one to the bunch. I wanted to honor Waymar's memory by adding him to the group. The statue made me feel better, and I could smile again. There was my wise friend Waymar staring back at me. This place was becoming a whole museum full of statues. It was beautiful. On day 67 to 70, Awu came up to tell me that they had found something.
It's a note from Waymar. You're going to want to read this.
I took the note and read it. Zozo, check out the old fort east of here. Your family might be there. And remember, things aren't always what they seem. Just because you can't hear or see something doesn't mean it isn't working. Believe in yourself and your plans. What was that supposed to mean? It was a nice sentiment, but I feel like it was some kind of coded message. I'd try to remember that. Well, Awu, looks like I need to follow these clues. Can you help keep watch over the lake house while I'm gone? Awu was up for the task. In the morning, I would take my leave. On day 71 to 74, I went in search of the hidden prison in the tundra. As I traveled across the snowy forest, I spied a fort hiding in the mountains. Is that it? I saw that the fort was active and that there were guards that looked just like the ones from the farm. They were carrying large shipments of feathers out of the fort. This place must be a prison where the other ducks and birds are being held captive. They are harvesting their feathers. My blood boiled. I didn't waste another moment. I drew my diamond weapons, and with my diamond armor, I charged in. I started swinging my sword with all my mighty duck strength. Those guards didn't stand a chance. I couldn't believe how easily I blew through them all. Feel the wrath of my revenge. I made my way into the prison, cutting down anyone who stood in my way. I was feeling like I could take on anything at this point. On days 75 to 78, I reached a room that looked important. I barged in unafraid and saw the tiger that had almost destroyed me back at the farm. I felt a tinge of fear creep back into me. Did I have what it took to go up against him? Regardless, what choice did I have now? My family could be in this very room. I shook off my fear and went head to head with the cat. Or clawed a sword, rather. This tiger was still tough. I got lots of good hits in, but he was so strong. It wasn't doing that much damage. He was good at blocking, too. He even scratched me a few times. And I saw tons of birds in cages. Maybe my family wasn't here. As we fought, I noticed a big lever. It looked important. I took a chance and hit it hard. All of a sudden, the cage door swung open. The birds were free. The tiger was in shock at his sudden misfortune. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Some of the birds started to attack him. While he was distracted by all of the birds flying out of their cages, I was able to attack his weak spot. He was done for. The tiger was no more. I looked around the room and saw my baby duck siblings. They were so excited to see me and couldn't believe how much I had grown. I was so relieved to see them. And where's Mama Duck? The ducks look sad.
Mama got taken by the big bad dog to his mansion. The other birds say that it's on some sort of volcano.
That seems like a bad place to build a mansion. This dog isn't as smart as I thought. Don't worry, little ducklings. I will rescue Mama. On days 79 to 84, I spent some time searching the room where I had originally found the tiger. You never know what kind of information you can find, and this tiger was clearly a leader of this operation. He had all sorts of confidential information laying around, and if nothing else, I could take his valuables. He didn't have any use for them now that he was toast. I looked all around and found a treasure chest. Bingo! I opened it up and found a map. I looked closer. Well, what'll you know? A map right to the volcano mansion. And what else do we have here? I saw that there was a whistle in there too. I blew it, but nothing happened. Why he kept a broken whistle, I'll never know, but I'll just keep it, just in case. With the room fully inspected, I went back to the ducklings. Alright you guys, let's get the quack out of here. I built you a home that's super secure. Let's go! I saw some of the birds that had helped in the fight against the tiger. They looked unsure of where to go and what to do. I invited them back to the lake house with us. They were very grateful and agreed to come with us. We waddled as fast as we could back to the base. On days 85 to 89, I returned safely home with all my ducklings in a row. I immediately started expanding the house and made more rooms for all of the birds. They loved their new living quarters. Sure beats a small cage. Awu and Taffy had something exciting to show me while I was away.
We built something very enchanting.
They had found items to make an enchanting table and had what we needed to enchant my armor. Wow, thank you! This is incredible! If I wanted to rescue Mama Duck, I needed to be as ready as possible for going up against Big Dog. This would give me a fighting chance. On days 90 to 94, I walked over to my field of statues. They were almost all done. I just needed to finish building the rest of Waymar's statue. I was so excited to reveal all of my statues to my friends. As I looked at Waymar's statue, I thought about the strange note he had given me.
Just because you can't hear or see something doesn't mean it isn't working.
You know, that gives me an idea about something. I put the finishing touches on the statues and was finally finished. A field of all my favorite friends. What a sight! On days 95 to 97, I knew it was time to go rescue my mom. I followed the map to the mansion on the volcano. This place was spooky. I could see the appeal of building a mansion on the volcano now. That is, if you're an evil villain, it's perfect for that vibe. I had to admit, I felt a bit scared, and that was okay. That didn't mean I was going to run away. No, I was saving my mother, come dogs or lava. I brandished my weapons and started fighting my way through the guard dogs along the path to the door. On day 98, I was exploring the mansion when I went into a room with a strange-looking bunny man inside of it. What the? Who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Oh wait, I'm you! You're me! Yeah, you're me from my bunny video! Oh yeah, that was an awesome adventure! When everyone is done watching this video, they should go check that one out. Amazing! Well, I've got a family to save. See ya! On day 99, I made it into Big Dog's lair inside of the spooky mansion. After defeating tons of guards, I felt something funny happening. I was leveling up. This is just what I needed. I needed to be a mighty duck to defeat a massive dog. I'm as strong as I can get now. I was super buff. I was going to give Big Dog some trouble with my new strength. He's going to have to answer to this firecracker. It was time for the ultimate smackdown. I looked around the room and saw Mother Duck in a cage. Mom!
Zozo, what are you doing here?
I'd like to ask you the same question, troublesome quacker. Looks like you haven't learned your lesson. And you've been hitting the gym, I see. Like that's gonna help you.
I'm here to take my mother home.
Can't you see me and your mom are madly in love with each other? Trying to split us up, are you?
I'm not in love with you, you freak!
You will be if I keep you locked up long enough. It's called Stockholm Syndrome, love. Look it up. Works in the fairy tales all the time.
Dude, you've got some serious issues. This is no way to treat someone you like or love. That's no way to treat anyone. What a weirdo. This dog needed to be put out of his misery. I drew my weapon and attacked Big Dog. I gave him everything I had. Every bit of strength I could muster went into every hit. But he was still too strong. I was barely making a dent. Compared to him, I was like a yappy chihuahua. My blows were just not dealing enough damage. Maybe he was right. Maybe I couldn't defeat him. Had I come all this way just to fail? Then I remembered the broken whistle in the chest.
Just because you can't hear or see something doesn't mean it isn't working.
I pulled out the whistle and blew it. Nothing. But that's how it was supposed to work. It was a dog whistle. Only dogs can hear it. Big Dog stopped attacking and sat politely. Good boy. Now play dead. Big Dog's armor came flying off of him.
Don't look!
Big Dog was completely hairless. Big Dog explained that he wanted all the feathers to cover his naked self. There is nothing wrong with being hairless, and I'm sure many of us would have donated feathers to you, but you chose to ruin people's lives over this. I have had enough with your silly excuses. You aren't going to cage up anyone ever again. With that, I gladiator kicked him out of his window and down into the river of lava. On day 100, I let my mom out of the cage and we went back to the lake house. The ducklings were so excited to see their mother. We all had a wonderful reunion. I introduced everyone to my new family. Everyone couldn't stop raving about all the crazy adventures we'd had and how great the lake house was. We were going to live happily ever after. No more living in cages, just freedom and family.